So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what happens if Naruto gets a bloodline from Kami. Part 1. If you guys enjoy this, what if? And if you want to part 2. Comment down below. And let me know before I start, please do support for more awesome content. And leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also share this video with your friends. And check out the description. And check out my playlist. So let's start the video. Chapter 1. Naruto Uzumaki sighed as he crawled into bed. It had been a long and trying day for him. First he failed the genin exam for the third time, got tricked by an instructor who later tried to kill him for holding Kyuubi, and then talking to the Hokage, who said he was sorry for lying all Naruto life, but he had only wanted to do what was best, but didn't know why Naruto was chosen. Naruto closed his eyes and pulled the covers over his head and thought, well, my day can't get any more confusing than it already has. As he fell asleep. Funny. There were still 10 minutes left in the day before midnight. Naruto awoke to find himself in a long hallway, and he thought, where am I? As he looked around, and he heard the sound of voices coming from down the hall, and he looked behind him and found the way behind him blocked by a brick wall, and he thought, I guess there is only one way to go, but how did I get here? As he began to walk down the hallway. After what felt like forever for him, he came across a large room, and he saw a huge cage on the other side of the room, but the thing that he was looking at right now was the 30 teenage girls sitting on pillows, all dressed for a slumber party. Naruto blinked and blinked again as he looked at each of the girls, who were giggling and looking at each other, and none of the girls noticed him. He tried to hear what was being said, but he couldn't, and debating his options he started to slowly back away, afraid that he might get into trouble, only to feel himself walk right into someone who was taller than him, and he heard a grunt behind him. He slowly turned and saw a red-haired woman with green eyes standing there, and she smiled at Naruto, and he took a step back and said, Hi. Feeling scared and confused. The woman said, hello Naruto. Naruto blinked and asked, how do you know my name? Across the room the 30 girls had all heard him and had looked across at him, and one of the girls looked down, and a couple of the other girls put their arms around her as they watched what was going on. The red-haired woman laughed a soft, kind laugh and asked, how do I know the name of my own son? I gave it to you. With a loving smile on her face. Naruto blinked and blinked again before taking a step back, and a frown came on his face, and he said, I've played this game before, lady, and it won't work. The woman sighed and said, I know. I was there that night watching, wishing I could do something to help you. I was there every time you cried, every time you went to bed hungry, every time you were beaten, and every time you wanted to give up. Mother knows I wanted to be there to hold you, but I couldn't. As she fell to her knees with tears in her eyes. Naruto frowned as he bit his lip and asked, if you really were there and wanted to help, then why didn't you? The woman sighed and said, can I tell you a story about Naruto? A story about why the so-called Kyuubi attacked Konoha, why your father and I couldn't be there for you, and why you are here now. Please. All I ask for is a chance to tell you this story. You can hate me the rest of your days, but let me tell you it. As she looked at Naruto with sad, begging eyes. Naruto bit his lip and said, alright. I listen, but don't try anything funny. I'm a ninja and I don't want to hurt you. The woman laughed and said, that's funny, but thank you. You see, Naruto, the Kyuubi as everyone calls her, is not really a demon. Naruto said, Kyuubi is a girl. The woman said, actually, Kyuubi isn't her real name either. To mortals she is usually known as Inari, goddess of fertility, prosperity, and kitsunes. Naruto blinked and sat down and said, so you're saying Kyuubi is actually Inari? The woman said, no, what I am saying is what everyone in Konoha believes is sealed inside you is not really the Kyuubi. There was a Kyuubi in the world, but it was destroyed by the Shidame Hokage nearly 100 years ago. Naruto said, but I don't understand. The soft teenage voice from behind him, what she is trying to tell you is that when I was coming to Konoha originally I was not in my fox form but appeared as I am now, and I was coming to congratulate Kushina here on having a child when I was attacked by some mortal men who thought I was some weak female they could have their way with, and I changed from my female form to my kitsune form and defended myself by ridding the world of those evil men, but when I did so some stupid ninja from Konoha saw me and assumed I had come to attack Konoha, and he sent one of his teammates back to Konoha to warn them about an attack. Well, he ordered the rest of his team to attack me. They wouldn't listen to me when I tried to stop them and they kept attacking me, so I had to defend myself. As that happened other ninja arrived and it snowballed after that until your entire village was involved and your father came to stop it and he knew who I was really and he asked me while pretending to fight me why I was doing this, and when I told him he said he understood and he summoned Kushina to his side to end the fight by putting me someplace safe and make it where people didn't learn the truth and also give me time to calm down. Naruto frowned and asked, what is the truth? Kushina said the truth that his wife, me, was in fact an immortal goddess living among mortals and having a child. Now you have heard what happened the night of the Kyuubi attack, and you have heard us say what also happened. Can you figure out what goddess I am and who your father was? Think about everything the Sandaime said and what we told you about Naruto. Please. Naruto sat down and began to think, and after several minutes his eyes went wide as he paled and said, "You're the Shinigami." Kushina smiled and nodded and said, "Yes, and who was your father?" Naruto said, but, if my father was Yondaime then why?" As he looked lost. Kushina said, "Then why were you chosen to hold Inari here? Think about it, son, we told you he was putting Inari somewhere safe, some place that would allow her to rest and calm down, so she could return to her human form. It had to be a place where mortals could not touch her since they were what was angering her at the moment." Naruto said, "But if she was placed inside me to keep her safe then why did dad die and where have you been all my life?" Kushina said, "When your father summoned me he did it using the summoning contract I gave him, and when that happened my spirit was pulled from my body, and a nurse who came to check on me found my body without my spirit and thought I had died and had my body destroyed while I was with your father ending the fight. Without my human body I could not return to the mortal world and I can only have a body once every 500 years because it takes a lot of energy from me to make it in the first place. All I could do is watch you as you grew up wishing I could hold you in my arms and take the pain and suffering you felt away. I begged my mother to let me return, but she told me she couldn't change the rules for me or she would have to change the rules for all, which could end up destroying everything." Naruto said, "But who was your mom and why was she able to tell you not to be there?" Kushina smiled and said, "My mother, your grandmother is Kami, Naruto." Naruto blinked and blinked again and screamed, "Kami's my what?" This earned laughs from all the girls present and Kushina said, "Kami is your grandmother." Naruto said, "What does that make me, am I some kind of god or?" Kushina said, "Not yet. Right now you are considered a demigod. A half-god." Naruto said, This is a lot to take in." Kushina said, "I understand, son, and I wish that we had all the time in the world to talk to you, but we are all actually here for a reason." Naruto blinked and asked, "What reason?" Kushina said, "Until you learned about Inari being in you we couldn't approach you because you needed to open yourself up to a spiritual link and without knowing about a spiritual link you can't use one. When you learned of Inari being in you it established one." Naruto said, "Okay. I got this link but what is going to happen?" Kushina said, "Well. The first thing you need to do is forget your anger at the mortal fools in Konoha. All those who have died who have hurt your son are being repaid 100-fold by your father." Naruto asked, "What do you mean?" Kushina said, "Minato didn't die from the ceiling as everyone believes. That was another reason on top of the fact he was too noble to ask someone else to give up their child that you were chosen. A poison kunai someone threw at Inari bounced off and cut him and the poison is what killed him after the sealing was done. Since I returned to find my body destroyed and we both saw the way the people of the village were reacting to you when the Sandaime said you had Kyuubi in you, we wanted to destroy Konoha. We couldn't actually do that so we decided to do the next best thing. What better way to make people suffer than to have the one they view as a hero show them they are not even worth the dirt on their hero's feet. I asked mother to let Minato take over for me while I watched over you and since I couldn't come back to life she was willing to do this for me and so she gave my powers to him for 100 years. More than enough time for you to pass away in the mortal world and so Minato gets revenge for you so don't be angry at the mortal, they will get their punishment in the end." Naruto thought for a moment with a frown and said, "Alright, I'll try, what next?" Inari said, "Next is where we come in. You see, you're the first child born to one of us in many years. In fact the last demigod to be born was my son, your great-grandfather, which is another reason I was coming to Konoha to see you. We each were coming to give you our blessings when everything went to hell like it did, so we waited until we could contact you to give you your gifts, which is why I am still inside of you at this time and have not given it to you yet. I have been waiting to give my great-great-grandson nephew his birthday present, a little late, but better late than never, huh?" Naruto laughed and said, "I guess so. So what is this blessing thing and am I related to all of you and who was your son?" Inari said, "My son was Hashirama Senju, Shidame Hokage of Konoha. I fell in love with his father Ono and had our son, but then one day a nomad tribe who later became the Inizuka clan attacked our home and to save our son and my husband, I revealed my kitsune form scaring the nomads away, but they spread word of me and fearing for my family's safety I was forced to leave them, so I gave Hashirama a gift to remember me by. Ono told me that he didn't care what I was, that he would always love me." As she looked off in memory. Kushina, seeing this, decided to give her some privacy and said, "You asked if we are all related, son. The answer is yes and no. We are all considered sisters since we all have the same mother, but we were not born, we were simply created for specific jobs, so it's not blood. Basically it means that if any of them fell in love with another one they could be together. In fact some have and some with mortals as well." Naruto looked confused and Inari, who had recovered from her thoughts, said, "Since my own anger was the cause of your suffering, I have 3 gifts for you. The first is this." As she pulled out a scroll. Naruto asked as he took the scroll, "What is this?" Inari said, "It is the summoning contract for the Ents. A race of tree-like men. They have served me well over the years tending to the forest. You are the second to ever have this contract, the first being my son. Sign your name at the bottom of the scroll in your blood and you can summon it. As she told him how to summon. After he signed the contract and demonstrated he could do it without actually summoning, Inari said now the next is this. As she pulled out a samurai sword and she said this is Kajutsu Maru or Little Fox. It is a sword of defense. The blade is special. It appears to be dull and will never cut you or your enemy unless your enemy is trying to kill you. This sword will only kill in defense, never attack. As long as you are defending yourself from death the blade can kill, but if you wanted to kill out of anger, revenge or just to kill someone, it won't even cut their skin. Naruto took the sword looking at it in wonder and Inari walked forward and kissed Naruto on the forehead and said, and the last gift I give you is the same bloodline I gave my son, the Shodaime Hokage. You now have the ability to control plants. I know you don't know how to use it, which is another reason I gave you the contract for the Ents. They will help train you but train in the forest. Also unlike my son who I gave it to for only him I made it where you and all your children will have it. Again I am sorry Naruto for all the pain I caused you. I must be going because it's been 14 years since I last saw my beloved husband and son, but I will check on you from time to time, even though you won't see me. When I am gone my mark on you will leave so the seal on your stomach as well as your whiskers will disappear. Naruto frowned and said I actually like the whiskers, but alright, I can handle that. Inari smiled and walked over and kissed him on the head and whispered something else in his ear that made his eyes go wide before she stepped back and faded away. In the real world the seal on Naruto's stomach glowed before fading away. Back in the link after she was gone all the other girls came up one at a time introducing themselves and either shaking his hands or wishing him a bright future until there were only 3 left. The 3 girls walked over and Kushina giggled as she saw them walk over. One was a brunette around 5'4" and had on a white silk dress, next to her was another girl who was equal in height to the other 2 and had black hair and wore a black silk dress, and the third was a blonde who wore a blue dress. The brunette said I am Destiny. The black-haired girl said I am Fate. The blonde said and I am Chance and we are. All 3 together said the 3 sisters. As they struck a pose. Naruto thought okay, that was stupid. With a sweat drop on the back of his head at the pose all 3 made. Kushina said to Naruto, these 3 are very important. Destiny decides if a woman will have a child or not, it is because of her that I was able to conceive. Destiny said I only chose that you would have a child, I did not decide when, where, who the father was or what gender or what he or she would look like Kushina. Just that at some point in your life you would have a choice to have a child. That is all I decided. The only destiny anything has is a chance to be born. Kushina said right, sorry about that, next we have Fate. As she winked at Destiny. Fate sighed and said Heli Naruto. Where my sister Destiny chooses that someone has a chance to be born, I am the one who chooses they have a chance to die, not when or how or why. The only fate anything that is born has is a chance to die. Naruto looked at Kushina and said I thought that you decided that. Kushina said I only guide the souls of the dead where they will go in the afterlife soon. Naruto nodded and looked at Chance, and she smiled and said oh, I love him Kushina, he's so handsome. I just want to take him back with me and. In a fangirl voice, Kushina said Chance. In a dangerous tone interrupting her. Chance sighed and said I'm Chance, but you can call me Lady Luck. I am your godmother. Where my sisters decide if someone will have a chance to live or if they will have a chance to die, I am more of a wild card. I will give you an example, the kunai that was thrown at Inari that was poisoned, when it bounced off her it could have gone up down left right or in any other direction. I had to choose which direction it went. Naruto frowned and said so it was your fault it was my dad and killed him. Chance sighed and said sort of. I have no way of knowing what it will do after that moment in time where it bounced. I just chose a direction at random based on which ways it could go from the original throw and the bounce. I did not know it would hit your father or if it would have missed him because I don't choose everything. People blame the 3 of us for all kinds of things in life when in fact most of the time it comes down to people's own choice. Take this for example. As she pulled out a deck of cards and shuffled them. She laid several cards down and said these are aces, they can be 1 or 11, these are face cards and are worth 10, and these are each worth the number that is on them. The point in this game is to get 21 or as close as you can without going over. If you go over you lose. Now here. As she placed 1 card face down on each side and 1 face up. Tan said you have a king showing so you have 10 showing and I have a 10 showing. I don't know what your bottom card is, but you can look for yourself. Naruto did and Fate said now right here is where things are out of my hands. You know what you have, but you don't know what I have or what the next card is. It comes down to your choice, will you take the next card or will you hold? I have nothing on your decision right now so chose. Naruto said give it to me. Chance grabbed the next card and said here is where I come in. I have 48 possibilities for the next card since we both have 2 each and there were originally 52 cards. I chose the next card as a 6. As she flipped it over and a 6 was shown. Naruto flipped his over and showed a 5 and said I won. Tan said, but what if I chose it to be a king instead, would you still win? Naruto frowned and said I see. So if people's names were all put together in a hat and one was drawn out, then you would be the one who chose which name. Tan said exactly. Now since I am your godmother I have a few gifts for you also. My sisters helped me with these, so it's not just me you have to thank. Naruto said well I got so much already, a summoning contract, a bloodline, a sword, what else could I ask for on top of all the well wishes and thanks I got? Kushina said do you understand why most of them didn't give you anything besides words of luck or thanks right? As she looked at him. Naruto said not really, why? Kushina said oh my, I guess that slipped my mind. How embarrassing. You see we did sort of bend the rules about not contacting you earlier in your life son. All those other girls who didn't give you anything because they already gave you something. After they heard about you and what had happened they went to their mother and asked her to allow me to give you my gift already. Your healing ability, the thing that has kept you alive all this time. That was my gift to you. It wasn't supposed to activate until you hit puberty, but all the others went and begged mother to bend the rule just this once. Since they did, she allowed me to give it to you within the first 24 hours of you being born and we made it so all your children will also, so they didn't have to give you anything else. Naruto said oh. I didn't know. Could you let them know I really appreciate it? Kushina said we will. Now before these three give you your gift let me tell you a little more about my gift. I know you will be excited when you see theirs, so that is why I am going first. You can't get sick from any virus. You also become immune to anything dangerous you come into contact with like poisons after the first time coming in contact with it. The first time depending on what shape you are in will determine if you live or die. As long as you have chakra in your body you can heal, and as long as you're not seriously wounded, you can fight the poison off after a little time. The only way to actually kill you is to cut off your head, destroy your heart in one move or continuously damage your body while draining your chakra until you die. Now that does not mean I want you to risk your life doing stupid shit like taking on an army by yourself or standing in front of a rock slide. If you do, I'll wait for you on the other side and kick your ass myself. I had enough of that stuff from your father. Naruto gulped and thought mom's scary. Tance walked forward and put her arm around Naruto and said to chill Kushina, he's only just met you and you're already trying to put him under your thumb. Kushina glared at her and Chance stuck out her tongue and said ignore her, she's just moody because she missed out being able to be there for you. Now onto our gifts. Fate said as she pulled out a pair of pants, a shirt and a cloak all silver. This is a new set of clothes that we had specially made for you. Like your healing ability as long as you have chakra these things can't be destroyed. Also if you channel chakra into the cloak while wearing it you will become invisible, just be sure to pull the hood up so your head is invisible also. Now nobody will be able to see you, but if you are walking on something that could leave a footprint like water or dirt, sand, or things like that your steps will appear. These clothes will grow as you do and once you put them on your seal will appear on your clothes. Naruto looked confused and said my seal. What is seal? Kushina sighed and said as you notice with each of my sisters, their names are what they are. Fate, destiny, chance, wisdom. My real name is Shinigami. I first met your father when he was but a little boy, right after his parents died when they were attacked by bandits. I was sure he was going to die and I waited and waited, but I noticed, even during the rain and the cold he was looking at me, he actually saw me and he smiled at me. The traveler came by as I watched him and took him to Konoha and I watched him every chance I got and as he grew up he continued to see me, even though the living should not be able to see me he was able to, and he talked to me when we were alone. I should have known from the start something was up because when I finally made my choice and went to my mother to tell him I wanted to become mortal to be with him, she said she was wondering how long it would take me to realize he was my soulmate. She gave me her blessing, but told me that I would have to take a mortal name, and she gave me the name Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto rubbed his nose and asked why did she give you that name? Kushina lowered her head and said she knew I would have you son. When she created us she said it was to make her job easier, but most of us agree that the truth is she was lonely. Even though she lets us do what she created us for she still knows everything, but she likes to watch as we discover the mysteries of the universe and uncover her greater plan. I didn't know it until after I lost my body and your father died, but when I chose your name it was still her greater plan. Naruto asked what do you mean? Jan said what she means is that we believe mother has decided to put a task before you Naruto, which none of us know, but she has put a task for you to complete. Your choices and your actions will either take you to that task or lead you away from it. If you reach your task and complete it, you will be awarded the same prize that every demigod who reached and succeeded their task received. Naruto asked so you're saying she's already planned out my entire life? Kushina said no, let me explain soon, you tell everyone your goal is to be right. Naruto nods and Kushina says, well the choices you make from now on will either lead you to your dream of being Hokage or away from it. You may become so angry at the village you decide to screw the village and leave, so your choice will lead you to or away from your dream. Mother has set up a goal for you to reach. One that only she knows about, and she will sit back and watch to see if you either go to it or away from it. Do you understand? Naruto thought for a moment and said so it all comes down to choice. Jan said that is the greatest gift mother ever gave to Naruto. Choice. She gave all life the gift of choice to decide what they will do, where they will go, what they eat, who they talk to, who they will marry. We, the gods and goddesses, are nothing more than people who work in the background making it rain or shine. Well, you decide if you are going to go outside and enjoy what we do or stay inside and enjoy your own thing. Even we have choices. Even though Minamoto-kun is my soulmate, I had the choice of leaving him alone or never becoming mortal or even being more than a friend, as I had the choice to marry him. Naruto said I see. So what is this prize I get if I pass her task and what's my seal? Kushina said your name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, which means a spiraling whirlpool of wind and waves. Naruto blinked and said my name is a title like all of yours. So what does that mean exactly? Kate said mother believes in you, and so she's showing you that she believes in you, and that you will complete the task she gives you, and she's telling you that if you do pass the task, you will become the god of whirlpool Naruto. Your main powers will be over wind and water whirlpools. Naruto said so that means I am the god of that spiral thing that happens when you drain water out of a bathtub. With a scrunched up nose. All four ladies laughed at that, and Kushina said no son. Well, a little but not really. You know what a tornado is, right? Naruto said yeah. They are these really powerful funnel things that come from the sky. Jiji told me about one he saw when he went to Suna. Kushina said when you die as a mortal, if you have completed the task your mother set before you then you will be the one who starts and stops those. Now some will appear even without you starting them, and some will stop when you start them. You don't gain total control of them, but you will get a lot of control over them. Naruto said, but why do I want to cause them? Kushina said okay, let's make an example. If there was a fire destroying all of the fire country killing everyone here and no mortals could stop it, you could create one or two in wind country that would pull the water from the ocean and land where it would collect together and could be blown by one of the other gods or goddesses to fire country to rain on the fire to help put out the fire. Could you do that? Naruto said yeah, I could do that. Kushina said even if to do so you would have to put it near a village that could be destroyed. Would you be able to let a few die so many could live? You can't just think about human life either. You have to think of all the plants, animals, and everything else that is alive. All life is connected. Trees make air for animals and humans to breathe, animals eat grass and are eaten by other animals and humans, and when they die, they give their bodies back to the world so the trees and plants could live to make more food and air for life to continue. Naruto blinked as he sat down and said I never thought of it like that before. Kushina said that is something we all have to deal with. Our actions may seem small here and there, but in the larger picture it is important. There are times where you will create a maelstrom that will sink a ship out at sea, and a little boy or girl will lose their parent, but then the fish would come back to the area to live around the ship or the coral reef and allow other fish to eat them or humans that would normally have starved to death. The little boy or girl will hate you, but hundreds of thousands of other humans or animals will love you. I had to take my own husband to the afterlife, son, and someday I will have to take you as well. I wish I could make it where you both would live immortal lives on earth, but I can't. At least in the afterlife we will be together. Naruto said it's a lot to take in. Finding out that grandma is wanting me to become a god. Jan said and you can't tell anyone about it either. You can't tell any mortals who and what you really are. You will have to live your life, do what you think is right, and when you die you will find out if you won the prize or not. Naruto looked down and asked mom. If I were to have a family, what would happen to them? Kushina said son. I will tell you this, mother may seem strange and you may question her methods, but she never wants people to suffer. She lets us live a life as a mortal for a short period of time to learn to love what is important to us, so when we die and are reunited with all our friends and family, we treasure it because friends and family is what makes life worth living. There will be a time you will be separated from your loved ones, but they will be waiting for you on the other side. As long as you are a good soul. Those who take pleasure out of the pain and suffering of others will be punished 100 times what they did in life. I know you will have to kill, I know you will hate, I know you will love, and I know you will save. Do what you think is right, not what others tell you to do. That is the best advice I can give you. Naruto nodded and said so what now? Tan said now Naruto, you get the rest of your gifts. The clothes were from both my sisters and me, but as your godmother I have a few other things for you. The first is this. As she handed him a box of playing cards. Naruto blinked and asked what are these for? Tan said those are not just some random playing cards. Those I made especially for you. Your classmate Sasuke, his bloodline, the Sharingan, allows him to copy nearly all forms of. These cards are basically the same thing. All you have to do is hold these cards in front of you while sending chakra into them while someone is in front of you and that person will be displayed on the cards and later if you need that person to help you and they are not really there you can send chakra into that card and a special clone of that person will appear and do what that person would do. Naruto said so I am stealing someone. With a confused look on his face. Kushina said oh, I get it. Naruto said get what mom? As he looked at her as Kushina felt warmth in her heart hearing him call her mom. Kushina smiled and said alright, say your teammates are hurt. With your chakra reserves and control right now you may never be able to do medical, but if you copied someone like Tsunade who is one of the best medics in the world, you could use that card to summon a Kagebunshin of her to save your teammates. Tan said correct and as long as you send chakra into that card, it won't matter what happens to the clone because they are real and can't be destroyed, but if you stop channeling chakra into them, then they dispel. The clone will use your chakra and that person's skill to save your teammate's life. Naruto said oh. I get it but. It still feels like I am stealing their hard work. Tan said then ask their permission to copy them and explain it like we just did to you. I am sure you can find people who would let you copy them and you have up to 52 people. Naruto said, but what about jokers? Tance laughed sheepishly and said don't worry about the jokers, they're already taken care of. Fate narrowed her eyes and said by who? Tance leaned over and whispered in Fate's ears and Fate's eyes wide and said you bitch. How did you pull that one off? As she glared at her sister. Kushina asked what? Watching both with narrowed eyes. Tan said it's a surprise. Now Naruto, I am afraid it is time for you to go. Don't worry about your mom. You will be able to talk to her again, but it will be on your birthday. Naruto frowned and said alright, but I was hoping we could all talk some more. There's so much I don't understand. Destiny asked what did wisdom say? Naruto said with time and age knowledge would become wisdom or something like that. Destiny said close enough though you only said what she was meaning and not her own words. You have a lot of knowledge right now and later you will have wisdom from thinking about it, but for now just be patient. Naruto nods and Kushina says I'll be watching you son and I want you to know that no matter what I will be proud of you and I love you. Naruto smiled at that and Chan said alright Naruto, it's time for you to leave. As she walked over with her sisters and each of them placed a hand on Naruto and Kushina said wait, what are you three doing? All three smirked and Chan said he's a ninja now right? Old enough to kill. Fate said old enough to drink. Destiny said and you know the rest. Saya. As all four vanished and Kushina's eyes got wide and thought they are not going to really do that are they? Oh hell. As she paled. After Naruto disappeared he found himself in a bar and in with men and women all drinking and having a good time and the three sisters were still with him and he asked, where are we? Fate said Elysian Fields. It's like the VIP of the afterlife. It's where us gods come to party sometimes. My sisters and I decided that since you're an adult in the eyes of the mortal world by being a ninja we would welcome you into adulthood and give you a night of singing, dancing, and drinking the night away. It's something we wanted to do for you. Naruto said, really? But why? And why isn't mom here? Destiny said Naruto, we all know you're not used to having a mom again and Kushina is basically going to smother you to try and protect you and won't let you have fun because she will be overprotective. Do you really want her to tell you that you can't drink because you're too young or have a good time with the three of us because she is afraid we might be a bad influence on you? Naruto looked down and said I guess not. Tan said good, bartender, give us 4 rounds of ambrosia and keep them coming. We got the new demigod here and we're welcoming him right. In a raised voice. Several cheers and whistles and a few catcalls came from all around the bar making Naruto who was feeling a little out of place, blushed seeing everyone raising glasses and having a good time. The bartender brought over 4 mugs with gold liquid in them and set them down, and Chance picked one up and handed it to Naruto and grabbed her one also as did her sister and the 3 sisters, said cheers. As they moved their glasses together and clinked them and looked at Naruto who got the idea and clinked his also, and the girls started to drink, and Naruto raised his to his mouth and took a sniff, and his eyes fluttered as he slowly took a drink. Naruto thought as he tasted it. This beats even Ramen. As he drank it as fast as he could. Tan said here, another round. As she set Naruto mug on the counter and the bartender set 2 more and she handed Naruto one and he drank it again as the 3 ladies sipped theirs. After the 5th round Naruto felt as if he was 10 feet tall, bulletproof and could take on the world. Fate grabbed Naruto by the arm and dragged him out to the little section by the band and began to dance with him as he still drank away as she sometimes gave him kisses. As one song ended another began and Chance, Fate, and Destiny all 3 danced at least 3 times each with him as he kept getting more and more drinks and they gave him more and more kisses as well as moving on to some groping as well. After that Naruto was feeling like he was king of the world as the 3 sisters took him up a set of stairs and down a hall to one of the rooms and after unlocking the doors and slipping in with a light makeout session the girls locked the door and Chance said so are you having a great time becoming a man Naruto? Naruto with glazed eyes said believe it. as he gave a good guy pose. All three giggled and Fate said my sisters and I have one more gift for you. You see we wanted you to be a man in heart, mind, spirit and body. We couldn't see you fumbling around like a novice in front of the mortals, and a demigod should never have to lower himself to the standards of mortals, so why should his first time be of lowered standards? You want the best, right Naruto-kun? Naruto was smiling and moved his head up and down, and Chan said then here is your final gift, Naruto-kun. As she pressed her lips to his and his eyes fluttered as information flooded his mind, and he placed his hands on her back pulling her closer before reaching his hands down and grabbing her ass, earning a squeal of excitement. As she broke the kiss Naruto's eyes had gone from looks of pleasure to looks of lust, making all three girls smile at each other and move toward Naruto, each swaying their hips with a seductive look on their faces. Chapter 2. The next morning the light from the sun rose over the village of Konoha, a scream of turn the damn light off grandma was heard. Inside Naruto's apartment he tried to cover his face with a pillow, but the sunlight bounced off his dresser mirror and hit him again in the face. Naruto groaned as he moved his pillow and slowly sat up and he winced as he held his head. He looked at his body and thought so that wasn't a dream. It was real. Did they really have to give me that many hickeys? Oh my head. I am never drinking again. It took Naruto about a half an hour to get up and take a shower and get dressed in his new clothes. When he slipped on his cloak a whirlpool formed out of water upside down going into the air and a tornado came out of the sky and met the whirlpool a circle formed around the two and the word spiraling maelstrom of wind and wave appeared around it. Naruto slipped his sword on his back and it crossed right where the tornado and whirlpool met. He also found a scroll and he opened it and several papers were inside the scroll and he looked at them and said well, now that might come in handy one day. As he saw his birth certificate along with a few others and a couple of marriage certificates. As he was walking past his mirror he saw his face and thought I don't feel like explaining that right now. As he grabbed some tape and bandages and put them over his cheeks like he was hiding the whiskers. Naruto slowly made his way out of his apartment and headed for the woods around the village. After 20 minutes he made it back to the clearing where he beat Mizuki and looked around and thought I guess this is far enough away and my headache is mostly gone. Here goes. As he bit his thumb and began to go through hand signs and said Kuchiyas no jutsu. As he slammed his hands on the ground and a huge puff of smoke appeared covering the area. When it cleared Naruto looked around and asked what happened and where did all these trees come from. The groaning sound came through the clearing followed by several others and Naruto looked around and said, what was that? Show yourself. A slow voice said are you our young master Inari-sama? Naruto looked around and said yes I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Who are you and where are you? The voice said we are around you and we are the Ents. My name is Oak. As the tree in front of Naruto began to turn and Naruto saw what looked like legs made out of wood and his eyes traveled up the wood until it came to a face and he looked around him and saw several others and the one that first turned around said that is ash, cedar, spruce, pine, and maple. We are the 6 elders trees of the Ents. For you to summon us all at one time shows you have a lot of energy young master. Naruto rubbed his head and said yeah, I do. So what now? Oak said you were the one to call us, why did you call us young master? Naruto said I was told you could help me with my bloodline. I have the same bloodline as Hashirama Senju, Inari's son. Oak said I see. As he started to moan and the other trees one by one also moaned. Naruto looked around and asked what are you doing? Oak looked at him and said young master must be patient. We Ents do not speak often, so when we speak we think about it for a long time. Right now we are speaking amongst ourselves on what to do. Be patient. Naruto looked sheepish and said sorry. And the Ents began to moan again. A half hour later Naruto was sitting on the ground and the moaning stopped and Oak turned to Naruto and said young master. We have talked and before we teach you anything you must show us what type of person you are. We do not know if you respect plants or if you act like most humans. We will give you a task. You must take 5 seeds from each of us and go find a clearing that has no trees in it and plant the seeds far enough apart for each tree to grow big and strong and then you are to water the seeds and use your chakra to make them grow. You must make sure they have plenty of water because the more they grow the more water they will need. They will get food from the earth as long as they do not choke on each other, but the ground must be fertile also. When the trees are all as tall as we are then return to this clearing. If any of them die then that type of tree will not serve you, so you must take care of each and make sure you don't give them too much chakra at one time or they will die. Until then we will stay here and sleep. Do you understand? Naruto said yeah, I think I do but how will I know how much is too much? Oak said you must figure that out yourself. Here are the seeds and good luck young master. As he along with each of the other trees gave him 5 seeds each. Naruto took them and looked as the Ents took places around the clearing and closed their eyes becoming still and soon it looked like they were nothing but trees. Naruto sighed as he left and after 2 hours found a field that had no trees on it and Naruto thought besides some flowers, I don't see anything here that should bother the trees and there is a pond over there I can get water from. But should I plant the trees near the flowers? I think this is a test. They seem to consider humans as evil and I guess from their view we are. No, I need to try not to harm any plants more than I have to so avoid the flowers. As he began to walk out onto the field and he used his hands to dig a hole and planted the first seed into the ground and he thought water needed water. As he checked to see what he could put water in. After finding nothing Naruto thought for a few minutes and said I got it. As he put his hands together and said Kagebunshin no. As 5 clones appeared. Naruto looked at them and pointed to 2 of them and said I want you both to hang out in buckets and I want you 2 to go and get water. I want you to take this seed and find a place for it and have one of them bring you water but don't do anything else besides water it. I want to do this myself to make sure I don't mess up. The clone said right boss. As they quickly got to work. After Naruto got water poured on the seed he was at, he slowly started to send chakra into the ground and at first nothing happened and Naruto thought please grow. The ground began to slightly break apart and a small sprout came out of the ground but it started to turn yellow and Naruto stopped and said that doesn't look good. The clone said maybe it needs more water boss. Naruto looked at the clone and then the plant and frowned a moment and said alright but slowly. The clone nodded and began to give it some more water and Naruto thought of drinking. As he sent chakra into the ground. The sprout slowly turned back green and when it did Naruto thought grow. And the sprout began to grow again but a few moments later Naruto saw the leaves turning yellow again so he started to add more water and kept this going slowly over the next hour. By the time the tree was fully grown Naruto was panting with sweat and said I needed a break, I forgot to get some breakfast. As he got up dispelling the clones and headed back toward the village. As he was walking through town he saw the looks he was getting of confusion and resentment. Naruto made it to Ichiraku raiment stand and AM looked at Naruto and blinked and said Naruto. Is that you? Naruto said yeah, can't you tell? AM said, you look so different. You got some new clothes and you're hiding your whiskers. Naruto rubbed his head and said yeah, if we can we not talk about it right now? There are some things I need to get figured out for myself first. Could I just get 3 bowls of miso ramen? AM said sure. Coming right up. As she turned and got to work. A few minutes later she set them in front of Naruto who slowly ate them shocking AM and she asked, is everything okay with Naruto? If you want to talk to someone I'm here for you. Naruto looked up and saw the worry in AM's face and something clicked in his head and he smiled kindly at her and motioned with his head to come closer. AM got closer and he motioned again and when she was only a few inches from his face, he slowly reached up and caressed her cheek and said, thank you for everything AM. As he leaned forward and kissed her lightly on the cheek near the corner of her mouth, shocking her as he turned and left, leaving behind 3 empty bowls and his payment as well as a tip. AM stood there for several moments looking at the spot Naruto had been and a small smile formed on her lips as she took the money and cleaned up the bowls. Naruto thought as he made his way back to the clearing why did I do that? As he tried to figure out what happened. When he got back to the clearing he said hey, I thought I dispelled you all. The clones stood beside a bucket and said you dispelled the other clones but me and the other one who was into buckets so we continued to work on the tree, look. Naruto looked at it and said good job, I guess you saw how I did it on the first tree huh? The clone said yeah boss. You want us to work on the other trees? Naruto said no, I don't know how much chakra you have left so both of you dispel. The bucket and the clone dispelled and Naruto's head swam a moment and he thought whoa, wait a minute. I got the memory of both clones switching back and forward growing that tree. Does that mean I get the memories from Kagebunshin when they are dispelled? Only one way to find out. As he created another clone and said I want you to go write something on the dirt and then dispel to see if I get your memories. As he turned around and closed his eyes. After the clone dispelled Naruto's eyes got wide and turned around and said it worked. As the word grow was spelled on the grass. Naruto looked around and said well if I am going to get done today I need to get busy, Kagebunshin no. As 20 clones appeared and Naruto had them split up and began to grow trees slowly while he did also. After a few hours and creating new clones, Naruto was panting heavily from growing the last tree when the world around him shimmered a moment before everything went dark. He appeared in a place he had just recently visited and Naruto thought, this is where I met mom. As he began to run down the tunnel. When he got there he saw the room where his mom was before empty and then he heard a female scream and he took off in the direction of the scream and after a few minutes he frowned and said what the hell are you doing here Ino? Ino jumped and said what the hell, you shouldn't be able to be here right now Naruto. Naruto said what are you doing in my mind? Ino said, that's my cue. As she put her hands together and said Kai. Naruto found himself back in the real world and he heard someone breaking through the woods quickly and Naruto put his hands together and said Kagebunshin no jutsu. And the clearing was filled with Naruto, and Naruto screamed get her. As him and all his clones began to run in different directions. It wasn't long before one dispelled giving the others directions to where Ino was currently running through the woods. Ino thought what the hell, first I walk into a room with Naruto having sex with 3 women and then I find Naruto in his own mind. He shouldn't have. What was that? As she heard something in the woods. Just then Naruto jumped over her and appeared in front of her and Ino quickly changed directions and avoided Naruto only to be blocked by him again. As Ino kept changing direction she was being slowly led away. Ino was panting and thought how the hell is he able to keep up with me like that and track me so easily? He's pissed and I don't want to find out what he might do. I need to get out of here or find someone to stall him. About 5 minutes later Ino saw a cabin and had smoke coming from the chimney and she thought people. As she ran and quickly grabbed the door and opened it and ran and slamming and locking it behind her. She turned around and paled as she saw Naruto sitting there and she said bud. As she quickly unlocked the door and opened it and saw 10 more Naruto outside the door and she took a step back in fear as the other Naruto who were releasing a little Kai and glaring at her came in closing the door. Ino felt herself bump into someone and before she had a chance to understand what was happening, her hands were grabbed and tied behind her back with an old sheet that was off the old bed. She then was thrown into the chair Naruto had been in and she saw all the Naruto glaring at her before they went up in smoke and the real Naruto stood there. Naruto had his arms crossed and he said in an angry voice hello Ino. Ino gulped and said hi. As she looked around the room and noticed the windows were boarded up and Naruto was leaning against the door and there was a small fire in the fireplace. Naruto said you know you really screwed up, Ino. You are now my enemy. Ino blinked and said enemy, what the hell are you talking about and why did you tie me up like this? I'm a Konohinin and you're just the dead last who couldn't even pass. Naruto said because you are my prisoner now Ino and for your information, I did pass. As he showed her his height. Ino frowned and Naruto pulled out a kunai and said do you know what happens to enemy ninjas when they are captured by Ino? Especially Kunoichi. Ino's eyes got wide and she tried to stand up only for Naruto to grab her by her hair and pull her back onto the chair and hold the kunai at her neck. Ino had tears in her eyes and she said please. Please don't. Naruto said I haven't said I would do anything to you Ino. I just asked you a question and you freaked out. All I want to do is talk to you. You answer my questions and I will let you go, but you have to answer my questions truthfully. You are after all my enemy and my prisoner and I can ask the questions nicely and let you go or I can interrogate you. Ino's eyes got wide again and she gulped and said alright, I will talk. Just don't hurt me. Naruto took the kunai away and said now why did you become my enemy, Ino? Ino said I don't know Naruto, we're both Konoha ninja, so why do you keep calling me your enemy? Naruto said because you attacked me, Ino. Ino said no, I didn't. Naruto said then what were you doing in my mind, Ino? Ino frowned and said I. Naruto raised the kunai and Ino said I was curious, that's all. Naruto lowered the kunai and asked curious about Ino. Ino said I was curious how you were growing those trees. Naruto said and you couldn't ask me. Ino bit her lip and Naruto said what is it you wanted to do with that info Ino? Why did you have to go inside my head to get the info instead of asking me? As he put the kunai back to her neck. Ino gulped and said I wanted to learn to do it to impress Sasuke-kun. Naruto said and you wanted to take credit for it yourself. You didn't care about me and wanted to take what I have for your own selfish reason. You basically were raping my mind Ino. What do you have to say for yourself? Ino frowned and said I didn't learn how you did it. You caught me before I could. Naruto said oh, and how can I be sure of that? As he glared at her. Ino said because I told you I didn't. Naruto said your words mean nothing to me, Ino. You are after all my enemy. What if I were to rape you but stopped before I coomed and said I didn't rape you because I didn't get my goal? Does that mean I didn't rape you? Ino was scared now as she saw the look Naruto had on his face. He screamed answer me. Ino quickly shouted no. Naruto said then what's the difference between what you did to me and what I just said? Is it because one is mental and one is physical? Ino looked down and Naruto began to walk back and forward and after several minutes he said in a calmer voice Ino. I have secrets I don't want anyone to know. Secrets that could make my life a whole lot harder or that could hurt those I care for. You may not know what you got or didn't get is a secret or not and there is no way for me to know what you have. Ino said all I saw was you having sex with 3 women. That was it. Naruto said, but how can I trust you, Ino? You're not the most trustworthy person. Your friendship with Sakura is proof of that. Making Ino flinch. Naruto bit his lip and said the secrets I have I want to keep secret from now until the Chunin exams in 6 months. My ability to grow plants plus my relationship with those 3 girls are something I can't let anyone know about, which is why I am training so far away from everything. Ino said that field is owned by my family. Naruto sighed and said then sorry about trespassing like that, I thought it was a normal field. But that doesn't help this problem. How can I trust you if I let you go not to tell anyone what you saw? Ino said I promise. I won't tell anyone. Naruto said not even if Sasuke came up and told you that he would marry you if you told him. Ino couldn't answer and Naruto said that is what I am talking about, your promises mean nothing. Ino asked in a scared voice what are you going to do to me? Naruto sat down and said you know you screwed up right. I mean if I wasn't such a nice guy or a Konohinin and you did that then odds are you would be on this bed right now screaming in pain. Making Ino pale and flinch. Naruto said if I untie you, you will not run away until we can come to a solution. If you try to run I will have to capture you and odds are it will hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. Ino gulped and she nodded her head yes and Naruto walked behind her and untied her. Ino pulled her hands around and rubbed her wrist and Naruto sat back down and said after a few moments the way I see it, I can either blackmail you into keeping quiet, but if the right price came in front of you, then you would reveal what you saw and know, and then my life will be hell, even if I ruin your life by telling everyone how you sneak into friends and allies' minds and steal their knowledge for your own selfishness. That will result in you losing your ninja license and all your friends and make your clan look bad. I don't think you would want that because you would never be with Sasuke then. Ino bit her lip and thought damn, I was fixing to run, but nothing was stopping him from ratting me out if I did escape. And asked so what? Naruto looked at the fire for a moment and he heard a whisper in his ear in a seductive tone and as he listened he said, that might work. Ino asked what? Naruto looked at her and said the only way I can properly protect myself from you revealing what you know is to keep you prisoner. Before Ino could react she felt the kunai on her neck and Naruto said don't. I don't mean I will keep you locked up here, but I have an idea that will keep you on a leash like a dog until the Chunin exams. Ino said I'm no dog. Naruto said dogs obey their masters and are given treats for good behavior and punished for bad. Prisoners are given only the essential to live and are interrogated and used by the other prisoners or guards. It's your choice which you want to be. You either stay a prisoner locked away somewhere I know you can't tell anyone what you saw, or I can let you walk out of this cabin and go back to your life with a few rules and restrictions that you have to follow until the exams are over, and then you can do whatever you want. It's your choice. Ino started to open her mouth when Naruto said, don't think you can say you agree to it now and back out later, because I have an insurance policy in mind that you will have to follow or no deal. Ino frowned and said since when did you get so smart and manipulative? Naruto sighed Ino. In the last 24 hours Mizuki-sensei tried to kill me. I found out my father was the Indama Hokage of Konoha, my mother was Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, also known as the Red Death, and that I am also the great-grandson of Hashirama Senju, or as most know him as the Shidama Hokage of Konoha, and I have his bloodline, which is why I can make plants grow. Those are but a few of the secrets that I have, and if any of them were found out before I am strong enough to defend myself, I will have assassins from Iwa, Kumo, Mist, and probably Suna as well coming here to kill me in my sleep and those I am close to. Now do you understand why I am like this? Ino swallowed and said in a dry voice yeah. Is that all true? Naruto said I look like my dad and you saw my bloodline and Mizuki is in jail right now for trying to kill me. Ino frowned and said alright, I can understand why you're this way now. What is it I got to do so I can leave? Naruto said from now until the exams are over, you are my servant and I am your master. You will do as I tell you and you will be silent about everything that is said between us to everyone and you will do everything I tell you to. In doing so you will be taught a lesson about invading other people's privacy when they are friends and allies and also so I can keep an eye on you. You will be given rewards for following my rules and punished by breaking them. My word will be law and is not negotiable. Do you understand? Ino looked down and said yeah, I understand. Naruto created a Kagebunshin that quickly left. After it was gone Naruto said remember the insurance policy I mentioned earlier, so I know you won't tell anyone. Ino gulped yeah. Naruto said when my Kagebunshin gets back you will learn what it is. For now I will tell you your duties. I know you work at your family shop, what time and when? Ino said usually every day until 5 when we close. I know I will have ninja duties also now. Naruto said I will as well. Alright. I will be training every day until 7 p.m. I want you to come every other day starting tomorrow to my apartment. I will leave a scroll full of chores you will do. Ino said chores. I'm not doing your chores. Naruto said then I guess I will have to lock you up then. Ino frowned and Naruto said now don't interrupt me again. Now these chores are your payment to me for the crime you committed against me. I expect you to present yourself as a servant will to her master in every way possible. If you fail to do so or fail to complete your chores before I arrive back at my apartment at 7, then you will be punished. Anything special you need like hygiene or clothes you may leave in my spare room so you don't have to drag them across town each day. Ino said when you say clothes. What do you mean? Naruto said, a maid's outfit. Ino glared at him and Naruto smirked and said you won't like the alternative. Ino frowned and said fine, what else? Naruto said I won't make you do it every day, but unless you are on missions you must come by every other day. If you fail to do so I will carry out my insurance policy. Just then the door opened and the Kajubunshin walked in and said, these were all I could find. As he held up 3 rosebuds. Ino blinked and laughed and said, your big insurance policy is young roses. Naruto smirked and said laugh all you want, but you're forgetting several things Ino. Ino said in an amused tone oh. And what's that? Naruto said my bloodline. Your family business. And what range I can use my bloodline from. Ino's eyes darted back and forward a moment before she paled and said, you could attack me in my home. Naruto said or destroy all your plants and ruin your business, or have them destroy your home. And because plants are nearly everywhere I could attack you nearly anywhere. Ino frowned and said I see your point. Naruto said good. So do we have a deal, you follow my directions and be my servant and get rewards, fail to keep your silence or complete your task and be punished as I see fit. Agreed. Ino sighed and said fine, I agree. Naruto said good. And since we were able to reach an agreement without anyone being hurt besides trust and a few scratches, I will give you a reward as I see fit. Are you ready for it? Ino said I guess. Naruto said good, stand up and take your clothes off. Ino's eyes got wide and screamed what? Naruto said remember Ino, you are now my servant and must do as I said or you will be punished. I am not going to touch you with anything on my body or rape you or force you to have sex or anything like that. All I am going to do is talk to you while you stand still and let these roses touch your skin. It's something one of those 3 ladies you saw taught me and you will love it. I promise you. If I break my word by touching you with anything on my body or try to rape you or force you to have sex the deal's all off and you can have me arrested and I will keep silent. But if I keep my word you have to follow my directions. I will even let you hold a kunai for your protection if you want. It's a sign of trust that I am giving you. By showing that you are vulnerable and that I don't do anything to you then you see that I am not actually a bad person. I was vulnerable to you before Ino when you entered my mind, so I just want you to see and feel what me and any other friends or allies you used it on feels like. Ino frowned and said but. I don't want to show you my body. Naruto said to Ino, I didn't want you to see my memories. One of your chores will be to draw me a bath and when I request it to wash my back so odds are unless you want to stand for some time with wet clothes on, then you're going to have to get used to me seeing you and you seeing me. Ino said you're a sick bastard. You know that. Naruto said actually, you can blame those 3 ladies for this. After all they were the ones who taught me everything I know about what I planned for your gifts and punishments. Ino frowned and said fine. But can you give me a little privacy? Naruto said I will wait outside until you call me back in and I will even let you still keep your bindings, panties and bra on. Here is your kunai. As he threw it into the floor and walked out. Ino sat down and thought to herself for several minutes weighing her choices and after standing up and closing her eyes began to undress. Naruto waited about 10 minutes when Ino's voice said meekly okay. Naruto came in and his eyes went wide as they trailed down Ino's body and said, you have a body that rivals a goddess Ino. Ino blushed and said please stop staring and get it over with so I can get dressed and go. As she covered her chest with one arm and her pussy with her other hand, though she still had on panties and a bra. Naruto nods and walks over grabbing one of the roses and says arms out to your side and eyes closed. Ino bit her lip and slowly moved her hands away and Naruto walked over and put the rose on Ino's forehead and said now be perfectly still and listen to my voice. Feel the rose as it caresses your body and imagine that it is me doing this, not Sasuke, not yourself or anyone else, but imagine that this rose was my lips traveling along your body. As he slowly began to move the rose down her nose to her top lip and slowly spun it and said inhale my scent as I breathed lightly on your lips. As he brought it down onto her lips and slowly began to move it across her lips and said seductively, as I lightly kissed your lips and you felt the velvet touch from my lips. As he slowly trailed across to her ear and said as he moved his head closer in a seductive tone, as I whisper how beautiful you are and how my eyes see an angel before me a mere mortal. As he trailed down her cheekbone to her collarbone and said as I kissed my way down and lightly nibbled. Here. As Ino gasped and her eyes fluttered as Naruto spun the rose just enough for a thorn to lightly nick the skin. Naruto slowly brought it back to the center of her neck and down to the valley between Ino's C-cup breasts and said, as I find my way down to your heart and I caress your breast as I nibble on your nipple feeling your heart beating with mine. As he slowly went around her nipple that was poking through her bra below her heart and then trailed over to the other breast and did the same. By now Ino was panting as her body was flooded with pleasure and she thought oh Kami, what is happening? Naruto used another rose to begin to tease both erect nipples now and Ino shuddered as Naruto had a cage bunchen he had made earlier that went outside with him to take the last rose and began to trail down Ino's body and Naruto said, as I let my hands caress both your breast, I kiss my way down, lightly teasing your belly button and down, till I reach the top of your panties. Ino shuddered and said please. Naruto said silence Ino and be still. Ino bit her lips, and the clone moved the rose to her right knee, and Naruto said, as I work my way from your knee to your inner thigh, looking at the gates of heaven before me, kissing each step of the golden path. Before doing the same to the other leg. By now Ino's legs were trembling, and the clone took the rose and began to lightly tease Ino's inner thigh on both sides, and Naruto said, and then as I reach the gates to drink from that heavenly nectar, I can't help but stare at the goddess that is giving it to me, and give my praise of undying love, and in my eyes take in her beauty, I look upon her lips, and pray to hear my name come from her beautiful lips. And the clone stood up quickly, running the rose by her real lips and under her nose, and Naruto said, but alas, I must wake from this dream, because a mortal like me knows the goddess' heart belongs to another, and the name that would come out would not be mine, so I look at the goddess and pray, I dream of her another night. I gave you the same modesty you use when you wear a two-piece bathing suit, you are so famous for when anyone else could have done more. Good night Ino, see you tomorrow my servant, and remember, I will reward good behavior and punish bad. As the clone slipped the rose in her hair before both went up in smoke, leaving Ino alone in the house on trembling legs. Ino's breath was in short shallow breaths as her eyes were unfocused, and she fell to her knees and thought, oh Kami. Oh. As she closed her eyes and sat there. In a clearing some distance away, Naruto's eyes fluttered as the memories from his two clones returned, and he heard, is everything alright young master? Naruto looked up and said, yes Oak. My last two clones that I had training just dispelled and I got their memories. Please continue. Oak nodded and said, so what you must do is. When Ino made it to her family shop, she walked in and the scent of the flowers hit her, and her eyes went wide before fluttering, and she fell to her knees, feeling her body react to the scent and the memories that came with it. Inoichi said, Ino, are you alright dear? As he ran around the counter. Ino felt her body orgasm as her body, remembering the rose that she still had in her ear and the feeling that it brought, and she closed her eyes and saw Naruto as the one pleasing her as his words rang in her head, and she felt her dad touch her shoulder calling her name, and for a moment she thought it was Naruto until she caught herself and she bit her lip and said as she caught her breath, yeah, Dad. I just overdid it today. I think I need to take a shower and go lay down. I in a dry voice. Inoichi frowned and said, you need to be more careful, princess. Ino swallows and says, I'll try daddy. As she slowly got up holding her breath so as not to smell any more flowers and went up the stairs and quickly locked herself in the bathroom before slumping against the door. As she laid there, Naruto's final words to her rang in her head and she realized something and thought, you asshole. You made me inhale the scent of that rose so that any time I smelt that scent I would remember and my body would want to feel that again. As she raised her hand up to the rose in her hair and as her finger brushed the petal her body shivered and she bit her lip and thought, and the touch of a flower as well. Your rewards are torture as well because of my family business I have to interact every day with. How am I going to handle this when my body reacts like this? As she looked at her soaked shorts. The next day Naruto was back in the woods when a kunai flew at his head and he replaced himself with a log and saw Ino walk out and Naruto screamed, what the hell Ino? Ino glared at him and said, you bastard. Your reward has tortured me all night and day. I can't stop thinking about it and my body won't stop reacting to the touch and scent of flowers. Naruto smirked and said in a seductive tone, so how do you like it, my servant? No matter where you go or what you do, I will always be able to have you think of me and remember my touch. I can make flowers bloom anywhere you go, so running away won't work, and if I can cause you pleasure when I'm not around, what could I do for pain? You are my prisoner in a prison without walls or bars. Ino shivered at the words he said and said, please stop. Naruto placed his hand on the ground and a rose grew and Ino took a step back in fear and Naruto said, just the thought of what I could do to you terrifies you. And excites you. As he threw the rose on the ground, earning a sigh of relief from Ino. Naruto stopped using the seductive tone and said, now you know how I feel, Ino. Making her blink and asking what. Naruto looked at her and said, when you invaded my mind to steal my secrets, my treasure. I am afraid of you. You were someone I went to the academy with and we may not have been friends, but we knew each other. You have made me scared of you and everyone else in this village, especially after Mizuki tried to kill me. I have to look at everyone in this village as an enemy now because of you. How do I know that Shikamaru won't use his shadow to make me walk off a cliff, or Choji to use his family to crush me, or Sasuke to use a fire on me? You destroyed my trust in everyone and made me a prisoner in a prison with no walls or bars, and yet I must constantly fear the others around me now. I just returned the favor, but you only have experienced the pleasure of it so far, because I am being nice to you, but I could just as easily make you fear what I can do as well. I don't want people to fear me, but I also don't want to live in fear also. Ino's eyes looked down and she softly whispered, I didn't think of it that way before. Naruto said to Ino. You need to wake up. Ino looked confused and said, I am awake. Naruto looked at her and said, no you're not. Right now you live in your own little dream world where everyone does everything for you, where you can be as big of a bitch to anyone you want and do anything to anyone because they see the little princess of the Yamanaka clan. Nobody sees the woman you really are, the woman who is asleep inside of you. The one who could face any danger that came at her and kicked it ass or ran in fear from the slightest scare. I remember I asked you if you knew what could happen to you if I was a real enemy. Instead of going home to your daddy or going back to your dream world you live in where your dreams your knight in shining armor will come and rescue you, and where you marry Sasuke and live happily ever after you could be a broken and bloody mess, lying in some ditch dying alone and cold or sold as a slave to be used by the highest bidder. I admit what I did to you was wrong and you have every right to hate me. But you also should be thanking me. Ino, who was thinking over his words, felt that was a slap in the face and said thank you. For what? Naruto said, for helping to show you the dream world you live in isn't real, to give you a reason to find who you really are and not the fangirl who only uses those around her as playthings. I've seen the way you treat Choji and Shikamaru. Both see you as a sister since your families are so close, but all you see them as are subjects to be pushed around by you to do what you want. The lazy ass and the fat ass as you call them. You can't even call someone you thought of as your best friend her name. You have to insult her and treat her like she's lower than you. You use everyone and anyone to do what you want because people respect your family name and your family reputation, but like Sasuke, you're nothing but a spoiled little brat who uses your family name to claim you are better than others. Ino said Sasuke-kun was not like that. Naruto said really. As he was into Ino and said Sasuke-kuns are so cool and dreamy. Before he dropped the hinge and said why. Why is he so cool? What has he ever done that is so important that he deserves special recognition from you and the rest of the village? Has he even said a kind word to you or any of the other girls who chase after him? Ino quickly said of course he has. Naruto crossed his arms and said really? What? Ino opened her mouth and closed it and then said I don't know, but I know he has. Naruto said really, how do you know that? Ino said because people respect him. Naruto said, and why do people respect him? Ino quickly said because he's an Uchi. As her eyes got wide a moment and Naruto said because of who his family was. Even you admit the only reason you like him is because he comes from a rich and famous clan and you want to be famous and rich also. You want to be the princess and have your big dream wedding and live your big fancy life. But what will it matter when none of your friends come to your wedding because you have none from being a bitch to them for years, or what is so important about living a fancy life if you sit at home alone? Ino said, but I won't be alone, I'll have Sasuke. Naruto snorted and said really? What is Sasuke's goal in life, Ino? Ino blinked and said I don't know. Naruto said to kill his brother and restore his clan. Ino said well yeah, Sasuke's brother killed his clan and as the last Uchiha Sasuke has a duty to restore his clan. Naruto said yeah, just like I will when I reveal who I really am. But you know the difference between Sasuke and me. I told you the order Sasuke goals are from most important to least. Restoring his clan comes second to Sasuke. Sasuke trains every day to get stronger and is waiting until he knows where Itachi is thinking. Itachi is just going to stand and wait for him. He will marry several girls, fuck them until they are pregnant and then leave to chase after his brother. When he gets there he will find a clue where he went and instead of coming back to the woman who are the mothers of his children, he will follow that clue and the next, going day after day chasing a dream that either someone else will finish destroying Sasuke's lifelong goal or living a life of misery and despair where his whole world revolves around Itachi until he dies alone somewhere, never even seeing the face of his children or the woman who threw their lives away for him. Ino said Sasuke was not like that. You're wrong. Naruto said really, then why is it the report I just gave you, the one your own dad gave you about Sasuke, after he entered Sasuke's mind to determine if he should be allowed to be a ninja? Ino's eyes got wide and Naruto said Sasuke was a flight risk. That's your dad's official statement. His file was on the Hokage's desk when I went there after Mizuki tried to kill me and I read it while the Hokage was ordering what was to be done with Mizuki. Your dad recommended that Sasuke be put on a team with a sensei who will spend some quality time with Sasuke alone, trying to get him to forget his revenge, or someone who is willing to kill Sasuke should he flee, but Sasuke is an avenger who feels that avenging his clan is more important than restoring it. You may doubt my words but ask your dad the truth. Ask him not to lie to you and ask him if Sasuke is a flight risk who would betray the village if someone offered him power or promised to deliver Itachi to him. You should know how to read your father if he is lying or not. Now it is already after 4 and you have duties you have to get ready for. You can believe me or not and you can go back to your prison because I am your enemy. One who doesn't give shit about your clan or that you're a princess. To me you're someone who I own and who I have to watch to make sure she follows the rules or I will punish her. Now leave me alone, I have training to do. Here's the key to my apartment, the address is on the key. As he threw it on the ground at her feet. Naruto said I will be home at 7, you can either do your task and be rewarded as I see fit or you can be punished. Goodbye. As he turned his back to her, Ino took the key and left the clearing in her thoughts. After she was gone Naruto slumped to the ground and thought I hope I am doing the right thing. Chapter 3. When Ino made it to Naruto's apartment after walking around for a bit, she opened the door and saw the place and thought, what a mess. As she saw a note on the table with her name on it, she walked over and read the note. Dishes, laundry, sweep the floors, make the bed, sack up the trash, cook dinner, and if you need groceries get them yourself. I expect a warm bath drawn for me when I get home so I can wash up before I eat, and you will assist in washing my back and hair, and I expect you to be in your uniform when I get home. After my bath, you will serve me dinner and you shall read to me a chapter of a story I have marked for you to read as my entertainment. After you have finished your task I will give you your reward or punishment depending on your performance. That would be your task on the nights you are to come serve me. If I find out you have betrayed my trust though you will not like the results. Ino frowned and said forget this. I'll stay here but he can clean his own damn place. As she sat down and picked up the book but it would not open for her and she frowned after breaking a nail. At 7 p.m. Naruto walked into the apartment and looked around and saw Ino sitting asleep in a chair and he thought you make this too easy for Ino. As he threw kunai at the ceiling above Ino. The next moment Ino screamed as the tiles on the ceiling span and water balloons with ice water in them fell on her, soaking her to the core. Naruto said that was one of your punishments. That was for not having my bath drawn. You still have several others to go. As he walked over and sat down on the counter. Ino screamed what the hell Naruto? Are you trying to kill me? Naruto rubbed his ear and said are you finished now prisoner? Ino screamed that's it, I'm out of here. As she went to the door and tried to open the door but it wouldn't work. She glared at Naruto and walked to the window and tried to raise them and it wouldn't work and she began to scream at the people walking on the road and hitting the glass and after 10 minutes she was panting hard for air. Naruto smirked as he laid back on the counter and asked feel better now? Ino turned and glared at him and Naruto said in case you're wondering, this entire building we are in belongs to me. The Hokage sold it to me when the old owner passed away and I've owned it since I was 6. This isn't really my apartment. Ino frowned and said then why did you have me come here and why can't I get out? Naruto said well, I don't trust you with my real apartment yet because you have not shown me that you are no longer my enemy so I had you come to this one as a lesson for you. Ino said I don't need your stupid lessons. Let me go. Naruto rolled off the counter and landed on his feet in the kitchen and said see, that's your problem right there Ino. You still think you can do what you want and get away with it. You don't want to own up to your responsibilities and that is going to get you or others hurt or killed. Ino said and what would you know? Naruto's face changed expression several times before he sighed and walked out of the kitchen and into the bedroom and came back out with a purple satin dress with jewels embroidery on it, causing Ino to gasp at the beauty of the dress, and Naruto said in a sad tone, this dress was what I was planning to give you as a reward for cleaning this place up and doing your duty. It belongs to one of the only friends I ever had. As he looked at the dress sadly. Ino looked shocked and she said why do you sound so sad? As her eyes took in the details of the dress. Naruto bit his lip and said her name was Riku. She was a damn good one. She taught me to read, that book over there was a gift from her. She had it specially made with her favorite stories from her childhood to teach me to read where only her and I could open it. She taught me to cook and yes I do eat more than just ramen. She also taught me about respecting women. She lived here. As he looked around. Ino looked around and said she wasn't very clean. Naruto closed his eyes and said her fiancé did this when he got word she died on a mission 4 months ago. She was teamed up with several other women who were in her class or within a year of it. Each was actually related. One of the girls was a fangirl throughout her years at the academy for the Rookie of the Year. They were tasked with infiltrating and spying on a rich businessman. Riku told me about each of the girls who were going with her and what they were going to have to do. Each of the things on that list I gave you to do were what they were going to have to do. Ino frowned and looked at the list on the table and Naruto said the fangirl, she was just like you, Ino. She was the daughter of a council member. Because of who her father is she got away with being treated as a princess and if she did something wrong, others were blamed for it. Just like you do to Choji and Shikamaru. When the girl was told to do those tasks she tried to act like her usual self and order others to do it. The businessman had her taken in a room and taught the proper respect. To end the pain she was in she made a deal. Her freedom in exchange for ratting out the rest of the team. 2 of the girls were her own sisters, twins who were a year younger than her and Riku was her cousin. Making Ino gasp. Naruto looked at the dress and said I know I'm an asshole, I know it seems like I am using you Ino, but it's not because I'm getting enjoyment out of it. You brought up a lot of bad memories for me when you crossed the line you crossed yesterday by trying to steal my secrets. You made me not only question those around me, but also question your integrity. If you wound up in the same situation that girl was in would you sell out your team, your friends, family, village? You're not a bad person, Ino. I was there that day you saved Sakura from the bullies, I was there when you defended Choji from kids picking on him. I was also there that night when you snuck out of your home to help that one girl to run away. Ino's eyes got wide as she looked at Naruto. Naruto said, you remember how the guy chased you and her? Remember how someone took her coat and ran back the way you came? Ino said, that was you. In disbelief, Naruto said, yeah. That guy used the kids as slave labor. I told the Hokage, but the Hokage said it was an orphanage and the man was very well respected and there was no proof of any wrongdoing. It's the same orphanage I was kicked out of at the age of 5 when I tried to rat him out. That's actually how I got this place, to come to think of it. It was after I took her coat and made him follow me thinking I was that girl that I was able to get an Anbu patrol attention and walked away with only a broken arm. The Hokage, after having him interrogated, learned I had been living on the streets for nearly a year and he gave me my apartment and later that year this building. Ino stood there sobered and Naruto hung the dress on the door and said, after I first got to this place, some people broke in and destroyed a lot of stuff. The Hokage, after he helped me get everything back together, put seals all over the building. The reason nobody heard you is from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. the building is soundproof from everything outside and from the other apartments. The windows have seals to make it where nobody could see in also or break the windows. The doors can only be opened with a key from the outside, even if you forget to lock the doors when you leave, and you have to either put a drop of blood on the handle if you're a civilian or send chakra into the handle to open it from the inside. I guess I suck as a teacher as well since I couldn't teach humility and wanted to make sure you didn't follow the same path that fangirl did. You can go whenever you want, Ino, and take the dress. You can use it more than me. Good night. As he went toward the door, Ino said, wait. Naruto turned to look at her and she asked, why are you doing this? What are you really after? It's more than what I did to you or about making sure I don't turn out like that girl. Naruto walked to the book on the table and opened it and Ino said, you're saying if I want answers I have to read it, huh? Naruto said, yeah, the book can't be moved by anyone but me so it's safe here. Well, I've had a hard day training and I got another one tomorrow. I'm wanting to master as much of my bloodline as I can before we get our teams on Monday, since I won't be able to train with it much after that if I want to keep it a secret. Night, Ino. See you in 2 days. Same rules as before except here. As he tossed another key on the table and Naruto said, it's the apartment across the hall. Next time I will carry out my punishment. If you want to, you could look through this apartment here and see if you could find some dry clothes since I know you're shivering from that ice water. Ino said, how did you put ice water on me? Naruto jumped up and touched the tiles and they began to spin and Naruto said, when I was rewiring this building after the breakers kept blowing, I didn't want to destroy the tiles or walls, so I made it where the tiles fixed themselves back while giving me access to get to the wiring. Not bad, huh? Ino said, yeah, not bad. I never figured you would be skilled enough to rewire a building. Naruto looked at the ceiling and said, I'm not actually dumb, Ino. When someone is willing to teach me things I learn really quickly. I'm more of a hands-on type of person. It's book smarts that I have trouble with. Mostly since I couldn't actually read until last year and by then I've been mostly trying to catch up. The Hokage helped me out a few times. People who come to Konoha to start a new life here often need a place to stay till they can get the money to get a place. If they were skilled workers like a plumber or electrician or mason worker or even a carpenter, he would let them stay here in exchange for them teaching me some of their skills. It would only be a day or two while they look for a place and maybe an hour or two a day, but with them teaching me the basics in that time I could piece the rest together. Ino frowned and said, how come you don't act like this all the time? Why do you act so mature now, but before you act like an idiot? Naruto said, maybe I will tell you someday if you quit being my enemy. Anyways, I put some water balloons above each of the chairs and turned on the AC because I figured you wouldn't do what I asked without a fight and normally I would have fought you, but I just don't have it in me tonight. Remembering dead friends takes a toll on you. Good night, Ino. As he turned, grabbing the key to the apartment they were in and leaving. Ino looked at the apartment and then at the book and then at the dress and she closed her eyes and sighed before she went to find her some clothes and then after finding some shorts and a shirt, walked over and began to read the story. After she read it she thought, I think I understand Naruto now. The princess in that story was just like me, treating others like shit and shallow. In fact the story felt like it was me when I read it. You're taking the role of the prince who disguised himself as a peasant and forced the princess to learn the value of hard work and humility, and in the end she found it and went from being seen as the spoiled princess who everyone hated to the kind and humble queen who all the people loved. As she wiped a tear from her eyes before she looked at the dress and then began to clean the apartment. In the bedroom a small picture frame went up in smoke as Ino began to clean. In Naruto's apartment Naruto was cleaning his dishes when the memories from his clone hit him and he smiled and he dried his hands off and he walked into his bedroom and went to sleep. In the other apartment, Ino wipes the sweat from her head and says, that wasn't so bad. As she looked around before her eyes landed on the dress, she smiled to herself and walked over and looked at it and thought it's beautiful. Thank you, Naruto. The next day Naruto was leaning against a tree when Ino walked into the clearing wearing the purple dress she got the night before and a picnic basket. Naruto looked at her and after looking her up and down said you look lovely Ino. Ino smiled as she moved her hair behind her head and said, you hungry? I brought a picnic lunch. Naruto eyes the basket and Ino saw this and closed her eyes before she said, if you're worried it's poison you can have me eat anything to test it first. Naruto said oh, I'm not worried about poison. As long as I have chakra I'm immune to all poisons. I may get a stomachache or small fever, but that would be it. Ino blinked and said really, you have another bloodline or something. Naruto said something. I just was wondering if you really knew how to cook and if so how good. You never struck me as a homebody. Ino had a vein pop on her head and said hey, I can cook. Naruto said sorry. So why did you fix a picnic and come to me? I figure you would be with Sakura chasing Sasuke or with one of your friends or family. Ino bit her lip and walked over and pulled out a blanket and spread it out before sitting down on her knees and pulling out some sandwiches, bottles of water, and salads, ignoring Naruto's question. After she was done Naruto walked over and sat down on the blanket also and picked up a sandwich, a bowl of salad and water, and began to slowly eat with manners to Ino's surprise, and Ino said thank you. Naruto blinked and asked what for. Ino looked at the food she had started to eat and said I'm a bitch. I knew that. I just never knew I was that much of one. Naruto watched her as she looked in thought, eating more of the food giving her time to think, and Ino said when I read that story, it was like it was talking about me. I treated anyone and everyone as if they were subjects to me. It took you scaring and shocking me to snap me out of it. You were right when you said the real me was asleep. When I cleaned that apartment I kept thinking over my life and I saw things I wish I could change. I don't like who I am. Naruto said then change. Ino smiled and said you make it so easy. Naruto sighed and laid down on the blanket and looked at the sky and said, do you know about the goddess of fate, destiny, and chance, Ino? Ino said no. Naruto said I do. I learned they are not what everyone believes they are. The only fate we all have is we are fated to die. The only destiny anything that dies has is to first be born. Chance gets mixed in there a little, but only after mortals have already made their choice. They don't tell us we are to marry this person or fall in love with that person. Let's take you and me for example. It was not fate or destiny that you would find me practicing that day. It was not them who decided you would use your family on me. Those were all your choices. When you entered my mind you could have appeared in front of any of my memories. It was a chance that determined you would appear in front of the one with me and those three ladies. It was your choice to actually view them. Ami gave everything one gift in life, the gift of choice. It is choices that make us who we are and what we do. It is those choices that will determine if you will fall in love with someone or hate their guts. To change who you are is also a choice Ino. You just have to make up your mind to change and choose to work toward it. Ino looked at Naruto with wonder and Naruto closed his eyes and smiled and said, it's also nice to take a moment to enjoy life. The gods made it a sunny day and gave us this gentle breeze. It was your choice to bring a picnic here and it was my choice to join you and enjoy the beauty the gods gave us today. Ino smiled and asked in an unsure voice do you mind if I join you in enjoying it? Naruto said it's your choice. With a smile. Ino smiled and got up and moved over to where Naruto was laying on the blanket and she laid her head on his arm and looked at the sky and smiled and said, I never thought I would be here like this with you. Naruto smiled and said I never thought I would have someone like you actually want to be like this with me. Ino frowned and asked like me. What do you mean? As she bit her lip placing her hand on his chest and looking at his face still on his arm. Naruto said royalty like you with a peasant like me. Ino sat up and said if anyone should be considered royalty it's you. Naruto closed his eyes and said in a quiet voice to Ino. What do you know about me? Ino blinked and sat up and looked at Naruto and asked why. Naruto opened his eyes half-lidded and he looked at her for several moments and said I need to know if people still see me as human or not. Ino looked confused and said of course you are human. Why wouldn't you be? Naruto looked at her before looking at the sky and after a few minutes said can I trust you? Ino blinked and Naruto sat up grabbing her hands and looked her in the eyes and said forget everything else for now. Forget our past, forget the future, forget your family and friends. Forget what happened between us before. Right here, right now, a woman in front of a man, one soul to another, I ask you, can I trust you? Ino looked at him and thought something was different. This is something very important to him. And said you can trust me, I won't betray your trust again. Naruto nods and says, then for right now, can we pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist, that you and I are the only two humans in the world, and that we can just lay here and forget all our duties and responsibilities and what the world might think and just hold each other? Ino turned her head to the side and asked why. Naruto looked sad and said never mind. As he started to get up, Ino quickly grabbed his shoulder stopping him and she said no. Wait, I didn't say we couldn't. I was just wondering why. Naruto looked down and said I want to be normal for one day. Forget what others think. I just want one day to relax and enjoy life in its simplest form. One woman and one man just relaxing in comfortable silence where no words are needed, but if there are some spoken they are not judged by the world around us. Ino saw the look of turmoil in Naruto's eyes and said alright. Naruto smiled as he laid back on the blanket and Ino laid down beside him and soon both were content relaxing as the wind blew through the trees, birds singing, clouds slowly slipping by overhead. Ino, who had moved her head from Naruto's arm to his chest, listened to his heart and thought I could get used to this. As her eyes slowly closed before she drifted off to sleep. Naruto moved his arm closer holding Ino next to him thinking, I wish it could stay like this forever. As he also slowly fell asleep. The tree nearby moved its branches to give them some shade and a voice said enjoy young master. Quietly. When Naruto was asleep he found himself in a white field and he blinked and looked around and thought where am I? The seductive female voice said everywhere and nowhere. Naruto looked around and said who's there? Show yourself. The voice said I would if I could, but I don't have a body to show. I am merely a spirit that is unwanted. Naruto frowned and said who are you? The voice said I don't really have a name. All I am is an emotion, but if you must call me a name call me that emotion, desire. Naruto said so tell me desire. Are you a god? Desire laughed and said no Naruto, I am like you. Something that was created and not wanted. Naruto said I'm wanted. Desire said in a happy voice really? Who? Naruto started to open his mouth when Desire continued who was there when you cried yourself to sleep? Who was there when you were hungry, thirsty, out in the rain and snow? Who brought you inside to keep you warm, who held you, who loved you? The answer is all the same. No one. Naruto said you're wrong, Jiji was there for me. Desire said oh, yes, he was there to make sure you were taken care of, that the villagers saw you as a hero, that you had friends and family, that you were given your real name and respected. He made sure you always had someone to protect you, to teach you to read, write, cook, feed yourself. He believed you when you told the truth and he never lied to you. Naruto flinched as he heard this and Desire said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. He may care for you, but can you be sure it's not out of guilt for your parents or that the people ignored his law? He cares more for the people of that village than he does you, even though your family made the village. Naruto who had closed his eyes trying to deny the words he heard asked why are you doing this? Desire said to show you that you're not alone in the world. There is someone else like you. Naruto wiped the tears from his eyes and asked what do you mean? Desire said when the world was still young Kami when she was creating things did not know what she wanted. She made things and then had them die off to make something even better. Sometimes she would create things only halfway, then decide to do it another way. The thing that all living creatures call emotions was one such thing. Kami originally made spirits like me each made from a specific emotion, but then she decided that one spirit per emotion would be a waste of time, so she combined the essence of each of the spirits as one feeling known as emotion. She then took us spirits that she had originally created and sealed us in her little scrap box as a memory only for her to remember her childish mistake where we were to be sealed away forever had someone not been curious and opened the box freeing us. Since then we have drifted going from one place to another, reminding people the emotion we represented. Naruto frowned and said that was you that day. The day in the cabin with me and Ino, wasn't it? Desire said yes. I saw yours and her desire and I decided to help you both get what you desired. Naruto said what do you mean? In a confused voice. Desire said you desired to keep your secrets and to make sure Ino did not tell anyone and to teach her a lesson. Ino also had a desire, one she's been after most of her life that nobody would fulfill. Naruto said you controlled me. Desire said no, I advised you and you chose to follow it. I am nothing more than what you told Ino the gods were. I merely help people realize what it is they truly desire. It is their choice to chase it. Naruto asked then why did you advise me to do that to Ino? Surely there was another way. The world changed from a white room to a room Naruto recognized as the room he had Ino clean and he looked around and he heard Desire whisper watch Naruto, this is Ino dream she is having right now, her desire. Naruto watched as Ino sat there in the chair like she had been before and he saw himself walk in and the other Naruto, during this the other Naruto will be called Maelstrom, looked around the room and then at Ino and said, why did you not do your chores Ino? Ino said because I'm not cleaning your place. Maelstrom said then you leave me no choice but to punish you, Ino. As he began to walk toward Ino. Ino jumped to her feet and said in a scared voice what are you going to do? Maelstrom grabbed Ino by the arm and sat down in the chair Ino had been in and pulled her down with him before placing his arm across her back as she tried to get free and he said, hold still or I will punish you more than I already am. Ino said no, let me go. Maelstrom smacked her across the ass several times making her cry out and after the third one he stopped and said now are you going to listen? Ino said yes. Maelstrom smacked her ass again and said I own you now Ino, you belong to me. You are my slave. You please me and I will reward you, fail me and I shall punish you. You will refer to me as a master when you speak to me because you are my property. Do you understand? As he smacked her ass again. Ino yelped and said yes master. Maelstrom said good, then here is your punishment for not doing your chores. I shall spank you 5 times. Each time I do you will count out how many I have hit you and thank me for it and ask for another. Do you understand? Ino said yes master. Maelstrom nods and smacks her once and she said 1, thank you master may I have another. 2 thank you master may I have another, 3 thank you master, may I have another, 4 thank you master, may I have another, 5 thank you master, may I have another. Maelstrom then began to rub Ino's ass gently and said there, now that wasn't so bad was it? Ino said no master. Maelstrom said my, what is this? It seems you were excited about your punishment. As he rubbed Ino's panties that were now wet. Ino bit her lip and Maelstrom said answer me. Were you excited? Ino quickly said yes, master. Maelstrom said tell me, why were you excited? Ino looked down only to be smacked again across the ass and Ino quickly said, because I have been a bad girl and wanted to be punished. Maelstrom said so you wanted to be punished huh? You like to be punished? Ino said yes master. I like to be punished. Maelstrom said really? And what kind of punishment do you want? What would make you happy? Ino said what I want is for you to own me, use me, treat me as you please, order me to do anything and everything you want. Beat me, use me, whore me out. I don't care. As long as you treat me as a slave. If you want I will give up my ninja license at this moment, give up my clan name, anything as long as you treat me as a servant. Maelstrom asked, why would you want me to do that to you? Ino said it's the reason I've chased after Sasuke all these years. As she looked down and said in a less sure voice, ever since I was born and my mother passed away I have been the little princess. Dad, Chauza, Shikaku, Shikamaru, Choji, and customers. Even our sensei. I hate my life. Everyone treats me with respect since I am the heiress to the Yamanaka clan and the next generation Ino Shikacho. I've tried everything I could think of to be treated as any other girl. I shaved my head, I tried to burn my home down, I picked fights, I screwed up customers' orders, I purposely failed class assignments, I screamed, hit, insulted, and bossed around everyone and still everyone treated me as the little princess. I chased after Sasuke because I see what he is, a spoiled little brat who doesn't care about anyone and treats everyone like shit, hoping that he would treat me the same way, but all he did is ignore me. He will call Sakura annoying, but he won't even do that for me. I hate it. I hate people taking the blame for my actions to protect me. Maelstrom looked at her and said so I can treat you any way I want. Order you to do anything right. Ino said yes. Maelstrom said so I could tell you to go home and live your normal life and I won't have to deal with this ever again. Ino frowned as she looked down and said you're my last hope Naruto. I can't stand being the little princess anymore. I know it may sound nice and everyone thinks it's the way all girls want to be raised, but it's not. By being the little princess nobody sees me, Ino, all they see is the princess. Someone who is supposed to look pretty and is too weak to protect herself, a damsel in distress who is always waiting for her Prince Charming to come along, a little girl who is pure and chaste. I have fucking breast and a pussy for crying out loud. I should be used as breeding stock to pass on my bloodline or made to work in a kitchen slaving over a stove. Not sitting there looking like a trophy in a chair which is too fragile to even touch. As she was huffing at the end with tear stains on her face. Maelstrom said you want to be seen as you and not what everyone thinks you are. In a dead voice looking down. Ino said yes master. As she wiped tears off her face. Maelstrom said, you do realize there is no going back. I will own you and use you in every way I want. Ino said yes, master, I know. Maelstrom nods and says, very well, you are now mine. As he grabbed her and kissed her passionately before taking her to the bedroom. As the door slammed, Naruto was wide-eyed and the world changed back to the white room and Desire said now do you understand why I suggested that? The girl wants to be owned and controlled. Trade the life of fantasy for a real life, even the life of a slave, would be better than the life she lives now. That is why she came to seek you out wearing the gift you gave her as a reward. It was something she earned, not given. Naruto frowned and said I think I can understand. Desire said you desire so much. You desire fame, fortune, power, wealth, recognition, love, revenge. The list goes on and on. I could help you get all of it. Naruto blinked and said what do you mean? Desire said you will never fit in with immortals, first because of their fear of the demon, and if they learn about you being a demigod, they will still fear you. The gods see you as entertainment and unless you pass whatever test Kami set up for you, then that's all you will ever be to them. The only one you can count on is yourself. Alone. Just like me. Naruto frowned and Desire said unless. Naruto looked up and said unless what? Desire said unless we could be there for each other. I can help you get what you desire and you can help me get what I desire. Naruto narrowed his eyes and said which is. Desire said I'm tired of being alone. When I help someone get what they desire they don't need me anymore, so I am left alone to look for someone else. If you want we could become siblings. I could become your big sister who advises you on how to get what you desire, and you could be my little brother who would never leave me. Forever always, so neither of us would have to be alone again. Someone who could understand the pain of being unique. Naruto looked in thought and said, why should I trust you? How do I know that you're not trying to trick me to get something else? Desire said all I will do is advise you. Everything will be your choice. I will even place my soul in your hands. I will possess that sword you have if you swear that you will never leave me. Like Ino, I would gladly give up my ability to go anywhere that I want if it meant I would not be alone. Naruto thought for a moment and said, do you promise? Do you promise that you will help me achieve all my desires if I never leave you? Desire said yes. Naruto bit his lip and said very well. Then what should I do first? The world around them shimmered and the little fox appeared floating in the world and it began to glow and Naruto saw a small eye appear in the guard of the sword and he heard I have now become one with the sword. Just claim me here and now as yours. Naruto walked up and grabbed the sword and the world faded around him. Naruto awoke and looked down and saw Ino asleep on his chest and he blinked as he felt motion on his knee and he saw Ino humping his leg in her sleep and he heard her mutter softly, oh master. Naruto thought, okay, what now? He heard desire in his head and he said, Ino, wake up. In a commanding voice. Ino, who was startled, said yes master. Before she blinked and looked around. Naruto said, you have been very naughty Ino and have made my pants wet with your actions in your sleep. You must be punished. Ino blinked and said, huh, what? Naruto said, don't you remember Ino, you said you wanted me to own you, beat you, whore you out, as long as I treated you as a slave. Ino's eyes got wide and said that was real. Naruto said no. But it was your ultimate desire you had in your dream. I was there, watching it. I saw and heard your confession and I take that oath you swore very seriously. Ino asked how. How could you have seen that? Naruto said, you do not question your master nor do I need to punish you. As he raised his hand. Ino quickly got to her knees and said, no master. Naruto lowered his hand and said, was it true? Was what you just dreamed of what you really want and desire Ino? Ino bit her lip and slowly nodded her head yes. Naruto asked, would you like it to be real? For me to become your master? Ino's eyes sparked with hope a moment and said yes master. Naruto said, so I can use you any and every way I want. Ino said yes master. Naruto said, and your love for Sasuke? Ino said there was never any love, just hope that he would someday treat me like you are saying you a master. Naruto looked at Ino and said, and you have no problem with me being your master, you don't care about love or anything like that. Ino looked at Naruto and said, can I be an honest master? Naruto nodded and Ino said, it's not that I don't care about love. It's just that I'm numb inside. I don't know what real love is because of the way I've been treated, everyone claims they love me and it makes it where I believe love is nothing more than another form of friendship. When everyone loves you a little it's impossible to tell when someone actually loves you more than that. Naruto got up and walked over to Ino and used his hand under her chin to raise her head since she was on her knees and he leaned down and kissed her with as much passion as he could gently. Once the kiss was over Ino sat there with a dazed look on her face and Naruto, who moved his head by her face, whispered in her ear with as much honesty and care he could, swear your heart, mind, body and soul to me and I will do everything in my power to fulfill every desire you have and show you what it feels like to live and to love. I'll show you pleasure for pleasing me and pain for angering me. I'll protect you and provide for you, show you why you treasure what you have been given, appreciate what you earn, and mourn what you lost. This is an oath I swear to you. Will you accept my oath here and now with only nature and any of the gods watching us as witnesses besides us? Will you accept me as your master and serve only me until the end of your days, no matter what the future might bring? To never betray me or leave my side. Ino felt a warm feeling in her body as the words went through her mind and she closed her eyes enjoying the feeling and she leaned back and looked into Naruto's eyes, which she saw as nothing but honesty and care. She asked, are you asking me to be your wife because that sounded like a confession of love? Naruto said, wife and husband, yin and yang, master and servant. Each of these are names to bonds people share like you claim love is nothing but another form of friendship. Titles are merely names people give to make them feel connected. Which would you desire more, a feeling of a wife or a servant? I told you all life is a choice that we must live with. I ask you now which life you desire. Ino sat there for a moment and thought, which life do I choose? In the last few days I have felt more alive as a servant than I did as a princess. Anyone but Naruto would treat me as a princess. The question is, will I give my life to him? And asked, would you keep me? Naruto said, I treasure everything I own and keep it close to my heart because I know the pain of loss and know the value of having. I would keep you always, not only in life but in death also. I would treasure you for all eternity. I know I may someday get more servants or wives to share my life with, but I would treasure each uniquely, no matter what title they name the bond we share, because to me it is all the same. Ino smiled as she let a tear roll down her face and said, I've known more love as a servant these past few days than a lifetime as a princess. I treasure this dress more than the 100 I have in my closet because it was one I earned then was given or bought. I chose the life of a servant to faithfully be yours master forever and always. Naruto nodded and offered his hand, and Ino took it, and after she was on her feet he looked around and said, I think you have earned a reward Ino for making me happy. The secret that started this all, the one that I was afraid to reveal and afraid you found out about. The night Mizuki tried to kill me, a seal that was placed on me by my father the day I was born was activated. It was on my stomach and the seal had a special clone of my mother, along with these clothes, sword, and a few other things as well in it, including my birth certificate. However, someone also placed another seal on top of the one my dad placed on me. It could have been my dad who did it, or the Sandaime, or someone who wanted revenge against my family, but I don't know which and probably never will. The seal was what put those whiskers on my face. Ino asked what was so important about whiskers someone would put them on you. Naruto said the day I was born, Kyuubi attacked Konoha. The same day my parents passed away. Nobody has ever killed a demon before dad did. They have always been sealed away somewhere. Or I should say to someone. Ino gasped as she covered her mouth and said please tell me you're joking. Naruto said Jinchuriki. The power of a human sacrifice. Those who have a demon sealed in them are called that. Only an infant can have a demon sealed in them and live. That is what I was told. Whoever put the seal on me made everyone believe I was a Jinchuriki. Ino asked, but why would they do that? Naruto said depending on who put it on me, they will tell me why they did it. Konoha was weak after the Kyuubi attack. Either dad as the Hokage or the Sandaime knew that other villages might attack us in our weakened state and thought that having a demon they could threaten to release on whoever attacked us would be a good way to scare them not to. I could see both dad and Sandaime doing that. But I could also see someone hating dad and Konoha so much they would find it funny that Konoha would kill the son of their greatest enemy for them and then reveal who I am to make Konoha look bad after I was dead. I know that Sandaime knows who I really am. I have my parents' marriage certificate along with my birth certificate which both have his stamp on them, though he claims he doesn't. Naruto, whose face looked sad and his eyes lost focus showing he was in thought, said, the Sandaime passed a law saying no one was allowed to talk about the sealing after he made a village-wide announcement about it. He had hoped that I would have a normal life, but the people see me as the Kyuubi and have made my life hell. Sure there are some who don't but most do. The sad thing is thanks to Jiji law, until the night Mizuki tricked me and tried to kill me, I never even knew why I was treated like that. Then after that I find out that everyone is actually wrong about it and I'm not and all my pain and suffering was for nothing. As she sat down. Ino bit her lip and walked over and hugged him and said I'm sorry. Naruto rubbed her arm and said you didn't know. After about 10 minutes Ino, who had yet to let go of him, said so what shall I do for you master? Naruto said Do you want people to know about us yet? Ino said it's your call master. Naruto thought for a moment and said it's late today, I want to get a little more training in today before I go home. Why don't you go ahead and have some fun? Tomorrow go ahead and clean up that apartment I told you about. If things go like I plan I'm going to be moving out of that building soon and I can maybe turn it into a motel or rent it out for extra cash. After that I want you to get ready for our duties as ninja on Monday. I want you to write down a list of all that you know, how long you can run non-stop without needing a break and any other skills you think might be of use as a ninja or a person. That way I know what to ask you to do and also on what area you need to train in to improve. I need to improve also. Ino asked, why do you want to know my ninja skills? Naruto said because I don't want to see you die. Now don't question your master. As he began to tickle her side and Ino squirmed before bursting out laughing and she screamed quieted. Naruto kept on tickling her until both were rolling on the grass. Ino wound up pinned beneath Naruto who hovered over her face and he slowly leaned down and kissed her and Ino was in heaven. Naruto broke the kiss and thought a moment before a smile appeared on his face and said feel like shocking the hell out of Sakura, Sasuke and the rest of our class. Ino said what do you have in mind? Naruto whispered in her ear and her eyes got wide and she said, but I never. Naruto put his finger to her lips and said relax, there's a first time for everything and I'll reward you in advance. Ino asked what do you mean? Naruto smiles as he slipped a hand up her dress and her eyes got wide and Naruto said seductively, my, someone seems excited. Ino bit her lip as Naruto rubbed her through her panties and he kissed her lips passionately and she moaned into his mouth. After a few moments Ino was really turned on and Naruto crawled down and raised her dress up with Ino lifting her ass to help. Naruto then said purple really is your favorite color huh? Ino said yes master. As she blushed. Naruto nodded and slid her panties off and said just as beautiful as I thought it would be. As he bent down and began to kiss the outside of her thighs working his way up to her womanhood and he said Jasmine's. As he began to lick her womanhood with gusto, making Ino squirm and squeal in pleasure, and Naruto stopped and looked at Ino who mewed and Naruto said at least I now know why you're named Ino. Before she had a chance to respond he attacked her lips again and quickly began to assault her clit with his tongue. For the next 30 minutes Ino was in pleasure and was panting and squealing as Naruto used his mouth and fingers to please her. After her fourth orgasm Naruto stopped and crawled up to where Ino was exhausted and said so. Are you satisfied with your reward? Ino, whose eyes were half closed, said very. Naruto said good. Now I don't know about you, but I think we should head home for the day. Ino said you're not going to. A little sad. Naruto said fuck you. I will eventually but not today. I want you to be ready for it and I can tell you are nervous about it. We will take things slowly as long as you keep me pleased. Ino said and if I don't? In a half-defiant half-joke way. Naruto said I could have stopped each time before you climaxed. Ino's eyes got wide and she whimpered and said sorry master. Naruto said good. Now let's get this mess cleaned up from our lunch in my desert and go home to rest. Ino blushed as Naruto looked at her crotch when he said desert but slowly got up and slipped on her panties and began to clean up the picnic that Naruto had started to clean up. After they were done and started to leave Naruto called over his shoulder good night Oak, see you soon. Ino looked confused until a voice said good night young master. Ino's eyes got wide and said who was back there master. As she blushed thinking of what they saw. Naruto said I'll tell you later. Ino frowned but nodded and Naruto said don't tell anyone about us yet. I have a few things to take care of the next few days so you may not see me much but don't worry. I'll check up on you when I can and reward you if I see fit. Ino said I love your rewards master. Naruto stopped and pulled Ino close to him and looked her in the eyes and asked, is this what you want Ino? I mean things are moving very fast and I've been hated and will be hated for a while by the people of Konoha because of the lie and I don't know if I am ready to reveal the truth yet. Are you sure you want me? I don't want to trust you and be hurt. Ino looked into his eyes and said I won't betray you again, Naruto. I'm sorry I did. I know the most I might ever be to you is a sex toy to use as you see fit and a woman to pop out a kid or two for you because of what I did. I can also see that you won't actually hurt me. You could have hurt me at any time in that cabin or in that apartment and no one would have found me. I know you're stronger than me, so there is very little I could have done to stop you if you had. But you didn't. I've actually walked out in public before in less than what you saw me in at the cabin trying to get in trouble after dad told me I couldn't buy a $1,200 dress. Instead of punishing me for being spoiled he gave in and bought that dress and I never once wore it. This is what I have wanted since that night I saved that girl. Naruto asked why. What caused you to change into Ino the bitch? Ino looked down and said Sasuke. The girl I helped. I met her at the park a week before that. She was stealing wallets to give to the owner of the orphanage. I didn't understand why she was doing it so I went to the orphanage with her saying I didn't have any parents and I was only there for 3 hours when daddy found me and took me away. When I saw Sasuke again she had a broken arm and was missing a couple of teeth. She didn't trust me for leaving her and I wanted her trust back so when she told me that she found someone who was willing to take her away from the orphanage if she could get out of the orphanage, I agreed to help her escape. She met this woman. She looked like an Anbu but wasn't. I don't know how to describe her, but the woman told Sasuke that if she agreed to serve her master, she would have food, shelter, clothes, home, and a purpose. She would never have to fear being hurt again because she would be protected by her master and all she had to do was serve her master. Sasuke agreed and begged me to come with her. The Anbu seemed to know who I was and asked me if I wanted freedom also. Freedom from all the fake smiles and fake love, from everyone always having to protect me and having me be the weak little princess. I called the woman a liar, told her people loved me and it was real and begged Sasuke not to go with her. Sasuke left with her. I saw her a year later. I talked to her and asked how she was. She seemed so happy and said her master made her life great. She told me she had been watching me from a distance when she could and she pointed out how after I broke my leg Shikamaru and Choji had to stop what they were doing to catch me if I climbed a tree. How everyone had to protect the little princess and give me fake love-giving examples and how I was a weak little girl. I slapped her and that was the last time I saw her, but her last words were hope you're happy in your trophy case. Naruto pulled Ino into a hug because she had tears in her eyes. Ino said after that I took time to really look at things around me. That was when I ran into Sakura the first time and wanted to prove I wasn't a trophy by helping her. But even Sakura put me in a trophy case. I could never escape. I wanted an escape. Naruto said thus the reason you want to be a slave. Sasuke became truly happy because she became a slave to someone and so you thought if you could follow her footsteps that you could also. Ino said yeah. Pretty stupid huh? Naruto said you're talking to the guy who acts like orange is the greatest color ever who wants to be seen instead of ignored. I could probably understand you better than anyone. Listen to Ino. I'm not the best guy around but I will try to make you happy but not because I see the heiress to the Yamanaka clan. I only give respect to those who earned it in my eyes. The rest of the world can kiss my blonde ass as I tell them to fuck off. Now that you're showing the real you, you earn some of my respect so you're no longer my enemy. Or just a sex toy or a baby factory. If I wanted that I would let the council blow smoke up my ass. Kami, when the hell did I become this? As he grabbed his head hearing himself talk. Ino laughed and said what the hell's happening to us, Naruto? Naruto said damn if I know. I think I've been drinking again or something. Ino blinked and said you drink. Naruto said those three ladies. Well one of them happens to be my godmother as weird as that sounds. Ino scrunched her nose and said that sounds. Naruto said tell me about it. Anyways the other two are her sisters, though I don't know if it is by blood. They took me out to a bar away from the village and got me drunk and dancing and then. Well you saw how it ended. Ino shook her head and said well you did use protection right. Naruto said I don't know. I know they gave me this and said as long as I wear it, I don't have to worry about kids and my bloodline stops any STD. As he showed a ring on his finger. Ino looked at it and said there must be some kind of seal on it somewhere. Naruto said I don't know. But are you really okay with this? I mean are you sure you want the deadlast to be in charge of your life? Ino said I am master. Naruto said then make sure you please me so I can reward you. Well this looks like where we must go separate ways. I'll see you soon Ino. As they got back to the village. Ino quickly kissed him and said see you tomorrow Master Kun. As she ran off. Naruto sighed and Desire said so, how do you like me fulfilling your desire? Naruto thought I liked it. Desire said seductively good brother. As several small pea-sized balls of energy appeared in front of the eye of the sword on Naruto's back before it flew into the eye. After it was absorbed Desire thought this might work out better than I planned. With those desires fulfilled and the others this boy has, I shall become stronger and stronger and then I will have my revenge. I'll have my revenge on you my love. As an image of a man appeared in her mind. Chapter 4. The next day Ino was working at her family business when Naruto walked into the Yamanaka flower shop and Ino blinked and said, what are you doing here Naruto? Naruto said well I thought about what we were talking about and I came to speak with your father about it. Ino paled as Inoichi walked in out of the back and said I heard you wanted to speak with me about something. Naruto said yeah, Ino heard about the fact I owned my apartment building and she asked me about it and after getting some help recently I have an opening in the building. She told me since she's a kunoichi of the village she wanted to start showing everyone she could take care of herself and be more self-sufficient. Out of respect for her and yourself I wanted to come by and discuss the terms for renting it out. Is this a bad time or should I come back later? Inoichi looked at Ino and asked is this true Ino, were you really thinking about moving out? Ino saw Naruto barely nod and said yeah dad. I wanted to do it all on my own to show that I'm not a little girl anymore. Inoichi smiled and said I'm surprised honey and wish you would have talked with me, but I guess you wanted to be more self-reliant huh? Naruto said yeah and Ino really loved the place when I showed it to her and explained about the security features the apartment had. I mean the one with the soundproofing seals that make it where outside noise or noisy neighbors can't bother you, as well as nobody can see in through the window and spy on you, as well as the seals that make it where nobody but those who have a key can get in. You can't even get into the apartments. Inoichi said really? I didn't know about that. Naruto said perks of having the Hokage act as a grandpa. Every apartment I own is that way. I've mostly rented out to potential businessmen and women who are looking into moving to Konoha full-time, so most of the apartments are just sitting empty, but everything is on par with Konoha health codes. You know how strict the council enforces those on young landowners like me. With a wink at Inoichi. Inoichi said yeah, the council can be brutal sometimes. So what is this deal? Naruto said rent is $125 a month plus utilities with a $400 security deposit that I'm willing to split over the first year if Ino will sign a full year lease and you would co-sign saying if she comes up short on her payment, you would help her make her payment. If anyone moves in with her the rent will go up to $200 a month plus an extra $200 security deposit plus utilities. Inoichi said that seems reasonable, but what about upkeep and repairs? Naruto said the apartment passes all regulations and I have documented proof of that and if natural wear and tear causes the damage I will fix it, but if Ino purposely clogs the drain or floods the apartment or burns it down, which when investigated finds she was responsible, she will have to pay to repair it back to regulation standards. I don't care if she paints, but when she moves out the walls have to go back to being white before she gets her deposit. Inoichi said, and this is your standard rate you have for everyone. Naruto said for those interested in long-term renting like Ino it is. If it's a skilled worker like a carpenter or someone like that if they are willing to show me some skills to add to my own, I only charge them $100 a week utility included, though most move out within a day or two, finding what they were looking for and not finding it and moving on. It's how I can afford to keep my property up to code and not go broke. Inoichi nodded and said and this is what you want, princess. Ino said yes. I want to show everyone I can take care of myself. Inoichi nodded and said well alright then. I suppose you want to use your pay from here to cover it right? Naruto looked at Ino confused and said I thought you said you were wanting to earn it from doing missions and only work here part-time, giving your dad a chance to hire someone to work here and give him more free time also. It doesn't matter to me as long as you can make your payment, but I thought with the way you were asking me for training ideas, you were going to be spending time training to be a better kunoichi. Ino said, and I am. I just wanted to talk with daddy first to see if that's alright. I thought it would take you longer to get that apartment ready. Naruto said well I'm looking into getting some more properties soon and might be moving out of the apartment building soon into a house I'm looking into getting. Inoichi said the housing market is that good. Naruto said with the Chunin exams coming up in 6 months if I can play my cards right and use my pay from my missions as well as my skills I have, I might be able to turn a place that could be redeemed before the end of the year and get it ready between now and then and possibly rent it out to a feudal lord or some other wealthy VIP to stay in while they're here so they won't have to stay in a hotel but those they feel are below their station. Pride is a weapon just like any other that can be used for or against you. I could let them rent the house for a month at half the price it's going to cost me to buy the place and with a few others, I could earn enough off the guests to pay for it all at that time. Inoichi said that's actually a very good idea if you can get them to stay there. Naruto said Jiji always tells me how the Fire Lord hates the fact he has to stay in a hotel when he comes here even though he owns a house here. Something about a pet allergy or something. I could talk to Jiji to offer my services so he won't have to deal with the hotel or his wife's pet. Inoichi thought Tora. And said yeah, I can understand his allergies. We all the time get customers who come in here with allergies. Naruto nodded and said well, are you interested in the place or not, Ino? Ino said of course I am. I just got to figure out how to make the money to get it. Inoichi said well, I could help pay your first rent and security deposit. Naruto said you know. I could make you an offer for a trade of service in exchange for ignoring the first month's rent and the first part of the security deposit. Inoichi narrowed his eyes and said what do you have in mind? Naruto said I'm told being a ninja is stressful and people take up hobbies all the time. I'm thinking that if she would be willing to help me get started and understanding plants, herbs, and spices to help me learn to deal with stress until the Chunin exams when she's got nothing better to do, and I could help be a sparring partner to her to help her train in stealth and endurance training. Inoichi said you. Stealth. Trying to keep from laughing. Ino frowned and Naruto said laughful you like Yamanaka-san, but let me ask you something. Would you rather think that I have a high stealth skill level or the ninja of our village sucks so bad that an academy student can paint the Hokage monument in broad daylight without getting caught until I started banging the paint cans together after I was finished wearing orange and then I outran Chunin down in an Anbu for over 2 hours? Inoichi frowned and said actually. I'm your point there. It might be a combination of the two, but you do have better stealth skills than Ino does and your stamina is higher as well. If Ino does not have a problem with it, I don't either since she's wanting to prove herself so it will be her choice. Ino said I like that idea. I could even teach you about a few medical herbs for healing and poison plants, and I know that I'm pretty weak compared to some, so I want to get stronger. Naruto said trust me Ino, train with me for a month outside of your team training, and your teammates will be forced to work harder just to catch you as you leave them in the dust. Inoichi said to Naruto, I was wondering. Why do you have those bandages covering the side of your face? Naruto said you know how the Inuzuka clan has those weird tattoos. Well I thought maybe they had some kind of scar there they hide showing what clan they are from and so I thought it must be out of sight, out of mind, so I figured I could hide my scars the same way. Inoichi said I see. So if this is what you want Ino. I guess I will respect your decision. But if you ever want to come back home the door is always open. Ino smiled and said I know dad. But I want to prove myself. Inoichi said fine dear, when do you want to move out? Naruto said well if we are in agreement then here is the year contract for you to sign. As he pulled out a scroll. Inoichi looked it over and Ino signed it and Naruto said so do we have a deal on training me on plants? Ino said as long as you don't take it easy on me in training as well. Naruto said alright, here's the key to the apartment. It's got furniture already, but if you don't want it I can move it to one of my other apartments. As he handed the key to her. Ino's eyes got wide and said this is. Naruto said yeah, it's the one with the great view of the village. Ino smiled and said thank you Naruto. Naruto said hey, what are friends for? Well I must be going. If you need me for anything, my apartment is on the 3rd floor. Inoichi asked, do you mean on the 3rd floor? Naruto smiled and said no, I mean the entire 3rd floor. I remodeled that floor, turning it into a big loft. Just take the stairs up to the 3rd floor and knock on any of the doors. Ino said right. Well I guess I can start packing my things so I can move in right away. Inoichi smiled and said my little princess is growing up. Naruto said princess huh. That's not what I see when I look at Ino. Inoichi scowled and said really? And what do you see? Ino, who was almost out of the room, looked back and Naruto said a strong, beautiful, and proud Kunoichi of the Leaf Village. Ino smiled and walked out of the room and Inoichi said perhaps. But she will always be my little princess. Relaxing the glare he was sending to Naruto. Naruto said well I need to go, sigh around. As he left. That evening Naruto was in his apartment when there was a knock on one of the doors and he went to one of the other doors and opened it and saw Ino standing there and he leaned against the door frame and said Ino. Ino said master. May I come in? Naruto stepped aside and Ino walked in and she looked around before she said so you really did turn the entire third floor into a loft. Naruto said yeah, it took me about 6 months to do it. Ino turned and asked why did you want me to move out of my home master? Naruto said you want to prove to people who you are. Also if people saw you coming here every day they would start talking and you know how rumors are. Until I claim my family name I don't want to see you get hurt in the crossfire so by having you move into the building you can just claim you're renting a place here. Also what I said about training is real. I'm going to have you work just as hard as I do to prove how strong you are. Besides, mentioning about my hobby will give you a chance to help me with my bloodline without raising any questions. Ino said I see. I guess that would work but. Dad and I agreed to work 2 days a week at our family business and I get $100 a day. How will I survive on that? Naruto said taking missions Ino. By being forced to work for a living instead of having everything given to you, you will learn the true value of $1 and appreciate what you have even more. Ino said I hope you're right. Daddy bought me a week's worth of groceries and a few other items he thought I might need. Naruto said good. Tomorrow we get our teams and I expect you to do that. Ino blushed and said yes master. Do I get a reward for today? Naruto walked over and asked do you think you deserve a reward? As he whispered the last word by her ear. Ino shuddered, closing her eyes, and Naruto pressed his lips to hers and held her close. After a few moments when they both had to breathe Ino was panting and Naruto said never question if you deserve a reward or not Ino. I will decide when you do or don't. As he smacked her ass lightly making her keep. Ino quickly said sorry master. Naruto said it's fine this time, now go get you some rest. Ino nods and quickly leaves and Naruto sighed and said woman. The next morning when Ino awoke she was startled a moment as she tried to figure out where she was when the events of the previous day came back to her and she thought, that's right. This is my apartment now. It's 6 AM, which means I have 2 hours before I have to be at the academy for team selection. I guess I could start getting ready. 2 hours later Ino walked into the academy classroom and looked around and saw a rose floating in the air before sitting on a desk in the back of the room and Ino thought I don't know how he did it but I know that is Naruto doing that. As she walked over to the wall by the door and leaned against it, Diba said what's this, you're here before Sakura and you're not trying to get near Sasuke. Who are you? Ino said it's me dog breath, I just happen to have decided since we're no longer in the academy to drop the act. I like the cold-hearted bastard. After all, he served his purpose by letting me be a leader to all the others and make sure I'm the strongest in the class physically, with Sakura beating me by 2 points in book smarts and following right behind me in second place in physical. Now I have the best chance of being one of the lucky ones who will pass the real genin test, while the others will fail from being too weak besides Sakura. At this everyone was stunned looking at Ino and Sakura who was outside the door and had started to come in and asked is that true Ino? Ino looked at Sakura and said I had to watch my best friend's back. By making sure you were my rival all these years I made sure you would try to outdo me in everything which would make you able to pass. If you want Sasuke you can have him. As she walked over and kissed Sakura on the cheek and said good luck Sakura and this is yours if you want. As she handed Sakura a ribbon and walked to the back of the room and sat down at the desk where the rose was. Everyone was gaping and Sakura looked at the ribbon and then at Ino and then at Sasuke and Sakura said so. This is on the level, you don't want Sasuke-kun. Ino said nope, in my honor as heiress of the Yamanaka clan, I swear I don't want anything to do with him. Sakura nodded and looked at Sasuke and then at Ino again and said wait, what are you doing here Naruto and how did you get by Ino? Causing everyone to look back and see Naruto sitting there in his new clothes with the bandages over where the whiskers had been. Naruto said I was sitting back here the whole time and waved Ino to come back because I was going to ask her if she found anything wrong with the apartment she's renting now. I guess with everyone shocked Ino finally quit pretending to be a fangirl. Everyone was too distracted to see me. So, did you find anything wrong? Ino said no, Dad even went over the entire apartment looking for anything that might be wrong and he said I lucked out with one of the best apartments in the village. I mean with all the security and privacy I got I don't have to worry about any trouble. Naruto said glad you like it and remember, if anything messes up you know where my apartment is to complain. Ino nodded and a girl said like you could do anything dead last. Naruto looked bored at the girl and said actually for your information, I'm certified by the Village Safety Commission and building inspector as a carpenter, painter, electrician, plumber, mason worker, and iron worker. I've owned the entire building I live in since I was 6 years old after the council declared me an adult, and I have had the village do inspections every 3 months since then to make sure it passes all the village health codes. I've even had the fire lord himself stay in my building once because it was more comfortable and safer than one of the 4-star hotels. I've mostly rented out to the ninja of our village. Had my last tenants not died on a mission a few months back, Ino wouldn't have been able to get an apartment, but when one died along with the rest of her team, her fiancé moved out along with 2 of his friends who were engaged to members of the team that died. Too many memories of good times with their loved ones. I've waited until now to rent them out again to give them and the rest of their family time to get their belongings out since it was painful for them. So are we ready to find out about our team, Iruka-sensei? Ignoring the astonished looks everyone had, Iruka smiled and said, yes we are, everyone please take a seat. Now onto the teams. Team 7 is Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sakura Haruno. Sakura screamed yes. Iruka said now Team 8 is Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburam, and Hinata Hyuga. Team 9 is still in service, so Team 10 is Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, and Ino Yamanaka. You're all dismissed but be back at 1 to meet your sensei. Naruto said, hey Ino, if you need me today for anything I probably won't be available. I plan to go see the Hokage after I meet my sensei. I have a Dropbox by my door, so just leave a message there if you need me, and I will come by to fix whatever is wrong when I get home. By the way, here is the receipt for your security deposit. Can you check it and make sure everything is right? Ino took the paper and noticed a second paper, and Naruto winked at her with his eye that wasn't seen to anyone else, and she looked at it and said looks right, thanks. As she slipped the second paper to the front and read. Ino, if you got time I want you to run from the bottom of the Hokage monument to the front gates and back again and time yourself. If you have to stop and rest, write down how many times and how long so that way I can judge your stamina to better help you train. Just drop the results in that box and I will get the results later. Besides that you can do what you want but keep things looking official to the landlord and renter for now. I need to keep things quiet for the most part until I can better use my bloodline, at which point I can reveal things. Good luck with your team. Ino got up and left the room seeing everyone was leaving to eat, and after she was gone, Naruto noticed that he was alone and he left the room. Sakura began to chase after Sasuke but stopped and went after Ino instead. She found Ino sitting on the roof of the academy and she walked over and asked Ino pig. Ino said yes Sakura. Sakura frowned and said why? Why break us up, why make me think you wanted to be with Sasuke? Why don't you call me forehead? Ino sighed and said Sakura. There are things about me you don't know. Things that nobody but one person knows. At one time I thought you could be trusted with these things, but then you started to treat me like everyone else does. Yes I'm an heiress to a clan. But I don't want to be seen as one. I want people to see me as me. Only one person actually hasn't had the balls to do what was needed to prove that he saw me as me. We were best friends Sakura and then you put me on a pedestal where I was everything you wanted to be. You quit seeing me as me. When you did that I had to do something to keep from losing another friend. That was why I created the act of liking Sasuke and became your rival. The name I called you was a challenge. I wanted you to stop seeing me as everything you wanted to be and become who you wanted to be. I want us to be friends, Sakura. But I don't want you to see me as what you want to be. I want you to show me and everyone else who you are. The world is not a fairy tale, the prince doesn't always ride in on a white horse to save the damsel in distress. Sakura said I know that Ino. Ino said then why are you living your life like you think it is? You're walking the same path I was on Sakura, one that would have left me dead or worse. I got a wake-up call that opened my eyes. Please. Look at yourself and I mean really look at yourself. If you can live with who you are right now then fine, be that way and I'll put flowers on your grave. Please. Become who you were meant to be, not who everyone else wants you to be. As she got up and started toward the stairs, Sakura bit her lip and said wait. Ino stopped and Sakura asked how did you change who you are? Ino smiled and said the person who opened my eyes told me about the goddesses of fate, destiny, and chance. The only fate we all share is death, the only destiny anyone has is to be born. Chance is based on our own choices. He told me Kami gave everything as a gift. The gift of choice. It may not be easy and at times I have to stop myself from going back to the way I was, but I made a choice to change, and I chose to keep changing from what I was to who I want to be. I've already fulfilled my destiny, I will someday meet my fate, until then my choices will decide my life, and there is a chance I will become what I want. But if I don't then the choice of what I do become is still mine. If you want to change Sakura, then make the choice to change and stick with that choice. As she turned and left, Sakura thought, who told you something so profound, Ino? Am I happy with who I am? As she sat down. 10 minutes after leaving the classroom Naruto found Iruka in the teacher's lounge and said hey Iruka-sensei. Iruka said hey Naruto, how's it going? Naruto looked around and said pretty good. I was wondering, could you do me a small favor? Iruka said I'm not buying you ramen again. With a smile. Naruto laughed and said no, not that. I was wondering, is there any chakra control exercises you could tell me about to help me get better? I want to become a better, stronger ninja, and I know my chakra control will be the most important thing right now. Iruka looked at Naruto for a moment and said, do you remember the leaf exercise where you had to float it on your head? I tried to teach you Kiba, Choji, and Shikamaru. Naruto thought for a moment and said a little. As he rubbed his head embarrassed. Iruka said I wish I could teach you a more advanced one, but that is all I am allowed to teach you. What you need to do is make it float above your head about an inch and keep it there. If you can try to get it to spin in a circle while keeping it in place. Naruto nodded and thought for a moment and asked, can I use other things besides a leaf, like a small stone or something to make it harder, or can I do it in other places besides my head? Iruka smiled and said those are both very good questions and I am impressed. The answer to both are yes, but I would start with a leaf. I will tell you what. If you are really serious about getting better in chakra control, then if you can get it where you can float a leaf on both your hands, your feet, and your head all at the same time for 5 minutes without stopping, I will request permission from the Hokage to teach you a more advanced version. Naruto smiled and said, is it okay if I cheat a little to learn it? Iruka blinked and asked, what do you mean cheat? How can you cheat to learn chakra control? Naruto said, well. I've been training the last couple of days, and I've used Kage Bunshins on several occasions to help me set up things, and I discovered anything they learn is transferred back to me and the other clones when dispelled. I figured if I have one clone working on one place at a time while other clones are working on another, then I could learn this exercise really quickly. Iruka thought for a moment and said I did not know that. I will allow you to use that to help you, but I want you to learn to hold 10 leaves for 5 minutes in the air. That way you will have better control in more places. Naruto said I will Iruka-sensei and thanks. You don't know how much this means to me. There's something else I want to tell you, but until I talk to the Hokage about it and he agrees it is the right time I have to keep quiet. Iruka said I am sure whatever it is will be something I won't forget. By the way, what is with the clothes and the bandages on your face? Naruto said the clothes are part of what I want to tell you about, but the bandages are sort of out of sight out of mind thing. Iruka nodded and said well I got a lot of work to do and you only have 20 minutes left before you are to meet your sensei. Naruto nodded and said thank you for everything Iruka-sensei and I wish now I had been a better student. Goodbye. As he turned and left. Iruka smiled and thought it seems that learning the truth is helping you to be a better person Naruto. I'm proud of you. Naruto went back to the classroom and saw the other teens coming in the room, and Naruto saw Sakura sitting at a desk beside Sasuke looking in deep thought, and he walked over and sat on the desk in front of them and said well I guess since we're on the same team we should make the best of it, so I got a deal for you Sakura-chan. Sakura frowned and said no, I am not going out with you, Naruto. Naruto laughed and said that wasn't what I was going to say. In fact it was going to be the exact opposite. I was going to offer you a deal where I would never ask you out again if you answer just one little question for me. It's actually something me and Ino talked about and I was just wondering if you could answer it. Ino who walked in hearing her name asked what are you talking about Naruto? Walked over to where Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were. Naruto said I was just telling Sakura-chan if she could answer one question for me that I would never ask her out again. It's the same question I asked you about Sasuke that you couldn't answer. Sakura's ears perked up as Ino realized what Naruto was talking about and Sakura said, what is it? Naruto said besides Sasuke's family name, his looks, and his money, what about Sasuke makes you want to go out with him more than anyone else? I mean if it's one of those 3 reasons I mentioned then it seems shallow, so I am asking what do you see in him that makes you want to be with him more than any other guy? Sakura said well. He's smart. Ino said so is Shikamaru, but he's just too lazy to use his brain unless he wants to. What else? Sakura said he's strong. Naruto said, and so is Choji. Sakura bit her lip and said he's cool. Naruto blinked and said, how the hell can a guy who says the word HN as his answer to nearly everything be considered cool? He's a frosty bitch, I'll give you that, but how the hell is that cool? Sakura said don't talk about Sasuke-kun like that. You're just jealous that he's better than you. Naruto said really? And how do you know I am jealous? What do you actually know about me? Sakura said well. You're an orphan. Naruto said so is Sasuke, go on. Sakura said you love ramen and eat it for every meal. Naruto said nope, if you ask Sasuke, it gets lonely eating a meal that you had to cook yourself by yourself all the time. I like to eat at Ichiraku because AM and Tucci are both kind people who always make time to talk to each of their customers and treat them like family. I actually love something else. Next, Sakura frowned and said you're a prankster. Naruto snickered and said I use pranking as a way to train and test myself Sakura. How hard do you think it was for an Academy 6BB student in broad daylight wearing orange to paint the Hokage monument and not get caught until I started banging my paint cans together to get everyone's attention and then outran Chunin, Jounin, and Anbu for a while before I was finally caught. Since I am an orphan and didn't have anyone to help me, I thought by testing and improving my skills in live demonstration instead of a controlled environment where nothing could go wrong would help me improve my actual skills. If I can set traps Anbu falls for and sneak around without being caught setting up all those pranks in an area full of ninja, how good do you think I would be on an actual mission where my life and the lives of my teammates are in danger? I may not be as smart as Shikamaru, strong as Choji, good at tracking as Kiba, or as powerful as everyone thinks Sasuke is, but I'm good in other areas that my teammates might not be good at. Why else do you think they put us on teams of 3? To cover for each other's weaknesses. At this, everyone who was in the class was thinking over his answers, and Naruto, who came in hearing it, said that is exactly right, Naruto. Konoha is the strongest of all the ninja villages because we believe in teamwork more than any other village, and our teammates cover our weakness to make the group stronger than we are individually. Kiba said, damn dude, who are you and what have you done with the dead last? I mean, there's no way you're that smart. Naruto said, well, I guess you could say I'm sort of like Ino and Sakura in a way, Ino stronger, but Sakura smarter. Most of you are smarter than me, since you had family and clans to help you, but in physical skills, I give you a good run for your money. You all know the only one I've never beat was Sasuke when we spar. I've beat you all at least once because I thought of ways to fight you that you never encountered before. Everyone thought over his answer, and Sakura said, hey, how come you passed? I mean, we all saw you fail. Iruka said, actually Sakura, Mizuki when he was grading the written test marked one answer wrong that was right, so it made it where Naruto passed instead of failing when I saw it and just checked to see if it would have made a difference and found it did. Quickly helping Naruto out, who smiled so he wouldn't have to reveal the truth. Sakura said, oh. Iruka smiled and the door opened up as Jounins began to come pick up their teams. Finally there was only Team 7 left. Naruto frowned after 10 minutes of waiting and put his hands together and said Kagebunshin no Jutsu. As 20 clones appeared, shocking Sasuke and Sakura, Naruto said, alright, I want you all to go and grab a leaf outside and divide up into teams of 4 and have each group either work on a hand, foot, or head. Go. All the clones said hi boss. As they quickly went outside, Iruka smiled as he worked on cleaning out his desk and Naruto got down on the floor and began to do sit-ups. Sakura said, why did you create those clones and why are you doing sit-ups, Baka? Naruto said, if I had time to sit and do nothing then I would have time to make myself a better ninja. The Kagebunshin transfer any info they get back to me when dispelled, and since chakra control is my worst area, I am having them work on a chakra control exercise that we were taught in the academy. Sakura said, well, you're stupid for tiring yourself out before we meet our sensei. Naruto said, if you say so Sakura, but I'm not going to be the weakest person on our team if I can help it. Causing Sakura to glare. Sasuke said, teach me that dope. Naruto said, sorry Sasuke, I found it in an old scroll laying on the ground and I plan to make it part of my family when I someday have a family. Iruka said, you don't have the chakra for it either, Sasuke, it's for a reason. It could cause you to die from chakra exhaustion. If Naruto didn't do as much physical exercise as he did over the years, then he wouldn't have the chakra levels to use that. Naruto after 5 minutes asked, hey Iruka sensei, how late is our sensei going to be? Iruka said, I have no idea and I have to leave in a few minutes anyways. I want to wish you all good luck. I'll come back later and lock the doors. I need to run to the teacher's lounge before I leave. Have a good day. As he got up and left with a stack of scrolls and books. Naruto after another 15 minutes started to do push-ups for 15 minutes, then squats for 15 minutes, and then he began to run up and down the stairs high stepping. After this Naruto sat down and Sakura said, you're tired now. Naruto said, not really, but I'm getting bored. If sensei comes, tell him I'll be right back. As he left the room. He walked down the hall and stopped outside the academy library and he looked inside a moment and walked in and thought maybe going through some of these will help. But what? I guess I could learn a little about everything. If I create a few Kagebunshin and have them start to read a book from each section, it should help me. As he put his hands together and after 30 Kagebunshin appeared and Naruto frowned and thought I only wanted to make 6. Oh well. And said, alright, I only wanted to make 6, but since you're all here I want you to divide up into teams of 5. Each team will start reading a different book in each section. The clone asked, how come you don't have us read everything or make enough of us to read everything at once? Naruto said, because I don't know what will happen if I do. Just each of you take one book and begin to read it from the section your team is at and when you finish the book dispel. That way you all won't finish at the same time and I can get the memories without mixing them up. The clone said, right boss. As they each went and grabbed a book and began to read. Naruto turned and left the library. It was 15 minutes after he left the classroom. Naruto walked in again and Sakura said, "Where have you been, Baka? Sensei could have been here any minute." Naruto said, "I went to the library and had a few clones, read a couple of books I never had the time to read while here, and I went to the gym and got these." As he showed a coup of hand weights. Sakura said, "What did you get a couple of weights for?" Naruto smirked and said, "These are to help me with my sword training. I've had this sword for a couple of days now and I've been getting used to the weight of walking around with it so as not to slow me down. I wanted to get used to that weight before I got used to the weight of actually holding it. I think I've gotten used to the weight since I don't even feel it anymore, so I want to do the same thing with my arms when I am actually holding the sword, but if I were to hold it in here while we wait and try to move with it, I might accidentally hit one of you or a desk or something and have to pay for the damage, so I weighed my sword with the scales in the gym and I got a pair of hand weights that weigh about 3 pounds more than my sword does, so if I can get a feel of how this weight will affect my body until sensei gets here, then I have an idea of what I need to do to get used to the weight of my sword." As he began to move his arms while holding the weights and moving, judging how his body moved. Both Sasuke and Sakura were thinking over what he said, and Sasuke asked, "Who are you, because there is no way you're the dope." Naruto said, "Or have I been faking all these years to hide my real skills? Deception is a ninja #1 asset." As a smirk appeared on his face, causing both to frown. Naruto said, "Relax, team. If you must know, I met someone." And Uzumaki. Causing both Sasuke and Sakura to go wide-eyed. Sakura said, "So you met a family member?" Naruto said, "Sort of. I'm not allowed to tell who or how until the Chunin exams in 6 months. I have to make it to the exams in 6 months, so I am going to do everything I can to show that I am ready for them and for our sensei. I've spent the last few days trying to make myself better. I've taken up a new hobby instead of pranking that will allow me to be more calm. I'm taking my training seriously and I'm trying to be more presentable so that my family, past, present and future, will be proud to have me as a member of their family. You don't know what it's like to go from hearing everyone tell you that you're just an unwanted bastard child whose parents should have killed you the day you were born to actually knowing where you came from. Sort of." As he kept moving his body into jutsu kata that were messed up and trying to balance his body with the extra weight. Sakura bit her lip and glanced at Sasuke, who seemed to be in thought, and Sasuke said, "Slide your left foot to the left a half-step, dope." Naruto blinked and looked at Sasuke before he slid his left foot a half-step and he said, "I feel like my balance is better. Thank team." Sasuke said to HN. "Just don't slow us down, dope." Naruto said, "Just try not to fall too far behind, team." As he tried going through the rest of the academy to jutsu, as Sasuke gave a small smirk as Naruto gave a small smile. Sakura blinked as she looked between them and thought, did they just become friends? This was the sight. Kakashi walked in and said, "My first impression of you is, I hate you." With a smile, Naruto scowled and Kakashi said, "Meet me on the roof and don't be late." As he went up in smoke. Naruto thought, great. As he started toward the roof but stopped at the library and said, "Oi, one of you take these back to the gym and put them up and then come back to finish reading." As he set the 2 weights down before following Sasuke and Sakura. When they got to the roof and sat down, Kakashi said, "Now why don't we introduce ourselves?" Sakura said, "Why don't you go first, sensei, to show us how it's done?" Kakashi said, My name is Hada Kakashi. My likes and dislikes are none of your business. Dreams for the future. I have hobbies. You next, Pinky." Everyone thought all we learned was his name. And Sakura said, "My name is Sakura Haruno, I like it." Glance, dream, glance, plan for the future, glance again at Sasuke. Kakashi said, "And you dislike it?" Sakura started to open her mouth and stopped and said, "Actually, I don't know." Kakashi said, "I see. You next, Mr. Broody." Sasuke said, "My name is Sasuke Uchiha, I don't have many likes or dislikes. I have a dream. No, and a reality that I will see come to pass. I will restore my clan and kill a certain someone." Kakashi said, "And finally you have sunshine." Naruto said, "Name's Naruto. For now I have a short-term dream to get as strong as possible between now and the Chunin exams in 6 months. After that I will see what my future brings. I have started learning about plants to calm me down so I don't prank anymore. I hope to help both my teammates reach their goals." Kakashi nodded and said, "Very well. Tomorrow I want you to meet me at training ground 7 at 5 AM to be tested, and don't eat or you will throw up." Sakura said, "What kind of test?" Kakashi smiled behind his mask and said, "You're going to freak out. It's a test that has a 66.6% failure rate. Of all the genins that passed, only 9 will become actual genins. The test you took in the academy was to see if you had the skills to take the actual test." Naruto said, "Wait a minute. If there were only 9 who passed, then that means 3 teams. Konoha believes in teamwork more than any other village." Sakura said, "That's right. Iruka-sensei commented about that after you pointed out that you may not be as good as Sasuke and me in some areas, but in others you are better than us." Sasuke said, "To cover our own weakness to make a stronger team." Naruto smiled and said, this is a test about teamwork, isn't it? It's a do or die question. You're going to put us in a test to see if we would put our goals ahead of the good of the mission. Like Sasuke for example, he wants to kill someone. If we were at war with Iwa again, and our mission was spying on Iwa to find out how they plan to attack us, and we got the info, but were discovered, and Sakura and I stayed back to buy Sasuke time to get the info back to Konoha, and on his way back he ran into the guy Sasuke wants to kill. Would he let the sacrifice Sakura and I made so he could save our village be for nothing so he could kill the guy? Sasuke frowned and said, I hate you, dope, you know that right? Naruto said, hey, I could have said that Sakura was our team medic and I had got the info but had my legs cut off and she had to carry me back with you guarding her and you got hurt with a critical wound. She could either save you and doom our village or save me and doom you. Sakura said, do you stay up at night thinking of ways to make me hate you? Naruto smirked and Sasuke said, what about you? If you could think of that then you must have thought of one for yourself. Naruto's smirk slowly fell away as his eyes glossed over and his voice came out. The choice was never mine to make, Sasuke. See you tomorrow. As he got up and started toward the door. Sasuke and Sakura looked confused while Kakashi looked sadly at Naruto and Sakura asked what he was talking about. Sasuke said, I don't know. Kakashi bit his lip and said, those who don't follow the rules are trash. But those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Naruto was put in one of those types of situations when he was younger. Someone made the choice for him without asking him for his decision and he now has to live each day with that person's decision. Don't ask him about it because it's painful for him, but you all already figured out the secret behind the test I was going to give you. There's no reason I need to test you, so meet at training ground 7 at 7 AM. We will do some sparring so I can judge your skills myself and then take our first mission. I'll inform Naruto. As he left in a swirl of leaves. Naruto was quiet as he walked through the village and thought when a hand touched his shoulder and the next moment he was standing on a roof and he looked back and saw Kakashi and Kakashi said, I just wanted to tell you that you already passed the test and that you are to meet at 7 AM at training ground 7. We will have some sparring so I can judge your skills and then we will begin missions. You are the first to ever see through the test and the first team to ever pass my test. Those who don't follow the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Naruto looked over the village for a moment and said, what about those who try to kill their comrades? Kakashi seemed confused and asked, what do you mean? Naruto said, am I a part of this village or not? I've made a promise that I will forgive them for everything the people have done, but the problem with forgiving is you don't forget. If those who don't follow the rules are trash, then everyone who broke the Sandaime law is trash. But what about those who even now abandon me and limit me to try and have me die? Kakashi frowned and said, I don't know what to tell you, Naruto. Naruto said, thanks for being honest, Inu. I recognize your voice and hair. Kakashi said, I see. Naruto said, I will do my best and work hard to serve Konoha until the Chunin exams are over. If the people can't see the truth after that, I'm going to have a talk with Jiji. If there's never been an Uzumaki in this village like he claims, then Uzumaki is not my real name. If it's not my real name, all my ninja forms are not legal and I can resign legally or just walk away. I won't stay where I'm not wanted. My parents wouldn't have wanted that for me. I'm sure of that, even if they're not alive somewhere they would want me safe and happy. Not. As he shrugged his shoulders. Kakashi bit his lip behind his mask and said, it might not be that simple, Naruto. Naruto said, I know. But if it turns out Jiji lied to me, how can I trust him not to have me killed? After all, how is it that Mizuki was able to give me the combination to the Hokage vault when only he and I guess the two elders should have access to it? Kakashi frowned and thought that is a very good question. And said, I don't know, Naruto. Naruto smiled and said, so. Are you going to be 3 hours late tomorrow? I only ask because I've got my Kage Bunshin working on the leaf balancing chakra control exercise to help me get my control up there faster, and I also want to send a couple of clones to the library under a henge to read anatomy and poisons. I figure if the furball makes it where I won't die from poisons, then maybe I could become a poison expert. He's got to be good for something, I guess. Kakashi thought maybe. And said, Naruto. I want you to be honest with me. What do you think about your teammates? Naruto said, Sasuke is a flight risk. He would betray Konoha in a heartbeat if someone offered him power to kill his brother. As for Sakura. Right now she's a fangirl, but I'm hoping that since Ino is taking things more seriously now that she can help Sakura also. Kakashi said, what I'm about to tell you, you can't tell anyone. The Hokage also feels Sasuke is a flight risk. Naruto said, if you're going to tell me about how you're supposed to spend more time with Sasuke to make him more loyal or to keep an eye on him and kill him when he betrays the village, I already know. His mental evaluation was on Jiji's desk when he went to explain what to do with Mizuki. I glanced at it and thought Jiji was stupid to pay someone to do an evaluation on him when anyone with 2 eyes could see how he is. The thing is. I think Sasuke is being tricked. Kakashi asked, what do you mean? Naruto said I've been to the Uchiha clan district since the massacre. The blood is still on the inside of the house. So nobody cleaned up the place. But how is it that a clan that specializes in fire couldn't get a single fire off to kill Itachi? There's not one single scorch mark on any walls or building. It's just not possible that someone is that fast and strong to do it by himself. Even the yondaime from stories I read had to dodge some, even when he was using the Hiraishin. There's no way Itachi was faster than yondaime was. The only thing I could think of was Danzo and Root. Kakashi looked at Naruto in shock and asked what makes you say that. Naruto said well. Jiji told me to stay away from Danzo and any Anbu with a mask with the kanji on them, Root. I know Danzo tried to kidnap one of the clan heirs at least twice already. I have proof of that, so if he's willing to kidnap to get a clan's bloodline, why wouldn't he be willing to kill to get it? Itachi loves Sasuke. I remember when he was my guard as a kid how he talked about his little brother. Itachi would give his life to save his brother, so if Itachi did kill his clan, he had help and he only would do it to save Sasuke. That is what I honestly believe. Kakashi frowned behind his mask and said, are you sure you have proof Danzo tried to kidnap an heir to a clan? Naruto said, would the word of the heir he tried to get be enough proof? Kakashi placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder and they left in a swirl of leaves. They appeared in the Hokage office and the Sandaime said Kakashi, Naruto, to what I owe the pleasure. Kakashi said well. Naruto and I were having a small talk after his team already passed my test. Team 7 is official sir. But Naruto brought up a few things that I found very interesting and thought you should hear. The Sandaime said and those are. Kakashi said Naruto told me Mizuki gave him the combination to the Hokage safe. He asked how Mizuki could get that with only you and possibly the elders knowing it. He also mentioned to me how he believes that Danzo and Root killed the Uchiha clan and that he has proof that Danzo has tried to kidnap an heir to one of the clans twice already. Sandaime paled and looked at Naruto and said, you have the combination. Naruto said 6, 13, 3, 9. Sandaime frowned and said what about the proof you have about the kidnapping? Naruto said, you remember when the orphanage manager was arrested after he broke my arm and I had a girl's coat. That coat belonged to a girl Ino was helping to escape from the orphanage. I took the coat to make him chase me when I saw what was going on. I never told anyone about Ino or the girl until Ino and I were talking recently and she saw the coat I had from that night which I kept. Ino told me that after she helped the girl to escape after I lured the guy away from them, the girl was meeting a woman who was dressed like an Anbu but had kanji on the mask. The woman tried to talk Ino into going with them to serve her master and Ino got angry and ran away back home after they got in an argument. A year later the girl Ino saved came to Ino and tried to get her to leave her family and join the girl's master, promising her a better life. Ino told me they got into another argument and the girl left. I never told Ino I knew about who those root ninja were, but I was telling Kakashi if Danzo would try and get Ino twice, an heiress to one of the clans, what's stopping him from killing members of a clan to get their bloodline? I mean I already proved to Kakashi-sensei there is no way one person killed that clan by himself. Itachi would have to have been faster than the yondaime using Hiraishin, and even then at least one of them should have gotten off, and yet there is not one single scorch mark on any building. The bloods are still there so nobody cleaned the place up and fires are something every Uchiha knew. I wouldn't be surprised if Danzo got one of those eyes like Kakashi-sensei does under his bandages. Itachi loves Sasuke. If he was involved the only way he would have killed his clan was to save Sasuke's life. I honestly believe that Jiji. The Sandaime frowned and thought why didn't I think of that? They told me Itachi did it by himself, but if there is not even one scorch mark, then there is no way he could have. And said do all knows about Naruto? Naruto said just me. The Sandaime said I'm going to look into this. I'll ask Ino about what you told me she said. Until then I want you to keep quiet about it. Naruto said I know. I've got enough to worry about already. Kakashi said that reminds me sir. There were a few other things that were said I think you should know. Naruto is thinking about becoming a poison expert. He thinks with Kyuubi stopping all the poisons he's been in contact with he might be able to become Konoha's best poison expert. He also accidentally read Sasuke's mental evaluation and knows about my orders. I was thinking, maybe Naruto might be able to spend some time learning under her. She could teach him a thing or two about poisons. Naruto said if you're going to tell him you might as well tell him everything. I also recognize Inu's voice and hair from when I was younger and I also said that I made a promise that I will forgive Konoha for everything they have done to me up till now. I am going to do my best for the next 6 months to prove I'm me and not the fox. The village has had 15 years to get over their pain and suffering from the fox and yet each year they throw a party rejoicing in the pain they cause me. If after the Chunin exams are over the village can't accept me, then I'm going to resign and leave the village. You told me there are no Uzumaki ever in the village, so that means that Uzumaki isn't my real name. If it's not my real name then that means all my ninja paperwork is illegal, so I will have no legal bond to Konoha. My parents, whoever they are or were, would want me to be safe and happy, not living each day hated and in fear of who will stab me in the back next. Sandame frowned and said it's not that easy, Naruto. Naruto gave him a deadpan expression and said what's not that easy? Everything in life is a choice. The Yondaime chose me to be a Jinchuriki, a human sacrifice, you chose to reveal it to the village, the people choosing to attack me, the people choosing to ignore your law, someone choosing to aid Mizuki and trying to get me killed by giving him the combination to that safe. In life we all have choices, I chose to give the village one more chance. If the people of the village chose to dishonor mine and my family's sacrifices for them, then I chose they don't deserve me, and I'll choose to leave. It could go the other way. The village could choose to try and push me even further until I snap and choose to take as many as I can with me when I go. I'm no different than anyone else. I am a product of my choices and the choices of those around me. Right now you could be lying to me and chose to hide from me and my parents are thinking it's safer for me not to know. If I find out later that is the case it's my choice to ever believe you again. Sandame frowned and said I see your point. If it comes down to it, will you leave before the Chunin exams? Naruto said no. I made a promise and I always keep my promise. I am going to earn my chance to be in the exams and I will make it to the finals and show everyone who I really am. If they chose to ignore it then I will leave. Sandame said very well. Is that all? Naruto said no. I was coming here to see you for something when Kakashi-sensei stopped me. I wanted to know if you could get me one of those big scrolls like the Forbidden Scroll and also give me a seal on my arm. Kakashi asked why. Naruto said since I don't know who I really am or where I come from I don't want my future family to have that same problem. I want to start a family scroll. I will put down everything I know on the scroll so that my future family could surpass me. Isn't it the task of every generation to surpass the one that came before it? By having the seal on my arm I can keep them with me and safe so no one could steal them from me. Also information that I learned that might be valuable to remind me what is important in life could be put on there. Kakashi-sensei said those who don't follow the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. I know from a certain point of view what I'm thinking about doing if the people don't change makes me look like I'm lower than trash, but how am I lower than trash when I have no comrades, no friends? In this entire village I have maybe 10 people who give a damn if I even live. I'm not allowed in stores and those I'm overcharged by 3 times the amount where I have to use henge to get anything to live on. I'm not allowed in the library and had it not been for my former tenant then I never would have even knew how to read. I have to take this opportunity right now, well nobody in the academy has Kage Bunshin read a few books that might help me later. That reminds me, why don't you use a Kage Bunshin to help you with paperwork? I know the mental feedback might be bad, but if you have one help you for maybe 30 minutes at least it would get you done 30 minutes earlier. Also, the guy you got training Konohamaru is getting the shit beat out of him right now. One of my Kage Bunshin was training when Konohamaru found him and befriended him and it taught him my sexy no and his sensei showed up and called me trash and my Kage Bunshin created a harem with Kage Bunshin mixed in using sexy no. The guy blew back with a nosebleed and slid under teammate hot sensei. She thought he was looking up her dress and she's beating the shit out of him as we speak. My clone dispelled letting me know. Sandame slumped in his chair and began to rub his face and said, you have given me a lot to think about Naruto. For what it's worth I'm sorry the people have treated you the way they have and I know I haven't always done what's best for you and for that I am sorry. Naruto said Jiji. You're the leader of our village. Not the council, not Danzo, not the advisors, not the clan heads, you. You're the man who was chosen by both Hashirama and Tobirama Senju as the best man for the job to take care of the garden they started. For many years you made the garden grow and become beautiful and then you chose the Yondaime to take over for you. He took care of the garden until a snake nobody could see coming attacked him and he died. You took back over as the gardener, but slowly weeds are starting to come up. The weeds are strangling the life out of the garden one plant at a time. You can't stop all the weeds, but stop the major ones, that way when you find someone to take over the garden for you again, they won't have to worry about the weeds with roots so deep they can't be stopped, cause if you don't the garden going to be so overgrown by weeds, the beautiful flowers the Senju brothers planted won't be able to be seen. Do what you want, I'm only giving you my opinion. Do what you think is best and live with the choices you make. As he turned and started toward the door, Sarutobi said wait. What about the scroll and the seal you wanted? Naruto said I'd like it, but I don't want to be a bother. I can't afford to pay for it, but I thought I would ask. It never hurts to ask for help, that's something I hope Sasuke learns from you Kakashi-sensei. Sarutobi said to Kakashi, you can draw a storage seal on his arm for him, right? Kakashi said yes. Sarutobi said alright, take him and draw that seal, plus one more on him somewhere. Then I want you to take him where he can get those storage scrolls. take this and give it to the clerk to pay for. Get him 2 of those scrolls. I want you to take one of them home with you and draw storage seals on it and then teach Naruto how to seal and unseal it. While you're at the weapon shop, also get him supplies that you feel he needs as a ninja and for missions that he can store in the storage scroll you make him. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket and I'll pay you for your time drawing those seals. Naruto said, but Jiji, Sarutobi said, no Naruto. Consider paying for telling me about the Kage Bunshin as well as for the information you provided me. Kakashi said, and I'll do it for free to show you that there are people here who care for you. Just like you said, there are still flowers here who want to be seen by you, Naruto. Take your time and look around the weeds and you will find them. Naruto bit his lip and walked over to the window and closed his eyes, and his voice sounded sad as tears fell down his face and asked me to think I wanted to be Hokage. I thought that if I were able to be Hokage, the people of this village would look up to me. It was a selfish reason. Now that I know what a Hokage must truly do, I don't know if I have what it takes to be one. To me, family and friends are more precious than all the money in the world. I'm selfish because I want to protect those precious to me more than those I want to be seen by. How could he do it? How could he sacrifice his life and his own flesh and blood willingly for these people? I want to be angry at him. But how can I be angry at my father? He did all he could to protect me, but it's not right. As he lowered his head, Sarutobi and Kakashi both looked at Naruto sadly, and Kakashi asked, what do you mean, Father Naruto? Naruto said, they knew before I was ever conceived mom was going to die from childbirth. She gave her life willingly to have a child and for the love of my father. Dad made sure there would be a way I could hear my mother and be held by her once in my life. The night I got mine, the seal activated and I met Kushina Uzumaki. My mother. As he turned around and reached up and grabbed the bandages on his face and removed them. Naruto still had tears flowing down his face and said, Dad loved this village so much that he put a seal on me. He left a letter to you, Jiji, telling you he was creating a Jinchuriki, a human sacrifice. Not one with a demon sealed in them, but one that made people think he did to protect Konoha from our enemies because of how weak we were after the Kyuubi attack. As he raised his shirt and showed them, the seal was gone. Both Kakashi and Sarutobi were shocked and looked at Naruto, who turned back to the window and said, I don't know if I had to do what he did if I could do it. Sarutobi said, what? Why? Why haven't you told us about Naruto? Naruto said, does it matter? Sarutobi said, yes it matters. Naruto said, was there anything different about me? Have I changed who I am? I'm still what people see me as. I'm still who I was before I found out. With age comes wisdom. I'm a little older and a little wiser, but I'm still the same person I was. You're trying to figure out if what I said is true, then how did Dad stop Kyuubi? What really happened? If I tell you, then you will want to tell the people repelling your law. Most people will either not believe you or start sucking up to me because of who I am related to. Some will try to use me to make themselves more powerful, and in the end the only person who will truly have anything different about them is me, and I'll have not only my own enemies, but my family's to worry about, so in the end, I'll just start suffering more. People still won't see me as me. Sarutobi frowned and Kakashi said, he's right, sir. Sarutobi said, I know, Kakashi. I know. Naruto bit his lip and said, if. Catching both men's attention. Sarutobi said, if what? Naruto said, there might be a way to reveal the truth. A person. If you could get her to come here and talk to me alone, or I can go to her and talk to her alone for just a few minutes. She's the only one who could do anything about it. To give me a chance to be seen as me. But it would be her choice on what to do. Sarutobi said, who and how do you know she can help? Naruto said, my mother told me and gave me something to give to her. Something that will change Konoha forever. Sarutobi said, who is it and what is it? Naruto said, Tsunade. I need to speak with Tsunade Senju. She's the only one who will know what it is my mother told me about and the only one who could change things. The secret behind how Dad stopped Kyuubi. Everything is all linked to what I need to speak to Tsunade about. I wish I could say more, but I can't. I promised I wouldn't and I never break my promises. Sarutobi frowned and Naruto said, please. She's the only chance I have. I would give up everything if you would just let me speak with her just once. With hope in his voice and in his eyes. Sarutobi said, Kakashi. You said Team 7 has passed already. Kakashi said, yes sir. Sarutobi looked at Naruto and said, are you sure, Naruto? Are you sure that Tsunade could help you or that she would want to? Naruto said, yes, what I have is something that will make her very happy and me as well. I'm positive she will most likely keep me by her side the rest of her life. Sarutobi thought for a moment and his eyes went wide and said, wait, if you don't have Kyuubi, then how are you able to heal so fast? Naruto flinched and said, shit, I was hoping you wouldn't think of that. I have 2 bloodlines. One from my father and one from my mother. Being able to heal is from my mother's. It's also why I have such large chakra reserves. Sarutobi asked, and the other? Naruto bit his lip and after several moments said, Mokuton. Causing both Kakashi and Sarutobi's eyes to go wide. Sarutobi asked how. Naruto frowned and reached into his coat and pulled out a scroll and handed it to him. Sarutobi opened it and his eyes went wide-eyed and he said, so your father was the Shodame's grandson. He used Mokuton to stop Kyuubi. Naruto said, it gets even more troublesome than that. The council declared me an adult at the age of 6 by me also being a ninja and the only member of my clan here in Konoha. I'm technically the clan head of the Senju clan right now. Also because of my mother's bloodline, if the truth comes out then I'm going to be walking in a minefield that could cause me to be turned into nothing but breeding stock. Tsunade is the only chance I have. If she comes back and takes over as clan head, she can protect me and knows enough about the laws of the village to be able to keep me from being turned into basically a slave. There's so much I don't know yet and I know once people find out the truth they will start treating me like they do Sasuke, while also secretly hating my guts. They would use every trick they can to use me, and then once I've secured my bloodline get rid of me. Sarutobi leaned back and asked who all knows of this. Naruto bit his lip and said Ino. She found me when I was practicing my bloodline and I was forced to reveal it. Sarutobi bit his lip and said, do you still want to learn about poisons? Naruto said, and plants, yeah. Sarutobi nods and says to Kakashi, I want you to go like I told you and get Naruto ready to be a ninja and for missions. Tomorrow morning Naruto meets here at 7 AM. I am going to send you and Ino on a mission to find Tsunade. I am going to send you to Anko, a Konoha poison expert. She will be your sensei on your trip. You will not return until you find her. Kakashi, you will take Sasuke as an apprentice until Naruto returns. Sakura will be placed with Team 10 until they return. Then you will go back to normal teams. Naruto said, damn, I'm going to have to hurry tonight then. Sarutobi said, why? Glancing at Naruto. Naruto said, I was going to sneak into my clan's house and copy my family so I could get stronger. Kakashi said, how about this? How about I take you to your clan house and seal your family scrolls into one of those storage scrolls so you can have them to look at while you're gone and I can have an idea of what you're learning. Naruto looked at the Sandaime who nodded and Naruto said, sure. But please don't teach Sasuke to my family. Kakashi said, I won't. Naruto smiled and said, thank you. Both of you. You don't know how much this means to me. Sarutobi said, is there anything else we need to know? Naruto thought and said, well. I got something that my godmother gave me. Kakashi said, godmother? Who? Naruto said, she's from another village somewhere. My mom summoned her and her 2 sisters somehow and they gave me these clothes and these. As he pulled out a deck of cards. Sarutobi laughed and said, you are definitely related to Tsunade. Naruto looked confused and said, these are not normal cards. Watch. As he turned one card around and had it face Naruto, a picture of Naruto showed up on the card and Naruto then pushed some chakra into the card and another Naruto appeared. Naruto said, this is sort of like a Kagebunshin, but it can't be destroyed. He draws chakra from me, but he has his own skills. Chance. My godmother, she told me if I copied Tsunade with these cards and used that card when my teammates were injured, a clone of Tsunade with all her skills at the time I copied her would appear and do whatever Tsunade would do while using my chakra and her knowledge to heal my teammates. I can't order her to do anything, but at least I would have her there to save them if she chose to. Both men looked shocked and Sarutobi said, amazing, can your godmother make more of those? Naruto said, I don't know. I don't even know where she lives or from. I just know that mom summoned her somehow and they took me away for a couple of hours after mom dispelled. That is a night I will never forget. I just wish I could remember it all. As a blush appeared. Kakashi gave a perverted giggle and said, so did you get a kiss or something? Naruto said flatly no, got drunk, danced, and fucked all 3 sisters at the same time. Chance, fate, and destiny said they wanted me to be broken into adulthood right. Kakashi and Sarutobi both looked at Naruto shocked and both said at the same time, damn. Naruto said, I think I still got a couple of the love bites they gave me. Anyways, if we are going to do this then we need to go before it gets too late. Kakashi said, right, let's go. As he moved over to Naruto who looked at the Sandaime and said, sorry for not telling you Jiji, but I'm still trying to come to terms with myself and I don't know what to do really and I'm afraid of what will happen. I've walked to the gates I don't know how many times and just looked out of them thinking, and if it wasn't for you, Tuchi, Haruka, Ino, and you Kakashi-sensei I think I would have walked out and never looked back. I know that must make me sound like a traitor, but. Sarutobi said, no Naruto. I understand. Just please give the people one more chance. Naruto said, I am. Sarutobi nods and Kakashi places his hand on Naruto's shoulder and they leave in a swirl of leaves. Chapter 5. They appeared in a weapon shop and Naruto looked around nervously as he saw a girl about his age with buns in her hair and she said, hi, welcome to the Wolfclaw weapon shop. How can I help you? Kakashi started to say something when a voice said, Kakashi, how nice to see you and is this Naruto? Naruto cringed and looked at the man, and the man said, relax kid, this is a ninja supply store, not those civilian outfitters that you've been to before. Also, since I am a private owner, I have the right to sell or refuse anyone I want, and you Naruto are always allowed here. You couldn't when you were younger since you needed that piece of metal there on your head. Since I have so many dangerous things in my shop, I made it where civilians couldn't come here. Unfortunately, that prevented you from coming here earlier. Sorry about that. Naruto looked confused and looked at Kakashi, and Kakashi said, this is Dustin, he's the owner, and his daughter Tenten. Dustin also knew my sensei Minato Namikaze, and he was smart enough to know the difference between a sword and sheath. Tenten is as well. Naruto scowled and Tenten said, you're both talking about Kyuubi, right? People are idiots about that. Naruto blinked and Tenten said, hi, I'm Tenten. I saw you in the academy but we were in different classes. I graduated last year. Naruto said, you're magic girl. Dustin asked the magic girl. Looking confused. Tenten was blushing and said, it's sort of a joke, everyone called me magic girl because of all the weapons I carry and also the fact I can make them appear like magic. The power of seals. Naruto said, oh. You're not like I heard you were. Tenten said, and I bet you're not like some of the stories I heard about you. You didn't really knock the Hokage out by changing into a nude woman and steal the forbidden scroll, did you? Naruto looked embarrassed and sad. That's true. Mizuki, one of my sensei at the academy, told me there was a special test that someone who wanted to be a ninja could take, and if you passed the test, you would become a ninja. He said it was for people who had trouble with ninjutsu like that Rock Lee kid in your class who passed even though he couldn't use chakra. Kakashi said, really, I didn't know that he actually said that. Naruto scowled and said, because nobody actually asked me what happened. Haruka-sensei told everyone that I had been tricked by Mizuki, he didn't know what was said to trick me, and it made me seem like I was really stupid. He had this list of all the kids who passed a special test. He showed me who had conditions that made them unable to pass certain parts of the test like missing an arm and had to do one-hand signs, or a kid who had a puppet leg that transferred here to Suna as part of the peace treaty. Since I actually knew Lee passed some special test, I thought the test was real. How could I have known that Mizuki was a traitor? Kakashi nods and Naruto asks, how did you know about furballs? Tenten said, a couple of idiots came in here one time to get weapons when they were drunk. They were talking about wanting to kill the demon fox and asked me if I wanted to help them. Dad put both of them in the hospital and he was forced to tell me. After that, when they came in again when Dad was making a delivery, I put them in the hospital. Stuck 37 in both of them and a needle up their asses. They've never been back. Naruto snorted and burst out laughing, and after he calmed down and said, flowers among the weeds, huh? Glancing at Kakashi. Kakashi nods and Naruto says, thank you. Both of you. Dustin said, no problem, kid. So what do you need? Kakashi handed him the letter from the Hokage and said the Naruto team had already passed, but the Hokage already had a mission outside of the village for him and a couple of others. Because of this, he needs some supplies that he would normally have time for himself to get. We need some new shurikens, ninja wire, exploding tags, a tent, sleeping bag, a first aid kit, a pack of blood pills and soldier pills, and some ration bars. We also need to get him some more clothes. I mean, silver is better than orange that he was forced to buy, but Naruto said no. The clothes I have are special, Kakashi. I don't need new clothes, and these will give me even better stealth than I already have. Tenten said, how can you have stealth in that? Naruto smirked and said, tell you what, if I can show you I have better stealth in this than you think, then you agree to go out with me once. Dustin said, you want me to go out with you? Sorry, you're not my type. Naruto said, not like that. I mean hang out. I want to get to know you better, since you can tell I'm me and not the fox. I want to see if we could become friends. Tenten said, alright. But what do I get if you fail? Naruto thought for a moment and said, what do you want? Tenten said, you get some other clothes than that and I get to pick them for you. Naruto said, deal. As he smirked and pulled his hood on and said, now you see me. And then to everyone's shock he disappeared from view and everyone was looking around the room and a voice from behind Tenten said, and now you don't. As he appeared behind her. Tenten jumped back and said, how did you do that? Naruto said, it's one of the things that makes these special. By adding chakra to them I can become invisible. They also can repair themselves from any damage as long as I send chakra into them, as long as even a piece of it remains. It washes itself with chakra when I take it off also. Dustin said, amazing. Where did you get that? Naruto said, it was a gift from my godmother. I don't know where she got it and I don't know if or when I will see her again since she lives somewhere else and was summoned here in the first place. Tenten said, you cheated. Naruto said, we're ninja, deception is supposed to be our greatest weapon. I'm also smart enough not to make a bet with a pretty woman unless I am sure I can win. Tenten blushed and said, well, get back on the other side of the counter before I stab you. Naruto chuckled and went up in smoke, and Naruto appeared where he had been before shocking them, and Naruto said also getting behind a woman whose beauty is only exceeded by the level of her skills at killing you is not a smart thing to do. Tenten scowled while blushing and said I am really starting to dislike you. Naruto said why, because I can make you angry and happy at the same time, or because you don't know if the warmth you feel is from your anger or excitement at being complimented on your beauty. Tenten said I'm going to stab you with a kunai if you keep it up. Naruto said they say you always hurt the ones you love. If you're falling in love with me from just the few minutes I've been here, wait until we have our date. Tenten's face went completely red and Dustin burst out laughing and Naruto walked over reaching into his cloak and pulled out an almond and Naruto said, this is for you. Tenten looked confused and said why did you give me an almond? Naruto said because first it matches your eyes and second it's like you. It has a hard outer shell to keep it safe, but a softer and more desired inner shell that if someone were willing to work to get to, would find a very pleasant item to savor. You said you like someone already, that means you like them, but they don't like you yet since you didn't say you're with someone. Don't sell yourself short and don't change who you are if he can't see what's in front of him. I want to get to know you but the real you and not who others want you to be. I also hope that I piqued your interest enough to get to know me, the real me and not what others think of me. I hope someday I can count you among my precious people, because to me those who are precious to me are like family that I would gladly give my life for. I may joke and stuff and playfully flirt with you, but my desire to know you is real. As he set the almond on the counter. Tenten smiled as her cheeks lightly blushed and said alright, you piqued my interest to get to know you better, and you're right, the guy I like doesn't like me yet. Thanks for the laugh though, and it's nice to hear someone say I look nice instead of a tomboy, even if it wasn't real. Naruto said I never said it wasn't real, you are a beauty, both inside and out. You're like a birthday present in a nice package, well I'm excited by your looks, I can't wait to get to know what's on the inside of the package. Tenten smiled and said thank you. As she looked away but also slipped the almond in her pocket and hand trying to hide the fact she did, but everyone saw it. Naruto said no problem. So let's get these supplies, I still have another stop to get ready for tomorrow, since I don't know when I can return. Kakashi said right, let's get you ready. As the group began to get the things Naruto needed. After Kakashi and Naruto left, Dustin said so, what do you think of your new friend? Tenten said he's different. I'm looking forward to meeting him again to get to know him. Dustin nodded and his lip twisted into a smirk and said my daughters are growing up so fast, first puberty, now dating, next you will be getting married and have children. As he covered his eyes and made a crying sound while Tenten looked embarrassed and said Dad. It's not like that. Causing Dustin to laugh and show he was teasing. Kakashi and Naruto then went to the Shadame house and after Naruto was shown how to enter the library by using his blood to get past the seal, Kakashi sealed 60 scrolls within water, earth, and Kakashi also wrote out 3 winds and said your father was a wind element so you might be as well. Before closing the library and showing the blood seal reset itself. After that Kakashi took Naruto back to his house and Akaja Bunshin met them with another scroll and Kakashi said food doesn't spoil in storage scrolls. He then put a seal on both Naruto arms by his shoulders and sealed all his supplies in the one on his right shoulder while his family on the left. Naruto smiled as he went to sleep that night. The next morning when Naruto walked into the Hokage office he saw Ino, the Sandame, and some woman wearing a trench coat and fishnet. Sandame said glad you could make it. I'm glad Kakashi told you to be on time. Now I am sure you are all wondering why you are here. As you may or may not know, the Chunin exams are going to be held here in 6 months. Because of this I have received a request to get some supplies ready ahead of time since we have several villages that use poisons as well as medical needs. To that end I have requested Anko, our village's poison expert and Ino here, one of our plant experts, to go on a mission to gather plants used for medicines and cures that are not native to our area and bring them here so we can have them on hand for the upcoming exams. I have also decided to have Naruto here alone because of him. He is immune to any poison he comes into contact with and because of this has picked up an interest in both plants and poisons, so I thought this trip would be very educational for him. Also with his ability to use Kage Bunshin like he does, it will make it easier for the team to gather the plants we need. Anko snorted and said alright, you got the official story out of the way, but what's really going on? The Sandame looked at Naruto who sighed and nodded and the Sandame said Ino already knows the truth and corrected Naruto. Naruto said yeah, she knows dad never actually sealed the furball in me. Causing Anko to turn and look at him in shock. Sandame said it's true. Something nobody but myself knew until recently is that Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime, was in fact the grandson of Hashirama Senju and possessed the Mokuton bloodline. If you're familiar with our village's history then you know that means he had the power to suppress and send Kyuubi back from where it came. Naruto also possesses that bloodline. I was instructed in the letter Minato left me to act like Naruto had the Kyuubi in him, since Minato placed a seal on him to give him the whiskers so that our enemies would not attack us while we were weak. I did not know when the truth would be revealed, so I had to wait until the event that would trigger the seal to end happened. It has happened and Naruto learned of his family and his bloodline. Now because the people of our village disregarded Minato's last request and because of Naruto fearing what will happen when his other bloodline becomes public knowledge, he has requested that he be allowed to track down Tsunade and show her the proof that he is her cousin and ask her to come back to Konoha and take over as the clan head of the Senju clan. Outside of this office only one other person is aware of this. Also Naruto has informed me that Root tried to recruit Ino twice. Ino, is this true? Ino looked confused and Naruto said to Ino, tell about the girl from the orphanage. Ino nods and tells everyone what happened and Sandaime and Anko scowl. The Sandaime said I have already planned to confront him about that as well as possibly being involved in the Uchiha massacre. That is another reason why I want both Naruto and Ino out of this village. Besides Kakashi, Anko is the only one here who has had personal interaction with Tsunade and knows how to find her since I don't know when I will be able to get a hold of Jiraiya. I can't send Kakashi without explaining the truth and at this time that is not an option. Anko smiled and said so. What do you want me to do with this? Naruto scowled and Sandaime said I don't know how long it will take to find her or where to even start. What I want you to do is head to the closest village you think she might visit and start looking for her. I want you to work on Ino's stamina and chakra reserves and Naruto chakra control. Naruto has some family that he will work on, so I want you to teach Ino about interrogation and both of them about poisons. You have free reign to teach them anything else you feel they should know and I want you to let them train at least 3 hours a day. You only have $3,000 for this mission, so you will have to use it sparingly and live off the land as well if the mission takes too long. While Anko is the leader of this mission and team, Naruto has control of what happens when you meet Tsunade, since it is a clan matter. Does everyone understand? Anko said yes sir. Ino nods and Naruto says yeah Jiji. But can you please keep a lid about all this for me? Sandaime nods and Anko says, alright, are you ready to leave? Naruto said I am. Ino said I am, Dad came by and brought me a scroll. He said that I had an important mission for the good of the village. The Sandaime said then you may leave when ready. Anko said meet me at the front gate in 15 minutes and don't be late. As she left in a swirl of leaves. Both Naruto and Ino looked at each other and took off running. Time skip, it was 1 month after leaving Konoha. During that time Ino had been drilled by Anko and getting her physical fitness up to standards by Anko using snakes and weapons to get her ass moving. This was a major victory because the first day's travel when Ino had to stop and rest 7 times in 4 hours pissed Anko off since the first town they were heading to was only 3 hours away normally. Anko also burst a Naruto bubble of him, thinking he was hot stuff with his coat and painting the Hokage monument. Turns out the first thing that caught Orochimaru's attention about Anko when she graduated the academy at a young age wasn't the fact she was talented but a sensor type. Flashback. Naruto slid across the ground on his back becoming visible and he looked at Anko shocked and Anko said, well your cloak hides you from sight, anyone who can detect chakra can tell where you are in an instant. Also your smell isn't masked either. In the village you had thousands of people masking your presence, making it easy for you to hide, but most ninja battles happen away from towns. I admit you do have good stealth skills, but don't use that cloak as you end all beat all, or you're going to end up dead. Use it to aid your already impressive skills. Learn to mask your scent, sound, and chakra, and you will be a stealth expert. Right now I give you high on that. Then flashback. After that Anko taught both Naruto and Ino tree walking, water walking, combining them with leaf balancing, and she also taught them meditation and suppressing their chakra. In the month Naruto control skyrocketed to mid-level, and instead of feeling like Naruto had cage-level reserves he was sending out low jounin level. The truth about Kimichi came out in Anko when she was teaching both about poisons, used Naruto as a test subject, making him immune to the poison she demonstrated how to make and cure. Naruto during the month learned 7 from his family scrolls. 2 earth, 2 water, 2, and 1 wind. Anko had told him when she saw how he was going to try and have his Kagebunshin learn everything that he would get nothing actually done so had him focus on 1 offensive and 1 defensive for each of his elements so that way he had something to counter with an attack with. Also going slow gave him a chance to actually master them instead of simply knowing it. She also taught him how to work on his elemental affinities for earth, wind, and water since she learned those from her sensei, though he has yet to master these. For earth and water she bought 10 buckets and had him fill each with mud and he would either have to pull the water out of the mud using chakra or pull the dirt out of the mud with chakra. He had to learn from them. As for wind he had to cut a leaf with his chakra and while he only could barely cut them at least. Ino however was not taught any. Anko instead began to teach her a taijutsu style called sliding snake, one of the minor styles that created the serpent style that Orochimaru taught Anko. As for Naruto, Flashback, Naruto sat at a poker table and thought, how the hell did I get talked into this again? Oh yeah, I broke that coffee table at the hotel and cost us most of our funds. And he said give me two. As he passed two cards away. The dealer sent him cards and a guy across from him said, there is no way in hell you can win another game, kid. You've already taken us for nearly $7,000 in the last 5 games. Naruto said, what can I say, Lady Luck loves me. But you don't have any money left, so why don't you fold so me and the chain smoker can throw down. The guy said, you're right, I have all my money out there right now, how about a side bet? If I win, me and him split the pot, if he wins he gets the pot, but if you win you get both pots. Naruto said, what other pot? Looking curious. The man smirked and pulled out a scroll and said, this scroll contains the fighting style of the Yonde Mizukage himself. It was stolen by an Iwanin who I killed and collected the bounty on. This style is worth 10 grand. So what do you say? Pushing the rest of your chips into a side pot for this scroll. Naruto looked at the other man and said, are you in on his deal? The man said, you could buy every pot here on out so I have no choice but to agree. Besides, there is no way you could beat my hand. Naruto looked at his hand and said, sure, what the hell? As he shoved his money in. The man with the scroll said, ha, take this asshole, full house, 3 aces and 2 kings. The other man said, damn, beats by straight, what do you have? Naruto said, I think there's something wrong with my eyes, I'm seeing double. I got a pair of 2s and a pair of 2s with ace high. Both men scowled and Naruto said, pleasure gentlemen. As he grabbed the money and the scroll and left. Then flashback, when Naruto returned to the hotel room with the money and gave Anko half of it, her eyes lit up and Naruto took both Anko and Ino out to eat. As for the scroll, Anko took a look at it and decided after copying and adding her own notes to it, it would work for him because it wasn't an actual style, but a combination of 2 different styles put together to make it seem real. It was a basic samurai sword kata that each of the samurai guarding the Fire Lord were taught to begin their training when younger. Next was an offensive taijutsu style called cheetah style that used high-speed quick movements that had you get in and cut your enemy where they would bleed to death the longer they fought, and the ones she added were parts of the serpent style that attack the joints of the body, making it harder for an enemy to fight since their joints will be hurting, which will scare them into trying to avoid you, and when added with the cheetah style, it makes it a battle of attrition, and with Naruto's stamina, it seemed like a perfect style since he had stamina in spades. Naruto was walking through the woods to find him a place to bathe. Ino and Anko both left him at their campsite 1 mile from town and would return the next day with supplies. Once a week Naruto would summon Oak to him and work on his bloodline. This day was also a day for Anko to take Ino into town and teach her things that she would need to know as a kunoichi while looking for any clues as to where Tsunade might be. So far the group had learned Tsunade liked to gamble and could run up as big of a sake bill as she did a debt on gambling. It was suggested to do this since Naruto the first time he tried the Makubunshin no nearly stabbed Anko and was deemed too dangerous for her and Ino to be near him when he practiced it until he learned to use it properly. As he walked he heard the sound of running water and headed toward it. After 5 minutes he found a river, but there was a woman with black hair and a black cotton dress looking at the water, and over the sound of water was a sound that Naruto recognized as sobs. Frowning, Naruto glanced around and began to walk toward the woman and said, are you alright? Causing the woman to jump startled and quickly get into a defensive stance. The woman said, who are you? In a commanding voice. Naruto held his hands out and said, relax, I'm not here to hurt you or anything. Besides, isn't it common courtesy to give your name first when asking someone theirs? The woman bit her lip and Naruto said, Naruto. My name is Naruto. I was heading to the river and saw you sitting there and heard you crying, so I thought I would see what was wrong and see if I could help. Still showing his hands not holding anything. The woman said, Shizune. Naruto said, it's nice to meet you, Shizune. Is it alright if I lower my hands or are we going to be hostile toward each other all day? I rather not since I sort of stink at the moment from traveling and would hate for you to get a whiff of the odor. Shizune bit her lip, but a small giggle left her mouth as she relaxed and Naruto lowered his arms and asked, so? You want to talk about it? Shizune frowned and said, not really. Naruto shrugged and said, fair enough. Though if you change your mind I'll gladly lend an ear for a beautiful woman like you. As he walked over and knelt down by the water as Shizune blushed. Shizune bit her lip and said, where are you heading to? Naruto looked at her for a moment and said truthfully. I don't know. I'm looking for someone but haven't a clue where to find her. Been searching a month for her and all I've found are dead leads. As he used a rag to wash his face. Shizune asked, who is it? Naruto said, the only person who could save my life. Causing Shizune to take a new look at Naruto trying to figure out what was wrong. She said, what's wrong with you? I mean I can't tell anything by looking at you that could be wrong. Naruto laughed and said, sorry, not like that. No, with my bloodline I don't have to worry about ever getting sick. No, I'm sort of in a nightmare that my father placed me in. He did something that caused the people of my village to hate my guts. When they find out about my bloodlines they are going to make my life hell and turn me into a slave and breeding stock. The only chance I have is to find this woman I'm looking for." Shizune frowned and said, "What village are you from?" "I don't see any." Naruto said, "Oh, I got it sealed in a scroll because the woman, the leader of our village, sent me out under the disguise of another mission and there are those in power who would most likely try to find me, so I hide it so as not to draw too much attention to me." As he had taken off his shirt and cloak and was washing his arms and chest, Shizune said, "You still haven't told me what village you're from." Naruto said, "I know. It's not that I don't want to tell you, it's just that I don't want to see you get hurt and I also don't want you to think bad about my village either." "Well, I hate the villagers, there are those who see me as me and I care for them. I would die for them." Shizune said, "Fair enough. Why are you telling me so much about you? You don't seem like a very good ninja." Naruto said, "Well, I've never been what you call normal. I trust my instincts since they have saved my life over the years and they are telling me to trust you. Besides, by talking to you and showing you that you're not the only one with a problem, I'm hoping it gives you something to help make whatever's bothering you more bearable. A woman shouldn't cry unless it's tears of happiness." Shizune smiled and said, "Thank you. So you have a bloodline." Naruto said too. As he sat down and began to wash his feet and legs after rolling up his pant legs, Shizune said, "Really? How is that possible?" Naruto said, "My father had one and my mother had one. Somehow it worked out where I got both." As his smile slowly faded away, Shizune saw this and asked, "What's wrong?" Naruto said, Since I found out the truth about my parents and my bloodlines, I've been thinking about the future and why my parents did what they did. My parents had a lot of enemies. So many that if people found out they had a child I would have had a lot more people trying to kill me. I've been thinking of what my own children will someday face. Kidnappings, assassinations, being turned into weapons for those in power. I don't want that life for my children but I don't want to let my family line die with me. I'm the last with either bloodline and they are both so powerful they could change the world. Never having to fear being sick, never having to worry about being poisoned or catching some kind of disease. Never have to worry about going hungry. And yet those same abilities are going to become the destruction of my family. My village will want to keep them safely in our village, while other villages would go to war in order to claim them or destroy them. I've tried coming up with ways to stop this from happening. I've thought about sleeping with every woman I could and with. Well, my gifts would become pregnant after one time and yet I also don't want to do that because I want my children to be loved and cared for. I know I won't be able to be in their lives because if I am they will be hunted down and either captured or killed." Shizune bit her lip and Naruto said, "Kami's greatest gift is also the greatest curse. She gave us the gift of choice, but then we are also responsible for the consequences of our action. How can I bring a life into this world and force the child to live without a father, the same curse that I had to face with both my parents passing away the day I was born? Even if I find this woman I'm looking for I will never be able to have a family in my own village. I could turn around and walk away from my village right now, but if I did then I would be spitting on everything my ancestors stood for since they founded my village and most of the leaders of my village were members of my family. How can I turn my back on my precious people and leave them?" Shizune sat down on the log she was sitting on before and said, "I know how you feel. My master. She was engaged to my uncle. He was the only family I had and when he was killed my master took me like a daughter and took me away from our village. I was 9 years old when I graduated from the academy and I became a chunin when I was 13. 2 months later he died and I left everything he had to me with my master. I'm 31 years old now and I have been with her all these years and everything that comes with it. And every day I see her fall deeper and deeper into depression. She hasn't been sober an entire day in 15 years and I've been beside her through all that. Today. The day she called me an old maid who is too ugly to even get a man to look at and will never know the joys of being a woman. She said the only reason I follow her is because men are always trying to get with her and that I'm hoping that one of them will be so desperate to feel sorry for me. I've given up so much for her and she said those things to me. I know she's drunk and shouldn't really listen to her war." As she was silenced by Naruto who placed his hand on her left cheek and lifted the tear away, Naruto said, "Please don't cry Shizune and don't listen to that woman. I understand your master feeling pain over losing her fiancé and I understand your feelings for being with her all these years, but I've also had to deal with people on a daily basis that deal with the loss of those close to them and I've also seen an innocent being hurt by others and your master's wrong Shizune. You are a beautiful woman, you could have any man you want, but you're scared of what would happen to your master if you were to leave her. That's why you're still with her. Do you know why people die and why we age?" Shizune asked in a whisper. "Why?" As she looked at Naruto's eyes that were showing kindness to her, Naruto said, "Because age is a way to measure time. We are given life and experience it here for a short time where we gain wisdom and understanding. When those who are close to us die they go and wait on the other side for you. It may seem to us like a long time, but it is only a short window we are alive here. The pain of loss we feel here is so when we are with our loved ones for eternity, we appreciate them and never just accept them. The pain of loss causes us to hold on to them even more, and we will never let them go, no matter how long it is, so we can enjoy eternity together. Your uncle was a good man, I bet. He's waiting for you on the other side, he's waiting to hear your stories about your life, and he's waiting to hear his fiancée. When you meet him again, do you really want to tell him about what you have experienced so far and make him feel guilty for all the years of pain and suffering you both feel, or do you want to be able to look him in the eye and tell him about all the years of joy you have and to show him the crow's feet around your eyes that show years of happiness? You have that chance, Shizune, and you have the choice. I would gladly trade places with you so that I could have the choice to choose my own life. Shizune asked, but why can't you? Naruto said, do you know what a Jinchuriki is? Shizune frowned and nodded, and Naruto said, my father didn't seal a demon in me, but he did make a human sacrifice to save my village. The choice was taken from me before I was even a few hours old, and now I have to live with his choice. Shizune said, you said if you could find this woman she could save you. How can she help you? Naruto smiled and said, if I find her, the only thing I will really gain is the power to make my own choice again. Because of the actions of those in my village, how can I trust them with the lives of those I treasure the most? I'll probably never be able to have a family with anyone from my own village. How can I when I will be waking up each day expecting to find a kunai at my neck or my children taken from me? The only way I see I will ever have a family I can claim as my own is to find some princess or cage daughter or someone like that who has political backing that my village can't do anything without causing a war, and if I do find this woman and she gives me my freedom, I would only marry for love, which will most likely never happen. Shizune said, but what of your bloodline, would you let them die out? Naruto said, no. I will most likely in my travels and missions find a few women who desire a child and would take care of them, maybe those who have husbands who can't have children, and offer to give them a child to raise as their own or something like that. Well, I would love to be able to hold my child and raise them. I know that it will most likely never happen. I don't really care about my family name. Names are things others give you, so as long as any child I have has a loving family to take care of them and they won't be used as a weapon, then I could live with that. Being an orphan all these years and being alone is a curse that if I can keep my children from living, then all the pain and suffering I face would be worth it. Shizune looked at him and said, you're a good person, Naruto. The people of your village are idiots if they can't see you. Naruto smiled and Shizune bit her lips and leaned forward and kissed his lips, causing him to go wide-eyed a moment before closing his eyes and pulling Shizune into his embrace. Shizune pulled back, flushed and bit her lip and said, could you let me be the mother of your child? Naruto's eyes went wide in shock and Shizune placed her finger to his lips and said, wait, hear me out. I'm not getting any younger. Most women my age already have a child or two. I'm not rich, but I am skilled as a healer. I earn money going around curing diseases and helping people. I've been taking care of my master all these years, but I do have some money setback she doesn't know about. I can't leave her for the same reason you can't leave your village, but I don't want to make the same mistake she has. I've dreamed of being a mother my entire life. I know we can't be together and I'm fine with that. But I would be honored to help you find peace knowing you have a child who will grow up with a loving mother, and I would love a child with my entire being. I ask you. No, I beg you, please. Naruto closed his eyes and asked, are you sure? Shizune said yes. Naruto took one moment to look at her for any signs of deceit and coming to a decision leaned forward and began to kiss Shizune as his hand trailed up and down her back as she placed her hands on his chest. He began to untie her dress, slipping it off her as Shizune's hands began to work her way around Naruto. As their touches increased, so did their desire, and soon the sounds of moans, paintings, and gasps were heard echoing through the forest. The next morning Naruto held Shizune in his arms and he said, I was right, Shizune, you are a very beautiful woman and will make a beautiful mother in less than a year. Shizune said, how can you be sure that I am pregnant? It usually takes a few days at least for a medic to know. Naruto smiled as he kissed her head and said, you are. I can't tell you how I know, but you are. I wish we could be together some more though. I could come to love you if things were different. Shizune smiled and said, and I could love you as well. I've never felt happier or more content than I do right now. Naruto sighed and said, this will probably be the last time we see each other. For your protection and our child's, we can't tell anyone about this. Shizune closed her eyes as a tear fell and said, I know. Can you at least tell me about what bloodlines our child will have? Naruto bit his lip and said, I can tell you about one, the one that will have the most effect on the child. It's called the Kamichi. It uses the child's chakra to heal itself. Any poison the child comes in contact with will only make him or her sick for a little while, and then the child will forever be immune to it as long as they have enough chakra in their body to fight it. It can regenerate lost limbs, organs, bones, and flesh. Any disease they come in contact with might give them a little sneeze or a light fever, if even that is their body becomes immune to it. It all depends on how much chakra the child has in their body, and since it uses chakra their reserves will increase quickly. I know you're a medic nin since you told me, so if you decide to have our child become a ninja, I would suggest pounding chakra control into their head from day one. Other than that I leave the decision to you. Shizu nods and kisses him on the lips and says if we do meet and you want to meet our child, I will let you. Naruto let a tear fall and said I know. But I also know what my family's enemies will do, and I won't put our child into that danger. Shizune stood up and said I should be going now. My master has probably passed out somewhere and I need to get her up and going for the day. Naruto got up and he hugged her and said if we see each other again act like you don't know me. That way if I'm with someone I don't trust they won't think anything of it. Shizune nods and kisses his lips one more time and away as the words goodbye hit his ears. After she was gone he fell to his knees and began to cry. When Naruto got back to camp after he took a bath in the river, he found a blonde-haired woman with a huge breast passed out on his sleeping bag and he blinked and thought, what the hell? How many women are in these woods? And he said hey, lady, wake up. Naruto frowned as the woman did not stir and he said oi, lady, you need to get up, you're in my bed. The woman began to stir and she said shut the hell up. Naruto got a tick and said listen here lady, I don't mind that you used my sleeping bag, but you shouldn't be rude about it. The woman sat up and looked at Naruto with bloodshot eyes and she said, who the hell do you think you're talking to? Naruto said I don't know and don't care about the lady. The woman got up and said I'll tell you who the hell I am Tsunade Senju. Naruto's eyes got wide and said Tsunade Senju. As in the granddaughter of the Shodaime Hokage. Tsunade nods and Naruto said oh this is great, I've been searching for you. I got something for you. As he rummaged in his cloak pockets and pulled out a scroll. Naruto was smiling as Tsunade eyed the scroll, and then Naruto, and she slowly took the scroll, and Naruto felt like a great weight was lifted off his shoulders when Tsunade smirked, and the next thing he knew he was feeling great pain in his chest as he was sent flying through a tree. And several more before the sixth one bent in half and fell on him pinning him to the ground as one branch stabbed him in the stomach. As he coughed and in pain, Tsunade appeared laughing and said idiot, do you really think I care who you are or what's in this scroll? I'll never go with you. As she threw the scroll in the air and Naruto's eyes got wide as Tsunade finished a set of hand signs and breathed a fireball consuming the scroll. Naruto gasped as his eyes followed the ashes of the document and Tsunade drew back and kicked him in the face and the last thing Naruto heard before he blacked out was her laughter as she ran off. When Ino and Anko returned to the camp both saw the destruction of several trees and Anko said fan out and searched for them. As both women began to look around and Ino screamed as she found Naruto. When Anko got where Ino was she saw Naruto pinned to the ground and a pool of blood around him as he looked pale and she looked at the tree a moment before biting her thumb and flashing through hand signs and as she slammed her hands on the ground, said Kuchiyas no jutsu. As a 30 feet long snake appeared that was 3 feet wide and Anko said Slither, I need you to lift this log off here without hurting the kid if you can. He's still alive but needs serious help. The snake quickly dug into the ground and came out on the other side of the log before wrapping its head around another tree and lifting the log off Naruto as Anko broke the branch that was sticking in him and pulled him out. Once he was safely out the snake went up in smoke. Anko quickly removed the branch and shoved a soldier pill and a blood pill in Naruto's mouth and began to use a medical to help him. Ino stood back watching with tears in her eyes and her hand over her mouth. After 20 minutes Anko wiped the sweat off her forehead and said there. That's all I can do. Hopefully his bloodline is as good as he claimed. All we can do now is wait. You watch him, I'm going to look around for clues to see if I can find out who did this. Ino moved and placed Naruto's head in her lap and she thought why couldn't I do anything? I won't be helpless again. I'm going to learn some medicine so I can help out next time. It was the next day when Naruto awoke and found himself near the fire with Ino laying next to him and Anko said I see you're awake. Naruto's eyes glossed over and nodded and Anko asked can you tell me about what happened? Naruto frowned and said, the missions are over. Anko frowned and said just because you got hurt you're stopping the mission. Why? I mean you're already healed. Naruto shook his head and said Tsunade was the one who did this to me. Earning a gasp from Ino who awoke hearing his voice and Anko eyes going wide. Anko asked, are you sure? Naruto said big-breasted blonde who reeks of sake and can punch me in the chest once and send me through all those trees. Yeah, she even said her name was Tsunade Senju. She said she didn't care who I was or what was in the scroll I gave her, she was never going with me as she burnt the scroll and kicked me in the face and left me for dead laughing. Ino asked what was in the scroll. As her face showed how shocked she was. Naruto closed his eyes and said my freedom. I now have no proof of who my family is or was. I can't even prove that my real name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze now. As far as I know those were the only copies of those documents left. As he sat up slowly wincing as his stomach was tender and slowly began to pack up camp. Ino said so what now? Anko bit her lip and said the missions are over. If Tsunade isn't going to return with us then we have no option but to return. Ino looked down and Anko said I can't believe Shizune would let Tsunade do that. Naruto froze and asked Shizune. Anko said yeah, Tsunade apprentice. She's been with her since her uncle died. I met her back when I was apprenticing under Orochimaru and your dad was apprenticing under Jiraiya. Naruto closed his eyes and thought Grandma Kami, you're a bitch. Naruto said I see. Shizune wasn't with her. Tsunade was alone here in the camp when I returned from taking a bath. Maybe if this is how Tsunade treats people Shizune got smart and left her ass. Anko said doubtful. Do you think you can travel, kid? Naruto said yeah. But let's take it slow. I need time to think before we get back. Anko nodded and Ino placed her hand on his shoulder and said, if you want to talk about it, I'm here for you. Naruto said thanks Ino. As he looked away. Chapter 6. It took a week to return to Konoha. As they got back to the village Kotetsu looked at them and said hey, how was your mission? Naruto said not good. Anko said anything exciting happened here while we were gone. Trying to change the subject. Kotetsu said well. Right now Kaharu and Himeru are running the village. Causing all three to go wide-eyed. Naruto said why, what happened to the old man? Kotetsu said he's in the hospital. Apparently he found out Danzo was a traitor to Konoha and confronted him about it. He killed Danzo, but he's been injured and been in the hospital ever since. Naruto frowned and Anko said well come on, let's go report it. When they got into the Hokage Tower Naruto frowned as he saw people taking glances at him and they made it to the Hokage office. After waiting 10 minutes they were let in and Himeru said welcome back Anko, Ino, Naruto. How was your mission? Anko said I'm afraid that's classified as Elder Sama. I know you're currently in charge, but for security reasons I need to know if you are aware of exactly what our mission was before I can tell you. If not I will have to give my report to Sandaime-sama. Naruto asked how is he? Catching the attention of everyone. Kaharu said he's alive and stable. He asked that you be brought before him when you return. As for the nature of your mission, he informed us that yours was an actual security mission to protect Ino and Naruto due to the fact both of them were able to present evidence of Danzo treason actions. He said there was more to it but was classified. Anko thinking quickly said the actual protection for the most part was finished. As instructed I trained both so they wouldn't be far behind their peers and I feel they may actually be ahead of their peers. I was able to teach him several as well as increase his chakra control, which if we weren't in the village, you would notice his natural release is only low jounin level compared to San cage level it was before. He was able to discover during our travel an incomplete Taijutsu Kenjutsu style that with a little help from me was able to finish it and is working on get his body able to perform it. As for Ino I increased her stamina, chakra reserves, control, and I taught her one of the simpler styles that make up a part of my style. I also taught her some information gathering skills to better prepare her for her future as the next generation Ino Shikacho group. I also was able to teach both some about poisons and antidotes, so at least when I'm not here we have some minor knowledge to help the village. Kaharu said excellent. You've done a fine job Anko. Naruto and Anko both blinked and said at the same time alright, who are you and what have you done with the elders? Himeru said well. As hard as it might be to believe, but for the last 10 years Danzo has had Kaharu and myself under his control through the use of several forbidden and other things that are classified. As such we were little more than puppets to him. He was paranoid about it though, so he made it where we were only loyal to him and with his death we are free. I can understand your feelings toward us with the way you both were treated and I hope we can earn your trust. Naruto frowned and Anko said we'll see. Himeru said well I expect you want to see Sarutobi. He's in room 321 and the guards have been given permission to let you in Naruto. Naruto nodded and looked at Anko and Ino and said if you don't mind, could we keep what happened a secret? I don't want the village making fun of me for nearly killing myself with my own. Anko said sure Gaki. Ino said of course. Both understand what he really meant. Naruto nods and leaves and after he is gone Kaharu asks what happened. With concern in her voice. Anko said sorry, he earned my respect and trust on this mission and I don't see a reason to hurt him by revealing a simple training accident that anyone could make. Himeru said I understand. Well is there anything else you would like to report? Anko said nope. Kaharu said, how about you, Ino? Ino said no. Himeru said well, you dismissed them. When Naruto made it to the hospital room of the Sandaime led in he saw the Sandaime sitting on the bed reading Icha Paradise and Naruto said well, you must not be dying any faster than normal if you're still trying to get a hard on. Sandaime looked sheepish as he quickly hid the book and said so. How was the mission? Naruto scowled and said it failed. Sarutobi said you weren't able to find her then. Naruto walked over to the window and said oh, I found her. And I hope she rots in hell. Sarutobi frowned and said what happened? Naruto frowned and told him what happened, and Sarutobi was silent for a moment and said, so you never told her who you were. If I know Tsunade, she probably thought you were a debt collector and you were handing her the marks she had from her debt. Naruto scowled and said, I thought of that, as did Ino and Anko on the way back, but after what she did to Shizune-chan I doubted. Sarutobi blinked and said, but you said Shizune wasn't there. Naruto said, I know. I ran into Shizune the day before and we spent time with each other after I found her crying in the woods. Well, what she's done to me could be explained, the things she's done to Shizune are even worse, and out of respect for her I won't tell you. Sarutobi frowned and thought, how far have you fallen, Tsunade? Naruto unsealed one of the scrolls from his shoulder and said, Jiji. Since I don't have proof any longer and because after what has happened, I wish to release myself from the Senju clan. I think this is why Dad never told anyone about his bloodline. Tsunade is the last Senju. The woman who is my cousin is dead to me. As he handed the scroll to the Sandaime. Sandaime looked at the scroll and said, you think you don't deserve these since you're not related to Tsunade, right? I don't see that. This is your family scroll. I see a scroll your father entrusted to me to give to you when you were ready. I also give you permission to use your father's name. I have the marriage and birth certificate for your parents and you. Naruto's eyes got wide and Sarutobi said, I didn't know Minato had a copy for you, but I had a copy I was waiting to give you when you were ready. I asked that you keep your family name a secret though until you're strong enough. Naruto bit his lip and said, alright. So when are you going to be getting out and taking over again? Sarutobi said, I should be out in a week. But, Naruto asked, but what about Jiji? Sarutobi said, well, you were out Jiraiya, your godfather and the sensei to your father came to give me a report and I was still in critical condition. Kaharu and Hamaru asked him to take over as the Godame and he refused and said that Tsunade would be a better choice. The elders agreed and sent him to retrieve her. Naruto's eyes got wide and he paled and he looked up at the roof and said, I really hate you. Sarutobi sighed and said, I will keep quiet about who you are related to and I will order those who know not to tell her. Naruto frowns and says, Jiji. I know this isn't normally done and you've been more than generous to me, but I have a request. Is there any way I can not be here if this Jiraiya guy brings her back? With everything that's happened I feel like I'm snapping. I nearly bid Ino and Anko head off trying to be nice to me on the way back. Maybe a low-rank mission or something like that, something long-term to give me a little time to calm down and figure out things. I'll return when the mission is over. I just need to get away from it all for a little while. Sarutobi frowned and said, get the guards at the door for me. Naruto nods and walks out and says, oi, he needs one of you. An Anbu with a Nico mask walked in and Sarutobi said, please go get the elders and ask them to come here. I need to speak with them. Nico nods and shushens away and Naruto said, that reminds me, what's with the old fossils, were they really under Danzo's control? Sarutobi said, since the Uchiha massacre they were. But don't worry about them. I knew when you returned if it was while I was in here they would need a cover story, so I gave them one saying it was for yours and Ino protection. I also had a seal placed on both of them that I can activate at a moment's notice and kill them both since I don't trust them, but while I am weakened, we need to make it appear the village is still strong. I also have an Anbu I trust watching them behind that can kill them also if they try anything. Naruto nodded and there was a knock on the door and Kaharu and Hamaru walked in and Hamaru said, you need a Sarutobi. Sarutobi said yes. I need you to give Naruto another mission here, long-term, but have it when he returns before the Chunin exams. Something low-level though since he will be going alone. Kaharu said, alone, surely you don't expect us to send a child out alone, do you? Sarutobi said, yes. Naruto. If you want this then I need to tell them the truth about your father. Naruto frowned and said, as long as you don't mention that or those. Sarutobi nodded and looked at Kaharu and Hamura and said, what I am about to tell you is classified. It's the real truth of what happened the night the Kyuubi attacked Konoha. Hamaru asked, what do you mean the real truth? Sarutobi said the Kyuubi was never sealed away. It was sent back to where it came from. Minato Namikaze, Naruto's father, placed a seal on Naruto on top of an advanced storage seal that held a Kajibuntion of his wife, Naruto mother. They knew the entire time she would die from childbirth. The seal was what gave Naruto the whiskers he once had. Naruto would show them the seal and your face. Naruto snorts and raises his shirt before he removes the bandages from his face, causing both elders to go wide-eyed. Sarutobi said, now this info cannot come out yet. If it does then we could have trouble with Iwa who would try to get revenge. It has to remain a secret until the Chunin exams, at which time Naruto will take his real name and I will have the truth revealed. Between now and then Naruto is working on mastering his family that are in a scroll left to him by his parents. That is one of the reasons he is trying to stay outside of Konoha for now to train without anyone spying on him before he is ready. Hamaru closed her eyes and said, forgive us and our village for all the pain and suffering we have caused you, Naruto-san. We will find a long-term mission of low enough rank that you should be able to do. Are you ready to kill if need be? Naruto frowned and looked at the Sandame who frowned as well, and Sarutobi said he has already. A civilian had claimed she was his mother when he was 7 and let him into her home. The exact details of what happened in that house are only known to me and Naruto. All I will say is the woman is dead. Himeru said I see. Himeru. What about the bridge builder escort to Wave? Himeru said It's a C rank and you would have to guard the client back to his home and guard him while he builds a bridge from Wave to Fire Country. The client says that he's only expecting maybe some bandits or thieves who would try to rob him on his way back home or try to steal from the supplies they are using to work on the bridge. It should take you about 3 months. Naruto said that will work. I can leave within 2 hours if that will work. Himeru looked at Sarutobi who said very well. Meet your client in the Hokage office in 2 hours, Naruto. Naruto nodded and after he was gone Kaharu and Himeru both looked at Sandame angrily, who said don't give me that look. I know what I am doing. Right now Konoha is on the verge of losing something more powerful and desired than even the Kyuubi or all the bloodlines in the world put together. The people need a hero. They believe in them and follow them. Naruto is a hero, but the years of abuse and betrayal that Naruto has endured has him closer to being a flight risk than the Uchiha. If that happens then the future of our village is dark because no one else in the village has the desire to protect and do what's right more than him. Now when Tsunade gets here I want you to bring her to me, in chains if you must but bring her to me. As he released a little Kai. Kaharu who was stuttering seeing the look of anger in Sarutobi's eyes, said of course Sarutobi. Let's go Himeru, maybe she's already back and we need to get the client ready. As they quickly left. Sarutobi smiled and said you're getting better Naruto, I just barely managed to catch it, but I've been in this room enough over the last few days to know there is only one chair in here. The second chair was covered in smoke and Naruto was seen standing there and he looked sheepish and said sorry about that Jiji, but. After what happened. I'm scared. I don't know who I can trust. Sarutobi said it's alright. I understand this time and the fact you even thought of doing it shows you are becoming wiser. Naruto smiled and said well I better go, I just wanted to also ask you not to tell anyone about my relation to Tsunade, not even her. Sarutobi said I understood and I was not going to tell her. In my eyes that is a clan matter and you and her can deal with it as you see fit. Naruto looked at him and said so that is why that law was created. Let the clan settle their own problems and you don't have to do the paperwork. Sarutobi smirked and Naruto went up in smoke. Naruto was leaving his apartment when he got the memories from his clone and he smiled slightly before heading down the stairs. He stopped at Ino's apartment and knocked. A few moments later Ino opened the door and Naruto said I came to tell you I'll be gone for the next month or 2. Ino frowned and said, but we just got back. Naruto said I know but I don't want to be here when she gets here. Ino blinked and looked confused and asked who. Wait, she's coming here. Why? As Naruto gave her a look. Naruto said, well Jiji was in the hospital the old fossils had Jiraiya go and search for her to become the Goddamn Hokage. I asked him to let me leave to calm down and he's letting me take a C-rank mission solo. I came by to tell you to keep training and when I get back I will give you a special treat. You will get anyone's request from me to fulfill as long as you don't ask me to give you a child and it's something I can fulfill. But I will have sex if you want. Ino thought for a moment and said anything. Naruto nodded and held up his hand which was closed and said anything. As he smirked. Ino said you know. My apartment is so very lonely. I want to. As she stopped as a chain fell from Naruto's hand and a key was on it. Ino's eyes got wide and Naruto said your request is filled. Here's the key to my apartment. Ino asked how. Naruto said to Ino, remember, I know your innermost desires. Besides, to save money we had to share a room all 3 of us and you and I shared beds as well as the times we spent in our tent. I knew you would want to continue that. Ino took the key and Naruto said, but you still have to keep your apartment and make it appear as if we are the landlord and tenant. Ino sighed and said yes, master. Naruto kissed her on the lips sensually and after they broke apart he asked, could you take care of my plants, also while I'm gone? I left half of the ones to make poisons and medicines that Anko showed us so they can grow for use later. Luckily Anko had us find 10 of each. Ino snorted and said jerk, you were going to ask me that all along, didn't you? Naruto said perhaps. But I do like being close to you also. Ino blushed and said so when do you leave? Naruto said in less than 2 hours I need to finish getting ready. Ino said please. Be careful. You're not a god. Naruto froze for a moment and said I know. As he kissed her one more time and left. When Naruto got to the Hokage tower he saw several Anbu standing there and one said who are you and why are you here? Naruto blinked and looked at him stupid and said who the hell are you? How the hell can't you tell who I am? I'm the most hated person in the village, the prank master from hell, the spiraling maelstrom of wind and wave, the Sachi no Shinigami, Naruto Uzumaki. Now, can you tell the old goat and ag the brats here for his solo C rank? As he showed them his hide on his arm. A snicker was heard from the side of the room and Kakashi was sitting there and said some things never change, huh? Naruto said why change when life's exciting the way it is? Kakashi said all of you stand down, he's cleared for full access to this building. At this everyone seemed to relax and start to break up and Kakashi said sorry about that, with what happened with the Sandaime the Fire Lord sent a couple of guards to protect the tower and its secrets. To keep others from knowing these are just a small police force and not ninja, the elders had them given special Anbu uniforms to make them seem stronger than they are. Anyone without a jounin walking in will be stopped. So, what's this I hear about a solo C rank? Naruto said I need to get out of town for a little while and the old man gave me permission for a small guard mission. As for why? Ask him. I got to meet the client in about 5 minutes. Kakashi said so our team is still not being reunited. Naruto frowned and said how's Sasuke? Kakashi said about the same. I've had him working on his speed a little and chakra control. Naruto nodded and started to walk and said you are coming, I would hate to be stopped again. As he walked toward the Hokage office. Kakashi smirked behind his mask and followed Naruto into the office. Taharu and Hamaru both looked at Naruto and Kakashi walked in behind him and Hamaru said to Naruto, good to see you on time. As she shot a glare at Kakashi, Naruto said yeah. So you must be the client. As he looked at the man with a straw hat and a bottle of sake, the man said I'm Tazuna, the super bridge builder. Are you both a ninja who are guarding me? Naruto started to say something when Kakashi said actually. I was going to tell the honorable elders that I've already spoken with the Sandaime and the rest of Team 7 are at the gates waiting for us. Naruto was shocked and Kakashi said remember what I said when your team passed. Naruto said you pray you never find out what wrinkles on a woman when she gets older. Causing Kaharu to glare at Kakashi who played a moment from the kai she was releasing. Kakashi smirked and said I'll have to pay you back once we begin team training for that. I said those who don't follow the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash and you need your comrades. After all, we are family. Naruto scowled thinking about Tsunade and said well blood may be thicker than water, but pussy is better than porn. All four will get you killed though. Kakashi smiled and said good, then bring the client to the main gates while I get my supplies ready, elders. As he left. Naruto said hey, I have a question, since my sensei in the bingo book says, if I kill him and bring back his head, can I get the bounty? Causing everyone to sweat drop. Taharu said only if he became a missing nin Naruto. Naruto said damn, well come on, let's get the hell out of town before the drunk bleach blonde, big-breasted bitch gets here. As he thought damn Ichiji. At least he cares. When Naruto walked up to the gates with Tazuna he saw Sasuke and Sakura standing there and he said yo, sorry I'm late, I had to grab the drunk here before he could get another bottle of sake. Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke and said really, I got lost on the road of life. Sakura screamed you're both liars. As she pointed at them. Naruto sighed and Kakashi said alright Team 7, well we have been split up a while it's good to see I have a team again. This is Tazuna, our client. He's a bridge builder from the land of Wave and we are to escort him back to his home and then protect him until he finishes his bridge. Tazuna, this is Sasuke, Sakura, and you already met Naruto. Sakura said it's nice to meet you sir. Naruto crossed his arms and Sasuke smirked and said HN. Tazuna said are these brats all that's going to protect me? Naruto said sir, we're not just some mere brats, Sasuke here is a member of an elite clan who've been trained since birth to fight, a single member of his clan can kill off nearly 100 ninja by himself, Sakura here is a member of the most elite, tracking unite in Konoha who can find her target no matter where he hides, and no matter what he does, she doesn't quit until she gets her man. Our sensei here is the Sharingan Kakashi, the copycat ninja. He's seen enough battles that as soon as an enemy moves a single muscle, he already knows what the enemies are going to do and can either copy them or stop them in their tracks, and then you have me, the Sachi no Shinigami. My family has so much blood on our hands people look at me as if I'm not even human. We're more than strong enough to stop any bandits or thugs that we may encounter. Tazuna said is that all true? As he looked at Kakashi. Kakashi said yes. And thought from a certain point of view, he never said Sasuke was the one strong enough to kill off 100 ninja, Itachi was, Sakura is a fangirl who hounds her target until she gets him much to Sasuke annoyance, and Naruto family are all feared because of how deadly and powerful they are, and people don't see him as human, and Kushina was known as the Aka Shinigami. Tazuna said alright, I guess I can see you guarding me. Naruto smiled and Sakura said I don't know if I should feel flattered or insulted for what you said to Naruto. Sasuke glared at him also, and Kakashi said well come on, let's go. It was about 20 minutes into the trip and Sakura asked hey Naruto, where have you been exactly? I mean I know Sasuke-kun has been with Kakashi sensei and I was stuck with Asuma sensei, Choji, and Shikamaru. Naruto said well. You know how Sandaime was injured from killing Danzo. The reason he killed him was because he found out Danzo was a traitor to Konoha. Ino and I sort of found the proof that Danzo was the traitor, so we were both sent out of the village in order to protect us should Danzo or his men escape and wanted revenge for getting them caught. That reminds me, what was the official statement on that? Kakashi said Danzo was officially charged with treason, murder, and attempted kidnapping of Konoha citizens and ninja. Naruto said I see. And that's it? Looking shocked. Kakashi said yes. As he read his book. Sakura said, why do you seem shocked by Naruto? I mean it's what happened. Naruto glanced back at her and said Sakura. I'm going to give you the most important piece of advice anyone can give you. There are always three sides to every story. The official statement that gets told to the general population to put everyone's fears at ease, the unofficial statement as to what is told to the councils and high-ranking members of our ninja forces, and then there is the truth. Remember, I asked Kakashi what the official statement was. Sasuke said so there was more to it than what everyone was told. Naruto said perhaps. I don't know what was the unofficial statement and I don't want to know, but I do know what the truth is on that, but I'm not allowed to say. At least without asking permission first from the Sandaime. Kakashi smiled and Sakura said so. Is the protection story an official statement? Naruto smirked and said yeep. Sakura frowned and Kakashi said so Sakura, what did you learn from Asuma? Sakura said a little strategy, we spared some, and I was taught the tree walking exercise, but I did it right on my first try. Naruto asked how long can you do it before you run low on chakra Sakura? Sakura said, what do you mean? After I made it to the top I wasn't told to do it again. Looking confused. Naruto slapped his forehead and said to Sakura, if you are still rivals with Ino, then you are really far behind her. Ino can do it for an hour without stopping, and she can also water walk for half an hour and leaf balance for several hours. That's not to mention how Anko-sensei had her do jutsu matches where if Ino quit she beat the shit out of her, or if she got down she kept attacking. Ino learned that for a kunoichi in a fight there are only three options, fight, die, or become someone bitch. Sakura was shocked and Sasuke said, what about you, Naruto? Naruto said I can do tree climbing, water walking, and leaf balancing. She had me also work on my elemental affinities, a few to work with my affinities. She also taught me and Ino about poisons, medicines, and how to make them. Hell she had me be the test subject for each of the ones she showed us, so I would build up an immunity to them. I was taught a few other things, but I would rather not say for now. Sasuke frowned and said why didn't you teach me all that Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi said because you and Naruto are two different types of shinobi. Right now you have better control than Naruto, but he has more chakra and stamina than you. To teach you the things Naruto knows I have to get your stamina and chakra levels higher. You heard how Naruto had to do tree climbing, water walking, and leaf balancing. He's also using the Kage Bunshin no to help him learn those, and like Naruto was telling Sakura, even when you learn it, you will never master them as you have to constantly keep working on your control and reserves, or you will never get stronger. Sasuke said it won't matter once I activate my Sharingan. Naruto snorted and said that was one of the lessons Anko drilled into my head. It doesn't matter if you can copy a 1000, if you don't learn and master them, then they are useless to you and could be used against you. Take Kage Bunshin for example, if you were to copy me using it and use it yourself, then you would wind up being weaker than me because your reserves are not as big as mine. Now take that fire you used in the academy, if you and me both used it at the same time to attack each other, I would most likely lose the fight because I don't know how to do that and also I don't know how not to use it, where you spent days learning it and mastering it, you could do something like hide weapons inside the fireball or something and I wouldn't know until it's too late. Kakashi said I agree. I've copied over a 1000 with my Sharingan but I only use about 60 in battle because I know and master those but the others I just copied and haven't really done anything with them. Each of the genin were in thought as they traveled over what was said. As Team 7 and Tazuna walked toward Wave 3 hours into their journey, Sakura said hey Naruto, I thought you were an orphan. Remembering he mentioned his parents earlier. Naruto said I am, but I found out recently who my parents were. It's a long story and right now I'm more worried about the two guys up ahead. Everyone looked at him and Sasuke said what guys? Naruto said Anko said I'm a sensor type, like her. She said it's how I am able to get away from all those nins I outran when I pulled my pranks. I naturally could detect them a little. I'm not fully trained, but she gave me a small exercise to work on and I've got it down where if someone with more chakra than a genin is within a mile I can detect them, but I can't tell how much they have or exactly where they are, but I can tell the general direction they are. I'm detecting two chakra sources up ahead somewhere. As the group kept walking, Kakashi frowned and said so you can detect Chunin or higher huh? Naruto said yeah, it's one of the exercises that she taught me to try and reduce my chakra that I release naturally. My own natural release is like a smokescreen, so it has to be someone with higher chakra to get through the smokescreen. I can't detect Sasuke, Sakura, or Tazuna, but I can detect you and the two ahead of us. Kakashi said I see. Sasuke, you guard the front, Naruto left, Sakura right, and I'll take the rear. Tazuna, if something happens you are to get by Sakura. Sasuke, you are to stand on the opposite side of Tazuna from Sakura in case someone else is with them and they try to attack while they are distracted. Naruto, you're the primary assault on this while I will scan for any other threats and then assist you. Does everyone understand? Sasuke said, why does the dope get to fight them? Naruto growled at Sasuke's words and then his eyes went wide as he heard Desire scream behind you. And said shit. As he turned on instinct and grabbed the chain that was about to wrap around him with chakra and sticking on the chain sent his foot against the one on the left, kicking him in the chest as he rolled over the chain, while he removed Little Fox in one motion and as his feet hit the ground, he gabbed forward with his blade and stabbed the one on the right in the neck. Kakashi appeared behind the one on the left that was stunned and chopped him in the neck, while the other man was clutching his throat and was drowning in his own blood falling to the ground. Naruto frowned as he removed the blade and flicked the blood off it before returning it over his shoulder and thought thanks sis. Desire said no problem. Everyone was stunned and Kakashi saw Naruto's hand was bleeding and said Naruto, the chain's poisoned. As he glanced at the chain seeing it discolored on the edges, meaning it's poisoned. Naruto looked at his hand and said it's fine, I must have been in contact with it before since I'm not feeling any burning, so I'm immune to it. As he pulled out some bandages and wiped the blood off and wrapped the bandages around his hand. Sakura screamed and said you killed him. In shock. Sasuke was frowning as he looked at the dead nin. Naruto looked at her and said we're ninja, this is what we were trained to do. I'm just lucky though because if I would have been any slower that chain would have killed me. As he glanced at the body of the man he killed. Kakashi nods and says, the demon brother. C rank missing nins from the hidden mist village. Both chunins. Cut the head off of him with your sword and I'll seal it in a scroll so you can collect the bounty. Naruto said I can't. My sword will only cut when someone is trying to kill me. If the person dead or not actually tries to kill me it won't cut anything, but if they are it will cut through nearly anything. It was a gift so I could learn to use it without killing myself and be safe to use on sparring partners. Kakashi nods and says, right, stand guard and I'll take care of him and then get some info from his brother. As he placed his hand on both Nins and Sunshine away. After Kakashi was gone Naruto looked at his team and Tazuna and saw them staring at him and he asked what. Sakura finally asked in a quiet voice what's it like to make your first kill. Naruto frowned and after a few minutes he said, it's not. My third actually. As he walked over and leaned against a tree. Both his teammates looked shocked as did Tazuna and Kakashi who came back also were shocked. Sasuke said when was your first time? Naruto closed his eyes and said I was 7. Making everyone gasp. Kakashi who returned asked what happened. Does anyone else know? Naruto frowned and said Jiji knows the truth since he was the one who found me. The old goat and nag know I killed, but that's all. Sakura said so. What happened? What was it like? Naruto bit his lip and said I'll tell you later because it's not easy for me to talk about and I want to know why they were targeting Tazuna. Tazuna asked, what makes you think they were targeting me? Naruto said because both the demon brothers spent time in Wave Country recently. Kakashi said oh. And how do you know that Naruto? I mean even I didn't know that. Naruto who was still leaning against a tree, moved his foot and kicked a small boulder beside the tree and said because they ate lunch here waiting on Tazuna to return and had food they got from Wave Country. The receipt for the store they shopped at is with the trash they hid and it says the store is located in Wave. As everyone saw a bag with sandwich wrappers and a price tag stapled to the bag. Sasuke asked how did you find it? Naruto said because I haven't eaten since breakfast and I smelled chicken and followed my nose over here to see where it was coming from. Causing everyone to sweat drop. Kakashi said I guess you can teach an old dog new tricks after all. Now why don't you tell us about what is really going on in Tazuna? Why does Gato want you dead? Tazuna sighed and explained how Gato took control of all shipping to the island and how he wants Tazuna killed to keep control of the island. After he was done Naruto said well I'm still going. Sasuke said, right, we can't abandon this mission. And maybe I can find out how Naruto got so strong. Sakura said yeah, we have to help these people. Kakashi said alright, but the next enemy we face will be most likely a Jounin. Everyone is to be on alert and follow my orders. All 3 genin said hi. So Team 7 continued the mission. Naruto after the first hour put his hands together and created 10 Kagebunshin and had them quickly jump ahead. After they were gone, Sakura said what did you do for Naruto? Naruto said I only have at most a mile range of detection, my Kagebunshin have at most a mile detection, but by having them go to the edge of my detection zone and circle around us, I can cover about 4 miles from us in every direction, since our next enemy is most likely I should be able to detect them, and when the clone dispels its memories will come to me, and I can give us more time to prepare. Hopefully. Sasuke said good plan, dope. You really are becoming more useful than I thought you would. Kakashi said very good plan, Naruto. How did you come up with it? Naruto rubbed his head and said actually. Anko did. One of her favorite games was Predator and Prey. I would create 200 cage bunshin and we would scatter. We couldn't go more than 5 miles from our camp and I didn't know how she was doing it at first until I found her using earth clones to take out my cage bunshin. Once I learned to detect her chakra release I was able to last longer. Sakura said you keep talking about chakra release. What exactly is it? Kakashi said everyone naturally releases a small amount of chakra into the air. It's like 1% of your actual reserves. The bigger your reserves the bigger the release. To censor types like Naruto it's like a flare going off and… What's wrong with Naruto? Seeing Naruto eyes gloss over. Naruto frowned and said there's a girl dressed in a hunter nin mask. Something's off about her. I can't put my finger on it but the girl eyed my cage bunshin for a moment before destroying it with a needle. My other clones detect her and she seems to be going around my search grid and is on more alert than she was. I didn't think of using cage bunshin as a two-way messenger before. My clones made 2 cage bunshin and sent one to tail the girl from a distance while the other to spell to relay the info. Kakashi frowned and said senbon needles. Strange weapon for a hunter nin. Naruto said yeah. But that's not what's bothering me. Sakura asked, well, what is bothering you? Naruto said hunter nins take the heads. That's why Kakashi sensei asked me to cut off the demon brother's head right. Kakashi nods and Naruto says she doesn't have any shurikens, and she doesn't have a sword either. Sasuke said maybe it's a sealed dope. Naruto frowned and said maybe. It just seems odd for a hunter nin not to have her weapons ready in case she came across a mark. Anko told me she works with Anbu and the number 1 rule is always have your equipment handy. Kakashi said you're right. That is odd she would not have more than one. Do you see her? Naruto said, my clone wasn't looking for one so can't tell you. Kakashi said well if your clones detect her or find anything else strange let us know. Let's continue. We should be able to make it to the seashore before dark. Naruto nods and Sasuke says done. Who exactly is this Anko woman you talk so much about? I mean the things you keep talking about she said to you seem like advanced stuff of the thing Kakashi sensei said to me. Naruto rubbed his head and said I don't know her official rank, but I do know that she was the apprentice of Orochimaru when he was still a leaf ninja, just like Shizune is Tsunade apprentice and my dad was. Shit. As his eyes went wide realizing what he just said. Sakura's eyes widened and said your dad was an apprentice to a Sannin. Naruto frowned and said actually. My dad was the Yondaime Hokage. Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna's eyes went wide as they heard this, and Sasuke said, you're joking. Right dope. Naruto bit his lip and said no. Sasuke said, but Yondaime was never married. Kakashi said actually, he was married for several years secretly to Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto's mother. I was a witness at their wedding. Sakura said, but why? Why keep the fact they married a secret? Naruto sighed and said I guess I can tell you about how I made my first kill. Then you will understand why. A woman claimed she was my mother and that she had been told I died during the Kyuubi attack and had only returned recently. I believed her because I was only 7 and had been an orphan my whole life. She seemed like a really nice lady and even gave me my own bed. While I was asleep the first night in that house. She let 10 men in the house and they came to the room I was in. They threw me on the floor and took the mattress off the bed. It was a metal frame and they tied me to the frame, ripped my shirt off me and used it on the frame. Making everyone wide-eyed realizing what that meant. Naruto closed his eyes and said I was in that house for 2 weeks. During the day the woman would stab needles in me filled with different things from bleach to acid to poisons. Causing Sakura to get tears in her eyes as Sasuke seemed to be shocked. Naruto said during the night. There's a reason I have such a high pain tolerance. As his eyes glossed over. Kakashi asked what happened. Naruto bit his lip and said I guess if I'm going to tell you the rest, I have to tell you some of the truth. I have 2 bloodlines. Causing both Sasuke and Sakura to go wide-eyed. Sasuke said you have 2 bloodlines. What are they? Naruto said one lets me heal really quick. I won't tell you the other one yet or anything else about my one bloodline since I have to keep it a secret for now. But one of the things that was done to me was my right hand was cut off and destroyed. Sakura said, but your hand is there. Wait, you mean you can heal from having your hand cut off? Naruto said yeah. Before I knew it was a bloodline and when I told the Sandaime we both thought it was a they used on me but my hand regrew under the rags they used to cover it up so that I wouldn't bleed to death. When it healed enough I freed myself from the other wires and fell to the floor too weak to do anything else. When the woman came back into the room to give me the next batch of poisons she found me on the floor and she dropped the tray and started to beat me. I curled up in a ball as she kicked me over and over again and I saw a needle that had fallen off the tray full of liquid. I grabbed it and stabbed it in her leg. Whatever it was killed her within 15 seconds. I don't know how long I was there before Sandaime found me and before now I've never told anyone but him what happened. Azuna asked, why did they do that to you? Naruto bit his lip and said the woman was a spy for Iwa. She worked as a nurse's aide at the hospital and got a blood sample of my blood and somehow discovered who my parents were. The Sandaime suspected the men were from Kumo since they used ration to torture me. My father decimated Iwa forces and Kumo was angry at Konoha for years for some reason. Torture and killing the son of the Indama Hokage would have been a real good way of getting revenge when word got out about it. Luckily for me they didn't know about the Kimichi bloodline I got from my mother. Sakura said, but if that's true then why do so many people look at you and my mom and everyone tell us to stay away from you as a kid? Naruto rubbed his head and said, Sakura, Sasuke. Everything I am telling you is an S-rank village secret. If anyone else speaks about it besides the Hokage or myself they will be killed for it. Several have been killed for it. Or at least part of it. Do you both understand the risk of knowing what I am about to tell you is and are you willing to keep it a secret? Sasuke said yes. Sakura nods and Naruto looks at Izuna and says you keep your mouth shut about it and I'll kill Gato personally. Izuna blinked and said deal. Naruto sighed and said remember how I told you there are 3 versions of every story. The events that happened the day I was born are also a 3-version story. Officially my father killed the Kyuubi the day I was born at the cost of his life, everyone born after that day believes this. The unofficial story that most of the village older than us believe and that I didn't hear about until the day we graduated when Mizuki tried to kill me was the Yondaime used a forbidden to seal the Kyuubi inside a seal he drew on a random orphan he chose by summoning the Shinigami who ate his soul and killed him. Sasuke said the orphan was you. Naruto said unofficially yes. Sakura asked, what's the truth? Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoy it. If you want the next part of this video, turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe and comment down below. And also check out the others videos I have created and enjoyed it. See you guys next video.